pocket.
Now here are your hosts, Brock Eward and Mike Salk.
All right, good morning. Hello on a Monday here on the Brock and Salk Show, Seattle Sports on 710, seattlesports.com, and the Seattle Sports app. Plus, of course, all those podcast platforms out there. And yes, 97.3 HD2 as well. Great way to listen to the show in crystal clear, high definition radio. Oh my gosh, I won't start with it, but man, I got more. Remember Friday we were talking about how we hadn't gotten a lot of Apple podcast reviews in a while, kind of mentioned it, and you know.
This is what always happens when you remind the people.
Well, all right, but not like this. I got 14 new reviews just this morning. Just they came barreling in. So I took a quick look. 14 new reviews, all 5 stars. So I don't know, maybe 4.7 is back within our reach. Who knows? I doubt it. I'll probably say something to piss people off, and that'll be the end of it. In fact, people are already mad at me to start the show. I haven't even done anything yet. Salk, you jinxed the weekend. You hexed it, talking about how bad the Jays were on Friday. Fun crusher. And then there's like 5 or 6 others like this over the course of the weekend. Guys, all I did was give you the numbers. I just gave you the numbers. The Blue Jays had awful numbers. I didn't play badly over the weekend. Blame your Mariners. We all need to publicly thank Mike Salk for his brutal take on the Jays. It wasn't a take. It was just giving you the numbers and single-handedly ending the Mariners series streak and inevitably the season. Not thank, I mean stab him in the ear hole with a rusty screwdriver. All right, that is goes too far. That is totally unnecessary. I had nothing to do with how the Mariners played this weekend, nor how the Blue Jays played. So what did happen? What did happen other than me I like the use of hexed. Jinxed, anybody can jinx, but a hex, that's special. What actually happened, ma'am? A little bit of everything, right? I got beat kind of on each phase of the game. Offensively, they didn't do the big things. We've talked about how the little things have been great, but you got to do the big things, right? Well, they didn't do the big things. They didn't take enough walks. They didn't hit for enough power. They only had 1 home run all weekend. It was a solo shot by Rowdy Tellez. That's it. You got to hit home runs.
Dylan Moore yesterday.
Dylan Moore yesterday. Whatever. That one was meaningless.
The 2 solo shots, yeah.
That's it. Like that's not going to get it done. That's not enough. You got to hit home runs, and you got to take your walks. They took 5 total walks this weekend. 5 compared to 28 strikeouts. So, you know, the little things, yeah, they made contact. They hit the ball 19 hits over the course of a weekend. But in your 3 games, if you're only going to take 5 walks, hit 2 solo home runs, and strike out 28 times, that's probably not going to get it done, right? So offensively, especially against a Blue Jays pitching staff that is not great, you got to take advantage. And they didn't do any of that. That being said, I did not think offense was their big problem this weekend. I know they scored 7 runs all weekend. Still didn't see that as the major issue. The issue with this team right now, I mean, I say that after they've won, 9 series in a row and finally just, get swept over the weekend. But if you are looking for an actual question mark, it's their pitching. And I remember, look, for all of the talk, everybody wants to point out, Salk, bad take on the fine. Bad take on the Blue Jays. I'm sorry I pointed out that the numbers showed they weren't very good. But the other conversation we had on Friday, and I'll read you from my notes, the Mariners are 11th in ERA. This was coming into the weekend, but outside the top 20 in strikeouts and whip. Why? And the answer was, well, they've only allowed 32 home runs, 5th lowest in the league. And the question is that sustainable? If you're outside the top 20 in strikeouts as a pitching staff, and more importantly, outside the top 20 in whip, walks and hits per innings pitched, that means you're giving up a lot of hits and walks and not striking out a lot of guys. That ERA eventually is going to change. It's going to follow the walks, hits, etc., and not the lucky, sort of a luckiness that you haven't given up a lot of home runs. Well, that happened over the weekend. They allow 4 home runs, which accounted for 8 runs. Right? A few of them were deciding blows in the game. Obviously, yesterday, the Springer shot was the deciding blow that kind of blew it open. They did allow 35 hits this weekend in 3 games. They did allow 11 walks this weekend in 3 games, and they only struck out 22. I mean, the numbers pretty clearly show that the pitching staff did not get it done this weekend. The starters gave up 15 runs of the 21. And that was, again, you want to say, the injuries have really hurt this team, the injury replacements. Logan Evans probably had the best start of anybody. The two guys that gave up the runs are the two guys that are still in the rotation.
I was going to say, when we talk about the rotation, I really think this becomes about two guys right now. It's Luis Castillo and Bryce Miller.
Absolutely. And we're gonna go a little more in depth at 7:00 specifically on Bryce, because I don't like what I'm hearing from him after the game in addition to what we're seeing during the game. And I think there's a conversation about what the future looks like, the immediate future, not the long-term future for Bryce Miller. But we'll dig into those guys because neither one is pitching particularly well. Neither one is pitching particularly well. And, you're right. That is it's really been a question about those two guys. But Brian Woo's coming off a day where he gave up 5 runs in the first 4 innings. That didn't, I mean, they came back in that game, but that was not exactly a quality start either. I know he's been great over the course of the season. I'm not taking shots. But just kind of looking at where you're at with the 3 guys that are actually supposed to be in the rotation compared to the 2 replacement guys. They need Logan and George back, obviously, to kind of recreate what I would almost refer to as a Voltron-like situation. I know Lyle doesn't know Voltron, but anybody who grew up in the 80s knows about Voltron. And when they all got together, they were, stronger than the sum of their parts. So pitching, to me, is the thing. But the question mark, the big thing next is, all right, now what? How does this team respond? Is this a bump in the road for a team that, has found a way to show its resilience all year? Yes, they've done that. I think there's a good chance that's part of it. Or was this a pin in a balloon that pops kind of what was a magical month playing against some weak competition, and now that you've, lost to the Blue Jays, which you really didn't want to do before the Yankees show up here in town, and then after that, you got to go to San Diego and see a red-hot Padres team that's one of the best in the league. So what is it? Was this a bad weekend? Or is this, the popping of a balloon? I'm going to tell you, my guess, I don't know the answer, by the way. I don't know. Maybe you do. Maybe you have a better, crystal ball than I do. I don't know what's going to happen next with this Mariner team. Heck, I didn't know what was going to happen in the first 5 or 6 weeks of this season. I didn't see this coming. Red hot Mariners, unbelievable offense. I didn't see any of that. I thought they'd be okay. I didn't think they'd do this, especially after the first week of the season where, quite frankly, they looked worse than expected and lucked into a couple of wins. I thought they looked terrible in the first week, 10 days, and then they got back from San Francisco. They had that come-from-behind win against Houston, and it's like, bang, like a rocket ship, they took off. I didn't see that happening, so I'm going to be lying to you if I tell you I have any idea what the heck is going to happen next. They could turn around and sweep the Yankees in the next 3 games. You'd be like, oh, all right, 500 road trip. Good thing you beat the best team in the American League, certainly by run differential. Like, I don't know what the heck they're going to do next. Do you? If you do, God love you. I don't have that in me. But if I have to guess, I would say this is a little of both. I would say it's a little of both. I would say that was just kind of a bad weekend. I don't think they're going to continue to play or lose at a rate like they did this weekend. Obviously, then they would go 0 for the rest of the season. But I don't think that was like, I don't think that was the new normal. I think they had a tough weekend against a team that, got hot. It's funny. I watched that Blue Jays line. Are you super impressed with that Blue Jays team? Up and down the lineup. I mean, obviously, the very top of it's great, but they got some guys in there where you're like, all right, whatever. Pitching staff is kind of all over the place. They got a couple of good relievers, but that's not one of the best pens I've seen. I don't know. It just wasn't
pretty well defensively this week.
They did, but then they also do dumb stuff too. Like good athletic defensive team, but like not well coached and managed. I don't know. I don't particularly like the way they play, but hey, they got the sweep, so whatever. Not going to sit here and crush them. I think the Mariners were playing over their skis a little bit, don't you? And if you need numbers, we'll go through these in greater detail later. Credit to Luke Arkins. I'm going to use him a lot today because he had some really cool stuff this weekend. Love Luke. And, he just kind of went through player OPS plus for the first, whatever it is, 6 weeks of this season compared to their last 3 years. And you've got like 7 guys that are like nowhere. They're so far above their last 3 seasons that there has to be a reckoning. It has to come back to earth. So I do think that the Mariners are not going to hit as well as they did for the last 6 weeks. How could they? But does that mean this thing is over? No, because I think other guys will pick it up, and I think the pitching will improve and kind of get back to where it's been. So I don't, again, I think there's probably a little of both. Maybe you did pop the pin, pop the balloon of this like incredible run that they were on. But that doesn't mean that you turn them, into a pumpkin. It just means that now you got to start playing normal baseball. Now you got to start playing not completely out of your head, insane, hitting everything, everywhere, every moment, coming from behind, everything the Mariners have done. Start doing normal stuff. And I think they can absolutely continue to win, but it'll be a little watch now after that, right? It was just a little wake-up call and a reminder of what we always knew, that it wasn't going to last forever, sort of in that headspace that they were in there for about a month. All right, we'll chat more about this, and I do want to address the Bryce Miller situation, which I think is unfortunately complicated by both George Kirby and Logan Gilbert. So we'll do that at 7 o'clock. We'll give you everything you need to know next. It's Brock and Salk, Seattle Sports on 710, seattlesports.com.
Wyman and Bob, afternoons 2 to 7.
Even the guys that if you look at their average and go, ugh, they're not off to a good start, look at the on base. This team has been outstanding at working the pitcher, at taking walks. You look at Randy Arozarena, for instance. He's had huge hits. He's had some big moments that have been game-winning moments, but overall, he's not hitting that well. He's hitting 208, but he's got a 359 on base.
Dave Wyman and Bob Stelton, afternoons 2 to 7 on Seattle Sports, the app, YouTube, and your smart speaker.
This is the story of the one. As a safety manager at a manufacturing plant, he does everything he can to keep his coworkers safe. From finding ways to reduce risks to keeping safety supplies in stock. And for that, he relies on Grainger. Grainger offers a broad range of quality products and next-day delivery, so he can always play it safe. Call 1-800-GRAINGER, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
I can't believe how spotless my floors look after using the Swiffer Power Mop. No more dragging around a heavy mop and messy bucket. Now I get the same deep clean without all the work. Thanks to the powerful solution and scrubbing pad of the Swiffer Power Mop, dirt and grime don't stand a chance, and I don't break a sweat. Mic drop. Mop drop.
Swiffer Power Mop. Swiffer Power Mop.
A smarter way to mop. Try it or your money back.
This year, tee it up at home with Synthetic Turf Northwest. Dial in your yard and your short game is sure to follow. Synthetic Turf Northwest is your synthetic grass expert. Install a custom backyard putting green or just a mud and mow-free lawn the neighbors will envy. They do it all. Residential, commercial, and turf supply. With locations in Woodinville and soon Fife. Mention Seattle Sports and save up to $1,000 off your project. Visit syntheticturfnorthwest.com.
There's nothing better than having a big fish on your line. You'll hear that sound a lot at Queen Charlotte Lodge. Experience a luxury resort, breathtaking wildlife, spectacular wilderness, and amazing fishing at Queen Charlotte Lodge in British Columbia. Reserve now for peak king salmon runs and plentiful halibut this May and June. At Queen Charlotte Lodge, it's fishing first class. Go to fishqcl.com. That's fishqcl.com. And remember, our dollar is worth $1.40 north of the border.
Warmer weather, more sunlight, and your new car. That's right. At Toyota of Kirkland and Toyota of Renton, summer starts here. With their combined inventory of new, used, and certified pre-owned inventory, you're in for a summer to remember. Their fantastic teams will set you up with a test drive so you can ride off into that summer sun the same day. Summer starts here at Toyota of Kirkland and Toyota of Renton. Whether you're in the north or the south, they got you covered. Visit their incredible showrooms today or online at toyotaofkirkland.com and toyotaofrenton.com.
O'Brien. Do you have trouble getting in and out of the bathtub? Are you afraid you'll slip and fall entering or exiting a tub? Safe Step walk-in tubs can transform your bathtub from an area of concern to a calming refuge. Call them today at 1-800-731-4558 and save $1,600. Safe Step walk-in tubs and showers are proudly made in Tennessee and offer an ultra-low step-in, avoiding that difficult climb over a traditional bathtub wall. They also offer a variety of therapeutic benefits that may help soothe your aching muscles and joints, increasing your mobility, boosting your energy, and improving your sleep. Safe Step walk-in tubs are designed to easily fit your existing tub space and are often installed in as little as one day. Just dial 1-800-731-4558 today to save $1,600 and receive a free shower package. That's 1-800-731-4558 for a free no-obligation consultation and to save $1,600. Safe Step walk-in tubs. Safety never felt so good.
We are Seattle Sports, the home of the Seahawks, Mariners, and everything Seattle sports.
Watch your favorite show live at seattlesports.com.
At Uline, they know firsthand the road to success is an uphill climb. Uline started in the family basement, and through hard work is now North America's most trusted shipping and industrial supplier. They get what it means to have the support of reliable, hard-working partners. So they keep 41,000 items ready to ship. Whether your company is still in a basement office or expanding cross-country, Uline will be there on your road to success. Visit uline.com.
You think your home is pretty cool until that summer heat hits, and suddenly your home isn't that cool. In fact, it's hot. Air conditioning from Washington Energy Services can help. Stay cool this summer with our biggest spring savings event ever. This month only, take up to $2,500 off an energy-efficient Bryant cooling system with exclusive Washington Energy rebates. Ensure your home is always the cool house with air conditioning from Washington Energy Services. Contact us today for a free estimate.
Warmer weather, more sunlight, and your new car. That's right. At Toyota of Kirkland and Toyota of Renton, summer starts here. With their combined inventory of new, used, and certified pre-owned inventory, you're in for a summer to remember. Their fantastic teams will set you up with a test drive so you can ride off into that summer sun the same day. Summer starts here at Toyota of Kirkland and Toyota of Renton. Whether you're in the north or the south, they got you covered. Visit their incredible showrooms today or online at toyotaofkirkland.com and toyotaofrenton.com.
O'Brien. G. Scott here with former Seahawk Doug Baldwin. Tell us about Nourishing Champions.
We know the benefits for young people in sports, but we often don't think about the barriers, and one of those barriers is having proper nutrition. So Nourishing Champions, in partnership with Champions of Change and Safeway, is an effort to address those barriers so that our student athletes have what they need to excel both on the field and in the classroom.
High schools can apply for grants up to $25,000 from Nourishing Champions. Learn more at championsofchangefoundation.org/Nourishing Champions.
This hour is brought to you by Community Transit.
Need to know.
15 minutes past every hour with Brock and Salk.
Here's what you need to know. Up first.
Well, ugly weekend at T-Mobile, no doubt. Mariners pretty soundly beaten in all phases by a Blue Jays team that honestly had struggled so far this season. A pair of 6-3 losses followed by a 9-1 laugher yesterday. Outscored 21-7 in the 3-game sweep. Yes, I can do a little addition. How about that? None of the 3 starters pitched particularly well. Luis Castillo gave up 5. Logan Evans gave up 3 and 5+. He was probably the best of them. And I don't know what's going on with Bryce Miller, but he had yet another tough one yesterday. Gives up 7 runs. George Springer doing a lot of the damage.
The look in by Miller, and now the 1-1 to Springer. Swinging a well-hit ball deep to left field. Rosarena going back, stops, looks up, and goodbye baseball into the upper deck in left field. George Springer with his 5th home run of the season, a 3-run shot with 2 on and 2 outs. And the Blue Jays now lead 5-1.
Yeah, that's the George Springer I remember from his time in Houston, but also that was a 92-mile-an-hour fastball from Bryce Miller. Now, there's a conversation to be had here about what is going on with Bryce. I mean, he just has not looked like the same guy we've seen for the last season and a half. His manager after the game.
I thought Bryce was much more aggressive in the zone. I thought he attacked pretty well, and the secondaries were much better in the zone as well. Just got touched up by Springer there, to kind of put him ahead a little bit.
I mean, I appreciate the optimistic view, and he did have some nice moments here. Looked better through the first 4 innings, but the result's hard to hide. I mean, at the end of the day, he's now got an ERA up over 5. I don't think that's what anyone expected from a player that we thought might have his Logan Gilbert-like breakout this season. Instead, it's kind of gone the other way, and it leads to a tough weekend.
I mean, it's frustrating. I think we've played so well, and wanted to show the home fans that we were excited to be back home. But it was a tough series, and again, we got a lot more baseball ahead of us, and we got another series starting tomorrow, and we'll be ready to go.
And that tomorrow, of course, is now tonight. Yankees in town for 3. So they've been red hot as well, though. Unfortunately, they just took a series in Sacramento, outscored the A's 30-11 this weekend. Yikes. Hancock, Wu, Castillo all set to face the team with the best run differential in the American League.
Here's the second thing you need to know.
So where are the reinforcements? Because they could use them here in the rotation. George Kirby made his second rehab start for Tacoma this weekend, which was the good news. The bad news, he didn't look very good, unfortunately. Allowed 3 runs on 4 hits, a couple of walks, which is not very George-like. Struck out 5, which is good, over 3 innings. 54 pitches, that's probably the best sign for his health, but got to have a fully ready-to-go George Kirby before you can activate him. Was good to see Jackson Kowar throw a perfect inning. He touched 98 on his fastball, so that's good. Logan Gilbert could throw off a mound here in the next couple of days. Luke Raley headed to Arizona to rehab his oblique. We should get a little bit more info this weekend on Victor Robles, as he is going to have a CT scan, so that'll set the next course of action for a potential return. Look, you can kind of survive the position players, and they've done a nice job of kind of mixing and matching, etc. But they got to get either Logan or George back. And just unfortunately, this rotation is probably limping a little bit right now. And Logan throws off a mound. He shouldn't need as long a rehab, assuming that everything is okay, as George Kirby did. Because, look, Kirby hasn't had a spring training, etc. So you got to hope that he's able to throw off the mound, doesn't feel any pain, and is able to return sooner rather than later.
Here's the third thing you need to know.
Hey, I kind of dug the story from Brady Henderson over the weekend about Nick Emanwari, and then obviously the comp with Cam Chancellor. It is crazy that Cam texted him right after the first night of the draft when he wasn't picked.
Cam Chancellor, actually, before I even got drafted that first night, he had texted me. He had sent me a message, like, out the blue. It was like, hey, man, wherever you end up, we'll go ground hard, just a little heartfelt message. And that was one of my, favorite safeties, again, growing up. So I was showing my brothers, and like, oh, Cam Chancellor just woo-woo. So when I got drafted by Seattle, I thought him texting me was like, maybe he had an inside, like, okay, I'm going to Seattle. But after I got drafted, he told me, he was like, look at God, man, what a coincidence. So just Cam Chancellor, he a great dude, man. I'm going to be reaching out to him for advice and how he made his way through here, try to make my own way.
Woo-woo. I mean, that's about as good a story as you could ask for. Cam
that's
didn't
his version of, like, yada yada.
Yeah.
Marshawn says blase blah.
He does?
Yeah.
Sure. Why wouldn't he?
Well, it kind of reminded me of the Baltimore thing. Remember when Mark Ingram used to say big trust, woo-woo?
Yeah.
Whatever? That sort of thing.
Okay. Well, maybe similar part of the world. I don't know. Anyway, cool story, man. That's kind of all I got there. Just one other note. Hockey insider Frank Saravalli says he thinks Rick Tocchet has interviewed and been offered a job here in Seattle.
When it comes to Rick Tocchet, I think he's interviewed and been offered in Seattle. I think he's interviewed with the Flyers, if you even need one. I think the Pittsburgh Penguins are interested. I think the Boston Bruins are interested. I'm going to project that Rick Tocchet is on at least a 5-year deal and north of $6 million per year.
That'd be a lot, especially considering the Kraken are already paying 2 other coaches to not coach here right now. But I will say, I do think I would like Tocchet. I loved him as a player. Nasty, physical, racked up goals and penalty minutes. I think he's the all-time leader in Gordie Howe hat tricks, which is when you get a point, a goal, an assist, and a fight in one game. Awesome combination of skill and toughness, and the Kraken honestly have been missing that. 125, 131, and 34 is a sub-500 record as a coach, but he also coached a lot of bad teams in Arizona. So, yeah, I'm interested. I think that would be a pretty eye-opening move for the Kraken. The question is, if he's been interviewed and offered and nothing's happened yet, maybe he's just not as interested as they are. That is everything you need to know. And, of course, we do that 1/4 every hour here on the Brock and Salk Show. All right. 206 says, this Yankees series has just become a must-win. No, not really. It's still May. You don't really have must-win series in May, especially for teams with a 2-game lead in the division. That's just not really how it works. But, yeah, it would be nice to see them, bounce back against a high-quality opponent. That has been one of the knocks on the Mariners this year, is they just haven't played a lot of great teams. Just haven't. And some of the teams they've played who are good, they haven't played at great times. So, look, yeah, it's a good test. Yankees and then Padres. It is a good test to see where they're at. Must win? Yeah, you're probably not going to get me on that bandwagon just yet. All right. Coming up, Maura, it was a busy weekend with lots going on in sports. May is sort of one of those times. So for anybody who was out, gardening or landscaping or whatever other things you guys do over the course of the week. I mowed a lawn. How about that? And then there was some weeding even.
I was all over the West Seattle garage sale.
Oh, whoa.
It's huge. The whole city participated.
Really? Did you buy stuff?
I just walked my dog around our neighborhood.
Did you buy anything?
A little bit. Not as much as I thought.
What'd you get?
I mean, random stuff. We bought a baby gate for our back deck for Bruin, for my dog to not get out.
So it becomes a dog gate.
Yes.
Bruin's not going to be felled by some gate.
Wall TV mount, just random stuff you find.
You're telling me Bruin can't jump over a baby gate?
She won't. She's scared of everything.
That's true.
Yeah, you've watched my dog.
Yeah. The gates are very scary. You don't want to get too close to those things. All right. Well, Maura, in addition to her participation in the garage sale, has been following and tracking everything else going on. So she'll take us around the weekend next. Brock and Salk, Seattle Sports on 710 and 97.3 HD2.
Wyman and Bob, afternoons 2 to 7.
Even the guys that if you look at their average and go, they're not off to a good start, look at the on base. This team has been outstanding at working the pitcher, taking walks. You look at Randy Arozarena, for instance. He's had huge hits. He's had some big moments that have been game-winning moments, but overall, he's not hitting that well. He's hitting 208, but he's got a 359 on base.
Dave Wyman and Bob Stelton, afternoons 2 to 7 on Seattle Sports, the app, YouTube, and your smart speaker.
Hey guys, did you know that half of men over age 50 have erectile dysfunction on some level? Whether you have mild, moderate, or severe ED, West Coast Men's Health can help. We don't prescribe pills and hope they work. Instead, we treat the root cause of the problem with acoustic wave therapy, which breaks down plaque, unclogs arteries, and restores blood flow. We have treated thousands of men across our 11 locations nationwide and have established ourselves as a leader in the industry. So whether you have ED, Peyronie's disease, or suffer from chronic pain, such as neuropathy, carpal tunnel, or Dupuytren's contracture, West Coast Men's Health can help. No pills, no shots, no surgery, just results.
With clinics in Redmond and Tacoma, call West Coast Men's Health at 206-519-6541. That's 206-519-6541. 206-519-6541. Online at westcoastmenshealth.com.
Workdays can be unpredictable, but your workwear shouldn't be. With the Cintas Apparel Plus program, you'll have freshly laundered garments for everyone on your team delivered every week. Cintas has workwear for just about any job imaginable, with high-performance fabrics and an uncompromising fit that stretches and moves with you. Don't leave looking and feeling good to chance. Visit Cintas.com.
Oh, I'm ready!
And get ready for the workday.
Member Week is here at Lowe's. Don't miss your chance to get up to 40% off hundreds of items like paint, outdoor and home essentials, and more. Shop our exclusive deals happening in-store and online now through May 14th. Not a rewards member? Join for free today and get ready to save more. Lowe's, we help, you save. Loyalty program subject to terms and conditions. Details at lowes.com/terms. Subject to change.
You ever try fixing your car and realize you're missing that one part? Yeah, been there. That's why eBay's my go-to. They've got millions of parts, guaranteed to fit. I'm talking brake pads for when yours have seen one too many miles of stop and go. Oil filters, because you don't mess around with your engine care. Even got this cold air intake on my watch list. I might just go for it. To keep the ride cool and your DIY streak hot. Find all the parts you need at prices you'll love. Guaranteed to fit every time. eBay. Things. People. Love. Eligible items only. Exclusions apply.
At Progressive, we understand the bond you have with your boat. It's why people name theirs.
I named my boat Sure Don't. Get it?
The other day when my friend said, "Hey, Larry, you want to head back in? It looks like it might rain." I said, "Sure don't." I guess they didn't get it because they didn't laugh.
Whatever you call your boat, protect it by insuring it with Progressive, America's #1 boat insurer. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates. #1 rating based on boat market share data from ratefilings.com.
Bonneville International radio station contests are open to participants 18 years of age or older that are residents of Washington State unless otherwise specified. Employees or agents of the station, Bonneville International Corporation, other area radio stations, or any entity associated with the contests are not eligible to win unless the station otherwise specifies at its own discretion. Persons who have won in the last 60 days from a station contest or event may not be eligible. Full general contest rules are available on seattlesports.com or in person at the station during regular business hours.
Subscribe to the Seattle Sports YouTube page to find new and exclusive content from your favorite shows and personalities daily. Just head to YouTube, search Seattle Sports, and click subscribe.
Yeah, I have a ton of really memorable customers. So one of my favorite customers I've ever had, he came in and had a really bad experience with several different dealerships. He just lost his husband. His husband left him with a truck, and he was like, "I don't need a truck. Like, this is so impractical for me." And it was a really emotional decision for him because it was one of the last things that he had, obviously husbands. We were like, "It's no problem. Like, we're going to help you." And we did the process the same way that we always do the process. And we helped him trade in his truck for a beautiful new Rogue. And that was really cool. And he bought his second car from us. And I'm sure when he needs a third car, he'll come back and buy his third car from Nissan too. Afterwards, to thank us, he sent us this beautiful basket of like candies and fruits and stuff.
Making a great day for the people around you is making a great day for yourself. The LJ Way is the Lee Johnson Auto family.
Imagine finding your dream home and moving in right away. No waiting to sell your old place first. Sounds perfect, right? That's exactly what Orchard's Move First, Sell Later program lets you do. Buy your new home now and sell the old one later. Here's how it works. Orchard gives you cash so you can buy and move into your new home first on your timeline. No waiting, no showings, no double moves. Then the Orchard experts take it from there. They handle repairs on your old home for you so you attract the right buyers. Once they're done, a local Orchard agent lists and sells your home for top dollar. Orchard's Move First program gives you the freedom to buy and move into your new home first and sell your old home later. Buy before you sell and get top dollar for your home with Orchard. Ready to find out how much your home is worth? Visit Orchard.com to get your free home valuation. That's Orchard.com.
Brock and Salk's Rewind is presented by Toyota of Kirkland and Toyota of Renton.
From the Quantum Fiber Studio, you're listening to Brock and Salk.
Weekdays 6 to 10.
On Seattle Sports and 97.3 FM HD2.
Funny to see the reactions to a difficult weekend for the Mariners. They are all over the place here in the text machine. But feel free to leave us yours, 866-979-3776. What did we see this weekend? Was it the popping of the balloon or just a little bump in the road? Would love your thoughts. Maura, what else happened this weekend?
Yeah, one of the reactions that I saw that made me laugh was, at least for not the Rockies.
Oof.
Did you see? They lost 21-0 to the Padres on Saturday and then fired their manager over
poor
the
Bud
week.
Black, like it was Bud Black's
No,
fault.
they didn't do anything this offseason.
No.
Yeah.
Yeah, Rockies fired their manager Bud Black.
And their bench coach, I think.
Yes, and then I didn't realize Clint Hurdle was back there. He's the guy who managed them to the World Series.
Yeah, when I lived
He
there.
was their hitting coach, which is funny. That guy's like a surfer cowboy. Weird dude. And then obviously the Pirates fired their manager, either over the weekend or late last week. And okay, those teams are bad. They've had really bad starts. I get it. You fired their manager. The teams that I think are more interesting, though, are the Blue Jays and Orioles, two teams that should be better than they are. Now, the Blue Jays obviously get the sweep this weekend, get back to 500. The Orioles, man, I was watching some of the Orioles game on Saturday night. I don't understand how they're so bad. I know people are saying, the pitching, they didn't do anything in the pitching, but the offense has been awful. When they're like the Mariners last year. When they score 4 runs, they win. They're going to have to do something. That team is too good to be as bad as they are.
Well, I think they need to trade for a starter.
Well, maybe, but that's not their problem right now. It's not their pitching. They're not hitting.
Their pitching's like bottom of the league.
All right, but their hitting is what's shocking. I can't believe how badly they're hitting. And if I'm them, I'm firing a manager. Then start thinking about a start. Sorry, just a little aside. Sorry, Maura.
I mean, I will say quickly, is it weird that the Rockies story feels like it's getting way less publicity than last year's White Sox?
Yeah.
Like, this Rockies team might be worse.
It probably will as the season goes on. It's pretty early to start. Yeah.
But they're just firing people early.
It was like this last year with the White Sox, and maybe that's because of how much they blew up their roster and how bad they were supposed to be. But man, like for whatever reason, it feels like this is not being talked about as much. The Rockies thing.
We need to talk more about how bad the Rockies are.
I mean, I'm serious. Like, are they even going to win 40 games?
Right now, they're not even on pace to win like 30, like 32 games or something. Sheesh.
All right. Well,
what does Shannon say? Good grief. I like when Shannon says good grief.
Yeah, that's a good one. Well, yeah, I know people don't love hearing about the losses, so we'll breeze through this weekend, but just kind of touch on some of the important things we saw. Luis Castillo only made it 5 innings Friday, giving up 5 runs on 7 hits, 2 walks and 3 strikeouts. Addison Barger had 3 doubles, and Nathan Lukes hit a home run. The M's did kind of chip away at that 5-0 lead that the Blue Jays took in the top of the third with a Polanco RBI single in the bottom of the third, and then a Rosarena and Tavares each drove in a run in the 6th. But overall, they stranded 9 runners and went 3 for 11 with runners in scoring position. Julio did get robbed of a double with runners aboard in the third. It was a pretty heads-up catch by Barger. That guy had a great weekend.
Yeah, he did.
Sorry.
No, it doesn't really shock me considering, I don't know if they talked about this on the broadcast this weekend or not. Like, you guys know he's from here, Addison Barger?
I didn't know that.
So he was born in Bellevue, grew up in Everett, and then moved to Florida when he was 5 or 6. But he has like Mariners fandom from his time growing up. So I don't know. He had a bunch of family and friends.
He's not like a super prospect or anything, right?
No,
I mean,
he's
like
not.
he was like a 6th round pick. He's not like a huge prospect, but
No,
man, he
he's
had a heck
not.
of a weekend.
But he had a bunch of family and friends in the stands this weekend. I know that.
Cool.
Dan Wilson was asked after the game if he has any concerns about Luis Castillo's velocity going down and his pitch count going up.
I don't think so. Rock is such a competitor, and he goes out there and he takes the ball. He did get into a long inning that first inning, he competes, and he certainly competed tonight and gave us a chance.
Do you guys have concerns?
Yes. I think what we're learning about Dan, and we're, a month into this season, plus a couple of weeks into last season, he didn't tell you much.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, like, he just is not going to give away much information to the media. It's not, it's not Bill Belichick like,
it's friendlier.
Confrontational.
Yeah.
But he says about as much as Bill does. It's just not, it's the way he chooses to disseminate information. That's not a criticism necessarily, but it means that when he says something like, I'm not worried at all about Luis Castillo, I don't believe him.
Yeah.
Like, I think he probably is worried about Luis Castillo, just like I think he's probably worried about Bryce Miller, and we'll get to both of those guys in great detail at 7. But yeah, him saying he's not worried does not tell me he's not worried. It tells me he doesn't want to talk about it.
Makes sense. We might have to end up where Danny used to parse Pete.
Yeah.
Carol, we might have to parse Dan.
I'm not even sure there's anything to parse. I think Dan just doesn't want to talk.
Okay. Yeah. Well, on Saturday, the M's got on the board early with that Rowdy Tellez home run that you referenced in the second. And a Rosarena RBI double and Tavares sac fly in the 4th gave them a 3-0 lead. But Logan Evans was pitching well through 4 scoreless innings. He did end up walking a couple and then gave up a 2-run home run in the 5th. He did start the 6th, but was pulled for Gabe Spire after giving up a single. It was Addison Barger who came up big for Toronto again, tying it with an RBI ground out in the 6th, and then hitting a tie-breaking single in the 8th off of Vargas. Miles Straw then added a 2-run single for insurance there, so they went on to win. The Blue Jays went on to win 6-3. Logan Evans talked about his mindset after giving up the 2 runs in the 5th.
Yeah, I've talked about this in the past, but just like give my guys an opportunity to win, The 2 runs there was a little bit unfortunate, but we still had the 3-2 lead. And then walked Vladdy there, but it was like just kind of a look in the mirror moment, like this can either keep snowballing or I can learn from my last outing and go get an out here. So it was cool to have the guys behind me and the coaching staff as well.
How do you guys feel about what you've seen from him so far?
Yeah, pretty good, to be honest. Like, for making 3 starts in his big league tenure thus far, like, I thought he threw the ball pretty well on Saturday and kind of had just one pitch that Bo ended up taking out of the yard. So it wasn't, it could have ended up him going 6 shutout. I actually thought we were on track for that. It went a little bit differently. But, yeah, I think you've seen some flashes from him early on that look like a guy that, he hasn't gotten a ton of swing and miss yet, but there's a lot of guys around the league that make real careers out of being pitch to contact guys, and I think he could be something like that.
Is that who he was in the minors, though? Was he a pitch to contact guy?
More or less, yeah. Like, he can throw hard, but he was a pretty big, like he's talked about, kitchen sink type pitcher.
Kind of throws everything at you.
I've seen people throw out the comp of like Seth Lugo out there for him.
It'd be pretty good to have a Seth Lugo on your team. Yeah, more. I think my answer to your question would be, yeah, I've been impressed, especially after he had a rough spring. Watching him at spring training, and I know it's just spring training, he did not look ready for prime time this spring.
Well, he's up earlier than we expected.
And there was sort of the whole thing last year where, he was going to be a starter and then he was a reliever for a little while and then that didn't go all that well. And so I will admit to having like a little bit of, I don't know, concern just sort of heading into it. Maybe I was sort of expecting not a lot. I think he's pitched pretty well for a guy coming in to fill in for a few weeks. Am I comfortable now saying, okay, I'm ready to have Logan Evans in my rotation every day? Probably not yet. I still feel a little bit better about Hancock right now as your 6th guy, and if and when one of these dudes comes back, I would think Evans is probably the first guy to get sent down unless there's a DL situation for Bryce Miller or Luis. But yeah, I mean, credit to him. He's done a lot more than I thought he was going to, and I think that's nice. He gave him a chance to win that game. They just didn't take it.
All right, well, yesterday we already kind of touched on this and Need to Know. Bryce Miller continued with some of the struggles that he's had to find the dominance he showed last season. He gave up 7 runs on 8 hits through 5 innings. Dylan Moore hit his 7th home run of the season to tie it at 1-1 in the 3rd, but George Springer hit a 3-run shot off of Miller in the 5th that gave Toronto a 5-1 lead. Barger continued his ridiculous weekend with a home run, and the Blue Jays went on to win it 9-1. Bryce Miller said at the beginning of the game he felt the best he had physically in a while, but around the 3rd or 4th inning, that changed.
Like today, it felt good going into the game, obviously, and just kind of 3rd or 4th inning, kind of had some stuff that didn't feel good and didn't feel normal like I have in the past, and I don't know. I don't want to say too much on it, but just haven't been able to. In the past, it felt like get through 6 innings. It's a breeze. I feel as good as I do in the 6th as I did in the 1st, and it's been a struggle to have that feeling so far. So.
A little surprised to hear him talking about it at all, to be honest with you. I appreciate the honesty. God love him. I really appreciate him giving us sort of an insight into where he's at physically and how he's feeling. But I am a little surprised he's willing to do that. And there is a part of me that kind of just says, hey, man, either go on the IL or don't. Like there's this in between is probably not ideal, but the other side of it more, I think, is exactly what you said earlier, which is they can't afford to put him on the IL right now, right? Unfortunately for him.
Well, it just seems like the team's made that decision with a couple other guys, whereas Bryce maybe is kind of saying like, hey, I don't feel right, and they're not doing anything about it because they can't.
But I think he feels, I mean, look, with Logan, it's a forearm. You can't mess around with that. You got to immediately shut him down because Tommy John is a possibility. With George, he's been out for a couple of months, so clearly there was a legitimate problem with the shoulder. They had to shut him down. This is more, I don't feel right as opposed to I'm hurt. And obviously that, sometimes you got to pitch through those things. But he's getting now, I would say, to a point where, like, you're going to have to go one way or the other. Either, like, hey, man, sorry, you got to tough this out. Don't talk about it anymore. Like, I don't know what to tell you. Or go on the IL and get yourself right. And my guess is they're hoping that George comes back after one more start. You only have to have one more start from Bryce, and then he replaces, Kirby replaces Bryce in the roster for a little while, but I guess we'll see. I don't know.
Ugh. that's just, looking forward to seeing another step from him this year. Hopefully he starts feeling better, but yeah, that's not fun. What is fun is Mariners switch pitching prospect Durangelo Cincha threw 5 innings and tied his career high of 6 strikeouts on Saturday against the Tri-City Dust Devils. He has a 2.70 ERA with 8 strikeouts in 10 innings through his 2 starts in May so far. They were having him do a start and then pitch as a reliever and then do a start again, but apparently he skipped the reliever part this last outing because I think he did his longest career outings to start May.
Okay.
So they're changing things up a little there, but yeah, he's progressing nicely.
He is one of 9 Mariner prospects in the new baseball, MLB Pipeline rankings, top 100.
Wow.
They have 9 of the top 100. Think about that. Average team, there's 30 teams in baseball. You should have 3 to 4. They have more than double the high side. They have almost triple the number of prospects in the top 100 than an average team should.
And Baseball America has them with 9, too. It's pretty wild across the board.
Super wild. Now, they're not all top 5, top 10 guys, right? So you start looking at it, and there's a lot of guys kind of in the middle on there. But the good news of that is, of them, there are more guys that are rising because they're in the lower end of the minors rather than they're just sort of fringy prospects. So just quickly, Colt Emerson, 19, again, incredibly young for the league he's in. Laz, 36, also somewhat young for the league he's in. Cole Young, 43, hitting the heck out of the ball here in the last 10 games. Felnin Celestine, 64, low A, right? So he's going to move up these rankings quite a bit. Barely played last year. Harry Ford is okay, a little bit more of the fringy one at 67 and AAA, but then you jump back to Farmello at 82, who's been hurt for a year and is dominating. Look at the smile on Lyle's face right now. He loves Farmello.
I mean, dude's been back a week and a half and has 5 bombs.
Pretty good.
OPS is way over 1,200.
Arroyo.
I just want to say that the way Lyle did that just now sounded a little bit like, have you seen Ken Walker?
It did, yeah. There was a little have you seen Ken Walker do it. Michael Arroyo, 83, also at high A. And then Saintcha, high A, Sloan, low A at 92 and 96. The only guys on this list of the 9 if you just took out the guys who were above single A, you would still have 7 prospects on this list. The only people you'd be taking out would be Harry Ford and Cole Young. 7 of the 9 are in high A or lower. It's crazy. That's a crazy number of prospects. Oh, and by the way, they got the number 3 pick in the draft this year. Okay.
It's pretty exciting.
That's pretty good. That's a pretty good system you got brewing.
Do you guys want to go? So I went NHL playoffs instead of NBA because I figured that would be Salk's
Because you want to know more than just who hit a lot of threes yesterday?
We are going to talk about Derek Carr surprisingly announcing his retirement this weekend, but I think you guys have that coming up later with Brock, so we'll get into a little NHL playoffs. There was some weird stuff this weekend.
Yes.
The Golden Knights stunned the Oilers Saturday. That game appeared destined for overtime. It was at a 3-3 tie, but Vegas's Riley Smith hit a shot that bounced off of Edmonton goalie Leon Draisaitl's stick and into the net with 0.4 seconds left for the win. It was such a crazy sequence that no one knew if it went in or not in real time.
Able to skate it out of the zone. William Karlsson with 7 will chip it down the boards. There's nobody to help him. A centering feed. Here's Riley Smith. Wade shoots, hit the post. Oh, he hit the post at the buzzer.
Referee was right there. Garrett Rank, running way to end a hockey game if that's the case. And how he had the presence of mind to fake the shot with the clock winding down. Waits and waits and waits. And it goes off the camera, didn't it? It went off the camera in the middle of the net.
It went off Draisaitl's stick.
And then off the camera there.
After video
my, it's a
review,
goal.
At 0.4, the puck completely crossed the line. Goal.
Wow. Totally insane. Yeah, only Draisaitl's not the goalie, but he had a stick in there trying to get the puck. And just...
sorry, yeah, my bad.
It was insane. I was watching that live. I thought he'd hit the post. It went in and came out so quickly because it never actually got to the twine, right? It hit the camera that's in the net and immediately
it went in and
bounced
out
back
very quickly, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, watching it live, there's no way you could tell. There is no way you could tell watching it on TV. But obviously seeing the replay, it's clear as day. The puck goes in, it comes back out. They got, perfect imagery of it. You can't do that, man. That's a terrible loss for an Edmonton team that, like, you watch them when they're going, you're like, I don't see how this team can lose. And then, like, they just don't play consistently. I don't know. They just kind of let up. It's funny watching the two teams that I'm finding to be so opposite. I've been really enjoying the Western playoffs much more so than the Eastern. And I think Edmonton and Winnipeg are such opposites. Edmonton is star-studded at the very top, and then you just wait and see if the rest of the roster can hold on, right? Draisaitl and obviously McDavid and Kane and Nugent-Hopkins. Like, you got a couple of guys at the top. And then the rest of the team, you're like, I don't know. Like, there's not a lot there. I watch Winnipeg play, and I don't know if you're going to get to them next year. I mean, Hellebuck just has not been himself here in the postseason at all. But they are not star-laden at all. They're just solid from, like, top to bottom. And both teams are, like, good, but neither team are as good as it feels like they should be.
Yeah, and Edmonton still leads that 1-2-1, but it did kind of feel like they blew that at the end of the game.
Well, we'll see what the momentum looks like after that.
Yeah. As you mentioned, the Dallas Stars took a 2-1 lead over the Winnipeg Jets with their 5-2 win Sunday. There was some controversy, however. Alexander Petrovic scored a go-ahead goal in the third to make it 3-2, but it appeared that he may have kicked it in.
I mean, it doesn't seem like a big kick to me. I mean, it's an angle of the skate, but I guess by the letter of the law, it is kind of kicking. Finally have a verdict. I'm going to say goal.
After video review, the Winnipeg goalie puts the puck into his own net after a kick. It's a good goal.
So that's an interesting determination.
Yeah.
Decided it didn't matter that he kicked.
Yeah, it was just a bumbling play by Hellebuck, who then gave up another goal and another goal just a couple minutes later.
Well, 49 seconds later, Mikko Rantanen scored.
That was filthy.
He's had 7 goals in 4 games.
He's been unbelievable. So I'm going to make a proposal, and only hockey fans are going to care about this one way or another. They should take the kicking thing out of the rules. Just let him kick it in.
Oh.
I'm serious. I don't care. It happens so infrequently. And they never end up overruling things for a kick because you can turn your skate and this and that.
Sometimes it's obvious, but that's fair.
Just get rid of the rule. I don't think it matters. So they kick it in. Who cares? I've been watching hockey my whole life. I don't have an issue if somebody kicks it in. It'll happen 3 times a year? Like, who cares? Why is that not a goal? I understand that you can't hit it with a high stick and all the other ways they look for bad goals, but who cares if it's kicked in? It just doesn't bother me. Like, I don't know where the rule comes from that you're not allowed to kick it in.
Yeah, I definitely saw some fans complaining about it, but it's like then they scored the Rantanen goal and another insurance goal after that. So I guess you could argue it took away your momentum, but it's not like they lost by 1 goal.
No, it was not the difference in the game. To me, and clearly Hellebuck was he's not himself. He's just not himself.
Yeah.
He's not the same guy, and this is now like a couple of playoffs where that's been the case.
Well, knowing hockey, we'll find out he was playing with a broken leg.
Exactly.
The whole series or something.
Exactly. He's a hairline fracture and whatever. And his defense hasn't been as good in front of him. Not all these goals have been his fault, but I just get rid of that rule. Who cares? So he kicks it in. What's the difference? All right. Maura, we could go on forever, but thank you for a good look at the weekend.
Well, the other two, we can just say the Hurricanes shut out the Capitals 4-1. They have a 2-1 series lead there, and the Panthers shut out the Maple Leafs 2-0 Sunday, and that series is even now.
Yeah,
2-2.
Hockey postseason. If you guys haven't been watching the playoffs, they've been awesome. Honestly, every series that I've watched has been good. They all have great storylines, great players, awesome talent. I have just been completely enjoying it. No, you cannot bat the puck in with your hand, but you can't do that. You can't ever move the puck with your hand.
You can only bat it down.
Right. You can catch it and drop it or bat it down, but you're not allowed, especially in the offensive zone, it's a hand pass. So, no, you can't do that. But who cares if you kick in the hockey puck? Who cares? Like, I don't know. That doesn't bother me. It's just like that. You can turn your skate. You can angle your skate. The puck can go in off your skate. I think you're just giving sort of an unnecessary, judgment call. Just who cares? I don't know. It's never really bothered me. Anyway. All right. Brock is going to be in a moment. And yes, he needs to answer this question. What should Bryce Miller do? Or maybe it's what should the Mariners do with Bryce Miller? Because what we're watching right now is unfortunately not the guy, but it's not what he's doing, it's what he's saying that I think might be more concerning. It's next on Brock and Salk.
Wyman and Bob, afternoons 2 to 7.
Even the guys that if you look at their average and go, ugh, they're not off to a good start. Look at the on base. This team has been outstanding at working the pitcher, at taking walks. You look at Randy Arozarena, for instance. He's had huge hits. He's had some big moments that have been game-winning moments. But overall, he's not hitting that well. He's hitting 208, but he's got a 359 on base.
Dave Wyman and Bob Stelton, afternoons 2 to 7 on Seattle Sports, the app, YouTube, and your smart speaker.
We meet by accident, fixing every last bit, accurate auto body.
If you've been in an auto accident, you have the right to take your vehicle to any repair facility. Accurate Auto Body has been family owned and operated since 1994, and they work for you, not your insurance company. Your insurance company may not love them, but you will, because
We meet by accident, fixing every last bit, accurate auto body.
There's nothing better than having a big fish on your line. You'll hear that sound a lot at Queen Charlotte Lodge. Experience a luxury resort, breathtaking wildlife, spectacular wilderness, and amazing fishing at Queen Charlotte Lodge in British Columbia. Reserve now for peak king salmon runs and plentiful halibut this May and June. At Queen Charlotte Lodge, it's fishing first class. Go to fishqcl.com. That's fishqcl.com. And remember, our dollar is worth $1.40 north of the border.
Mariners fans, it's time to bring the noise to T-Mobile Park. This lineup is loaded up and locked in. From every moonshot.
Now Raleigh obliterates this. How far? Way back there.
To every how in the world did he catch that moment?
Up play. Air Williamson reels it in.
Be here as the squad shuts the door and lights the W.
Munoz looking for the final out. Here's the stretch, and that 2-2 on the way to Young. It is strike three called, and the ball game is over.
This is our house.
They're going crazy here at T-Mobile Park.
Mariners baseball. Tridents up.
Be here for this week's Mariners marquee matchup. Cal Raleigh and the crew are squaring off against Aaron Judge and the New York Yankees tonight and tomorrow at 6:40 and Wednesday afternoon at 1:10. Don't miss out. Go to mariners.com/tickets to lock in your seats for this AL East showdown at T-Mobile Park.
Hey, get in. What? Who are you? I'm future you. Constipation with belly pain still coming back? Yeah. Mia, our doctor figured it out. She said it's irritable bowel syndrome with constipation, or IBS-C, and Linzess could help you get ahead of it.
Linzess linaclotide is a prescription medicine that treats IBS-C in adults. It's not a laxative. It's a once-daily pill that helps you get ahead of your symptoms. It's proven to help you have more frequent and complete bowel movements and helps relieve overall abdominal symptoms, belly pain, discomfort, and bloating. These symptoms were studied in combination, not individually. Do not give Linzess to children less than 2. It may harm them. Do not take Linzess if you have a bowel blockage. Get immediate help if you develop unusual or severe stomach pain, especially with bloody or black stools. The most common side effect is diarrhea, sometimes severe. If it's severe, stop taking Linzess and call your doctor right away. Other side effects include gas, stomach area pain, and swelling. Talk to your doctor and say yes to Linzess. Learn more at linzess.com or call 1-800-LINZESS.
Hey, Riverside Roofing is offering $1,000 off a new replacement right now. That's huge. $1,000 off. Quite the incentive for homeowners to book their roof replacement right now. It's Mike Salk here, and it really is a great time to do it. These days are getting long, right? Sunsets after 8 o'clock. Crews can get your roof done quick. So take advantage now before demand spikes this summer, making those repairs costly and time-consuming as well. Here's what you got to do to claim your $1,000 off from Riverside Roofing. Book a free estimate from the website, riversideroofingllc.com. And then you'll meet with Brandon, that's Don's son. Just tell him you heard the message here on the radio station. $1,000 back in your pocket, and yes, a brand new roof over your head. And while you're there, ask Brandon about their 35 years of local experience, GAF Master Elite certification, which puts them in the top 3% of roofers in the nation, and of course the catch-all system, which they use to keep your yard and driveway totally free of debris like nails or shingles. Go to riversideroofingllc.com. Remember, Riverside Roofing is the roofing company you can trust.
trust.
Evan Cohen here. When the draft clock is ticking, you've got to pick the best talent, regardless of position, to fit your team's needs. Well, if you're hiring for your business, you want to find the best talent for any of your roles. That's why you need ZipRecruiter. ZipRecruiter's powerful technology hustles to find qualified candidates for your job immediately. And if you see a standout candidate, ZipRecruiter lets you personally invite them to apply. Try ZipRecruiter for free at ZipRecruiter.com/USL. That's ZipRecruiter.com/USL.
Adam Schefter here for Vivid Seats, the official ticketing partner of ESPN. Are you ready for the NFL season? The schedule release is coming, and we know the best place to get your tickets this year. My friends at Vivid Seats. They're seriously legit, and you earn rewards on every purchase. That's basically free football games. When that schedule hits, don't wait around. For the best selection and all the great deals, head to vividseats.com or download the app and lock in your game days now.
Let's go! This is Seattle Sports.
Streaming through the Seattle Sports app.
KIRO AM Seattle. KIRO FM HD2 Tacoma. Home of the Seahawks, Mariners, and everything Seattle sports.
This hour of the Brock and Salk Show is powered by Star Rentals, preferred supplier to the West's best contractors.
Give me a freaking auto! From the Quantum Fiber Studio, this is Brock and Salk on Seattle Sports.
Brock Ewert is my hero.
Jay Buhner just punched me in the kidney.
We're going to accuse you of manager.
Doesn't really work that way, Sherm. This is a show that has my name on it.
It kind of does, though.
Now here are your hosts, Brock Ewert and Mike Salk.
Hello!
I'm doing all right. That wasn't that fun a weekend.
No?
I mean, personally, I had a fun weekend.
I was going to say, you were at graduation?
I mean, I'll get to that later. I had a fun weekend. Woo! Salky would have loved the after party, too. Would have loved the little graduation reception. And I don't know how many keg push-ups you would have done or not. But
keg push-ups?
Well, keg standing and you're doing push-ups and on the keg. I don't know how many you would have got, but it was quite that was fun. I'll get into that later.
I've done some keg stands. Keg push-ups seem like an awful lot of work while you're doing the keg stand.
When you do the keg stand, then you do the push. You didn't do the push-ups one,
no.
two. No. Oh, okay.
No, you just do the keg stand.
You stood on your head like a goalie.
Well, I mean, you're not standing on your head. You've got your hands on the keg.
Correct. And then you don't do push-ups?
No.
I've
never seen the push-ups added to that.
Yeah, I guess that's
never really felt the need
it's
for
a difference
for
between
any
the
of that.
Pomona and the University of Montana.
Must be, one of the many. One of the many differences.
No, what was not too fun is just getting swept. You know my old line. I said in the second inning, just don't get swept.
Yeah.
Just like life is different if you just don't get swept. The standings are different. The record is different. If you just can find a way,
the vibe
either
too.
on Friday or Saturday, just don't get swept. Just find a way to get a win.
The vibe is very different, that's for sure. And we'll get back to the big picture of where they're at and kind of what this means for the team in general. But let me start with Bryce today, Brock, because this is sort of the story, and you were on this right from the very beginning with Bryce, and some of the concern you had right off the bat, I was not, and obviously now I've kind of come to join you. It's not just what we've seen, not just the 92 miles an hour he had on that pitch to Springer that was destroyed and crushed out of the ballpark, obviously. It's not just the inability to put guys away. He's getting the 2 strikes and then just doesn't seem to have a good way to get them out right now, despite all 7 of his pitches. So all of the kind of eye test and numbers are concerning, but I think I might be more concerned by what he's saying.
I don't know. It's been frustrating first 8 starts. I've had majority of the games where I haven't felt good, and I've had stuff, kind of nagging and lingering, and I think going into this week, it was more of a mentality change. Like, I felt decent, body-wise, but the mentality change was the main thing I was focusing on, and I think that in itself, it helped. This game's really, really mental, and especially, whenever you're struggling, it's hard to stay off of your heels, and I think the past few weeks I've been pitching on my heels. And
all right, what are you hearing?
I'm hearing you after the 9th hole at the home course, and instead of just being able to shut it down and go home, he's trying to find an answer. He's trying to push through and figure out what in the heck can I lean on, because it's a struggle. I mean, and I appreciate him. He is a little bit like you. I think he's more of a talker and a verbal processor.
processor.
Yes, he is.
Yeah.
Yeah, but you just hear a young guy. What do I hear? I hear a young guy that just is mentally and physically struggling. Where it came pretty darn easy the first couple years, and especially the second half of last season. He looked like he had this league whipped. And we say that football will humble you, baseball will humble you just as quickly.
For sure.
Even harder and even more because you got to sit on it, every fifth day. And this team is really relying upon you with obviously Logan and George out.
So let me throw out another possibility that's similar to what you said, but maybe just a little bit different. What I hear in that cut specifically is a guy who's having physical problems that he's trying to solve mentally. And I just don't know if that's a real thing. I appreciate it about him, but I hear a guy who's got a physical concern. I don't know exactly what it is. I don't even know if he knows what it is. If he does, he's certainly not willing to share it with us.
Well, we know we know it's his back.
It's a little back. Maybe it's a little shoulder, a little soft. I don't know exactly what it is. But yeah, probably starts with his back.
Mm-hmm.
But I hear a guy who's trying to get through that just with mental conditioning.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, it might be too serious for that. It might not be something you can just grit your way through. He gives a little bit more detail on how he felt during the game.
Like today, felt good going into the game, obviously, and just kind of third or fourth inning, kind of had some stuff that didn't feel good and didn't feel normal like I have in the past, and I don't know. I don't want to say too much on it, but just haven't been able to. In the past, it felt like get through 6 innings. It's a breeze. I feel as good as I do in the 6th as I did in the 1st, and it's been a struggle to have that feeling so far. So
clearly, he's just not right physically. The problem I think you run into is, okay, it would be nice to put him on the IL for 10 days or 15 days rather, and let him kind of collect himself and get that back in order and let it rest a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
Can they not afford to do that right now?
Who you calling up?
I think
Jonathan D.
That's sort of what you're left with. I mean, it would be nice if Kirby was back and ready to go, but he didn't have a great rehab outing over the weekend, and he's going to need at least one more start anyway, so you're looking at another 10 days minimum before you see George Kirby. Maybe it's 15, maybe more than that. We'll see. Logan Gilbert still hasn't thrown off a mound, right? I mean, like, you don't have a natural successor right now? Or even just another guy that you could bring up to make a spot start?
Well, I would think, Salk, as careful as they have been, if this is something that they believe, right? If they believe within their pitching staff and coordination, if they believe within their strength staff and coordination, just the way that they've kind of treated this, if they really believe that he was putting himself at risk of more danger going out, I can't imagine they're going to keep running him out, right? Or, this must be that old hurt versus injured. Right? Yeah, you're hurt. Your back is hurt. You got muscle spasms. You got this or that, but there's nothing there that is injured, to the point that you're going to come off this man. And I think he's got a little bulldog to him too.
He got a lot of it. I'm sure he wants to pitch through everything, and it may be a hurt versus injured thing. But at some point, it becomes just an effectiveness thing. I don't know that they're worried about him getting more hurt. I mean, that was clearly the case with Logan, right? You don't want a guy who's got an issue with his forearm to go out there and keep throwing, because now you got a Tommy John risk.
Yeah, but 35 strikes to 21 walks, 40 hits to 39 innings pitched. That's not Bryce Miller.
No, and a 92-mile-an-hour fastball that is getting destroyed by George Springer for essentially the game.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's not like tenable long term. So I don't know. I'm not going to sit here and be like, I either want him to go on the IL or be quiet about it. I appreciate that he's a verbal processor.
So he's just working it through with you.
I appreciate
you and him are just verbal processing it out.
Absolutely. I am a big fan of the verbal processor, and certainly it's the opposite of Dan Wilson, who don't want to say anything about anything ever. I mean, I can play you what he had to say about Bryce.
About
Bryce?
Yeah, about Bryce.
I mean, I'll play
Danny,
it for
what's
you.
Going on? Danny, what's going on with Bryce?
I'm not sure I even need to.
I thought Bryce was much more aggressive in the zone. I thought he attacked pretty well, and the secondaries were much better in the zone as well. Just got touched up by Springer there, to kind of put him ahead a little bit.
I mean, he gave up 7 runs, and he's got an ERA over 5. So, I don't know, man. I don't know I don't know their Dan's giving us the full picture.
Salk, he was more aggressive in the zone.
Yeah, but with 92 miles an hour, unfortunately, and Springer deposited it into the seats. So I don't know what the right answer is. Unfortunately, Brock, he's not the only one because we're seeing a velocity drop also on Luis Castillo, and he's not pitching the way you'd kind of need him to. And you add it all up, you get swept this weekend by a Blue Jays team that came in not playing particularly good ball, and that's not what anybody wanted to see. We'll give you some more details on it and what it means next. It's Brock and Salk, Seattle Sports on 710, seattlesports.com.
Wyman and Bob, afternoons 2 to 7.
Even the guys that if you look at their average and go, ugh, not off to a good start, look at the on base. This team has been outstanding at working the pitcher, at taking walks. You look at Randy Arozarena, for instance. He's had huge hits. He's had some big moments that have been game-winning moments, but overall, he's not hitting that well. He's hitting 208, but he's got a 359 on base.
Dave Wyman and Bob Stelton, afternoons 2 to 7 on Seattle Sports, the app, YouTube, and your smart speaker.
Guys, I'll never forget the first time I saw somebody get results at our clinic. He was an 81-year-old man who hadn't been intimate with his wife in over 8 years. Viagra had stopped working for him, and he was desperate for help. After several treatments, he walked into my office and told me he couldn't believe the results. Needless to say, this was a very happy man. This man made me a believer in what we do. He had taken pills for years, but he had never fixed the problem. When he came to us, we fixed the problem. Our treatment does what no pill can do. So give West Coast Men's Health a call today. Speak with our clinic manager. Ask him any question you like, how it works, the science behind it, and even the cost. Change your life today, like the thousands of men who already have.
With clinics in Redmond and Tacoma, call 206-519-6541. That's 206-519-6541. 206-519-6541. Online at westcoastmenshealth.com.
Hi, this is Nancy Penrose, owner of Big Trees in Snohomish. Spring has sprung. Need color to brighten up your yard or privacy trees to keep your neighbors guessing? Now is the time to buy. With hundreds of trees arriving in the nursery daily, Big Trees has the perfect tree for you. Check out our updated inventory list online at bigtreesupply.com or come visit the nursery today.
Comcast Business is celebrating Small Business Month by giving you a $1,000 small business bonus when you switch to a qualifying gig speed package from the company with over 99.99% network reliability. Just imagine the thousands of possibilities of a $1,000 prepaid card. Like possibility number 1, company merch for staff. Styling. Or possibility number 24, the latest software. Upgrade. Or possibility number 192, new equipment powered by gig speeds. Or possibility number 555, a 3D printer. Rapid prototyping, anyone? Switch to Comcast Business for over 99.99% network reliability, advanced cybersecurity, and now get started with a $1,000 small business bonus. Comcast Business, powering possibilities.
In 6/22/25, new customers only with 2-year agreement. Other restrictions apply.
Imagine finding your dream home and moving in right away. No waiting to sell your old place first. Sounds perfect, right? That's exactly what Orchard's Move First, Sell Later program lets you do. Buy your new home now and sell the old one later. Here's how it works. Orchard gives you cash so you can buy and move into your new home first on your timeline. No waiting, no showings, no double moves. Then the Orchard experts take it from there. They handle repairs on your old home for you so you attract the right buyers. Once they're done, a local Orchard agent lists and sells your home for top dollar. Orchard's Move First program gives you the freedom to buy and move into your new home first and sell your old home later. Buy before you sell and get top dollar for your home with Orchard. Ready to find out how much your home is worth? Visit Orchard.com to get your free home valuation. That's Orchard.com.
4 down territory, going inside the game with Michael Bumpus.
I like this. More quarterbacks should start doing this.
Every day at 11:15 and 1:15 on Bump and Stacy.
I'm attorney Rob Iddens, proud Marine Corps veteran and owner of Warrior Injury Law. We help all types of injury victims, like Alex. At just 16, she suffered trauma after a broadside collision with a delivery truck.
When I came in, they were so nice. They were just like, don't worry about anything. We'll take care of that. It's gonna be okay. Live your high school life. We got your back. And they did. I would recommend Rob because they have a passion for caring for people.
If you've been injured, call us at 253-WARRIOR. Warrior Injury Law. Battle tested.
Need a new roof but not in the budget? A new roof doesn't have to break the bank. Justin Shirley, CEO of State Roofing and Exteriors here. Right now, State Roofing and Exteriors is offering 0 down, 0 payments, and 0 interest for up to 24 months. That's 2 years with no payments while getting the protection your home deserves. But this offer won't last forever. Call 866-ROOF-ROOF or visit stateroofing.com today to get on our summer schedule now. State Roofing and Exteriors, held to a higher standard since 1968.
Well, this week's First Mark Challenge victory goes to Roger. Roger, why did you call First Mark Insurance?
Over the last several years, my homeowner's insurance policies just kept on going up and up and up. For years, it was $1,100. Last year, it was $2,500, and this year, $5,000. That's what got me to call First Mark Insurance.
Were they able to save you any money?
Absolutely. Within a couple of days, came up with a proposal that blew my socks off. It was an amazing amount of reduction in cost.
Did they improve your coverage while saving you all that money?
They did both. The coverage is better and the cost is substantially less. It's half as much as I was paying last year. We'll recommend First Mark to anyone who is looking to get better coverage at less cost.
Well, Roger did it, my family did it, and you got to do it, and it's totally free. Take the First Mark Challenge and see how much they can save you and how much better your coverage will get. Maybe you will be our next First Mark Challenge victory. Just go to firstmarkinsurance.com. First Mark Insurance. They work for you.
Need to know.
15 minutes past every hour with Brock and Salk.
Here's what you need to know. Up first.
Yeah, ugly weekend, rough weekend at T-Mobile Park. Mariners pretty soundly beaten in all phases of the game by a Blue Jays team that honestly was struggling coming in, right? Pair of 6-3 losses on both Friday and Saturday. Then you get the 9-1 job yesterday. Outscored 21-7 in what became a 3-game sweep, and none of the 3 starters were particularly great. Luis Castillo gave up 5 runs. Logan Evans was probably the best of the 3. He still gave up 3 in 5+ innings. And then Bryce Miller, we just talked about it for a while, gives up 7 runs yesterday. George Springer doing a lot of that damage.
The look in by Miller, and now the 1-1 to Springer. Swinging a well-hit ball deep to left field. Rosarena going back, stops, looks up, and goodbye baseball into the upper deck in left field. George Springer with his 5th home run of the season, a 3-run shot with 2 on and 2 outs. And the Blue Jays now lead 5-1.
Yeah, they would obviously tack on 4 more later. Dan Wilson knows it was a tough weekend.
Obviously a tough one today, and a tough series for us. But one of those series that kind of want to turn the page and move on. Tough one today.
Kind of double tough too, because you had over 30,000 right banging it out every game.
Yeah,
right. Which
he spoke to that. Let me quickly. Here you go. He spoke to that sort of coming home thing.
I mean, it's frustrating. I think we've played so well, and wanted to show the home fans that we were excited to be back home. But it was a tough series, and again, we got a lot more baseball ahead of us, and we got another series starting tomorrow, and we'll be ready to go.
Just didn't get that big hit. Was it Friday night or Saturday? Bases loaded, nobody out, kind of a chance to break that game open, a chance to get ahead, a chance to kind of ignite that crowd, and it just fizzled out into one of those bases loaded, nobody out, and no runs, and kind of emblematic a little bit of the weekend that you just didn't make the big plays, you didn't have the big hit. Toronto did. And is George Springer just one of those guys as well that we talk about the ups and the downs and the peaks and the valleys?
Yep. Some days he's unbelievable.
Goodness
Some days
gracious.
he's really struggling. You got to see kind of vintage Houston George Springer.
Yes,
Remember how good he was when he was in Houston? He'd lead off every game, and you're like, if you walk him, he's going to steal second and score. And if you throw him a pitch, he's going to hit a leadoff home run. Like, he was just insane.
Yep.
Yeah, you got to see a little bit more of that player, I thought, this weekend. Highlight for me, though, the only real highlight of the weekend, Leo Rivas. Scoreless inning in the 9th yesterday, not throwing more than 40 miles an hour. He manages to finish the game with a whip of 4. 4.0.
People say he studied Salk's form at the Everett Aqua
Kind of look like it. Kind of look like it. 40 miles an hour, lobbing it in. Brock, he allowed 4 base runners in the inning, but thanks to a double play, his ERA is 0, though his whip is 4.0. How about that? That was surprising.
Mike, that's just baseball.
That's just baseball for sure. Yankees in town for 3. They're red hot. Just took a series in Sacramento. They outscored the A's 30-11. They are hitting the baseball. Hancock, Wu, Castillo set to face them.
Here's the second thing you need to know.
So where are we at with reinforcements, Brock? Because it would be nice to get some guys back. George Kirby, he did start over the weekend, so that was the good news. Unfortunately, didn't pitch particularly well. He allowed 3 runs, 4 hits, 2 walks, struck out 5 over 3 innings.
Was this down in University Place?
I believe so.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah. In Tacoma?
Pitch.
Yeah. No, I understand, but
George, he will start tomorrow for Tacoma. He will need probably one more, not for pure pitch count reasons, just he didn't have a spring training. So the idea of going out there and not having experienced a lot of things that you would experience over a typical spring training and building up not just the ability to go throw 75 or 90 pitches in an outing, but then how that makes you feel and being able to repeat it the next time 5 days later is important. So the plan would be pitch tomorrow and then pitch one more time, and assuming everything goes well, then we would assess for it. But I do think it's making sure we do the right thing for George and getting him ready to go.
yeah, that's Justin Hollander, obviously, on Friday before the start. But, yeah, I mean, 55 pitches. He's going to need at least one more.
How about
and
Wednesday, May 21st at the Chicago White Sox? Does that sound decent? Get through this week, give them another start, say, on Thursday, Friday. How about a Wednesday, Mariners at White Sox, 12-10 first?
Certainly sounds like about the right timeline, something along those lines. So, yeah, we'll see. In terms of other updates, good news. Jackson Kowar, who we've never seen really pitch for the Mariners, had an excellent, perfect inning on Saturday as well. Touched 98 on his fastball. Logan Gilbert, hopefully going to throw off a mound in the next couple of days, sometime this week, and then we'll take it from there. Luke Raley is headed to Arizona to rehab his oblique, and hopefully more info to come in about 4 or 5 days on Victor Robles. He's going to have a CT scan, and then, yeah, that'll sort of set the course of action for a potential return for him.
Here's the third thing you need to know.
Hockey insider Frank Saravalli says he thinks Rick Tocchet, Brock, has interviewed and maybe even been offered the job here.
When it comes to Rick Tocchet, I think he's interviewed and been offered in Seattle. I think he's interviewed with the Flyers, if you even need one. I think the Pittsburgh Penguins are interested. I think the Boston Bruins are interested. I'm going to project that Rick Tocchet is on at least a 5-year deal and north of $6 million per year.
Yeah. Right?
Really?
Yeah.
He can talk it like that?
I mean, Rick Tocchet is a great player. I think we would both really like Rick Tocchet.
5 years, 30 mil?
I know.
Woo!
Yeah. For a guy who's got a 125, 131, and 34 record as a head coach, but with a lot of bad teams.
Remind me where he was at?
He started briefly in Tampa, then most of his time was spent in Arizona with really bad teams, and then has been in Vancouver.
Was he in Tampa, you think? Any crossover with our guy, Wiki?
I'm not sure. That's a good
right.
question. I don't know the dates on it. I have to go back and check, but I will check that for you.
I appreciate that.
The fact that he's been offered kind of makes me think he's not going to take it, right? Like, if it was going to happen, it would have happened by now. But if you remember him as a player, and you probably don't, Brock, nasty, physical player, goals, penalty minutes, just skill, toughness combination. That's like exactly what you would want the Kraken to have more of. What I'd really like for them to do is sign Rick Tocchet like age 27.
Abrasion, sandpaper.
He had a lot of that.
One of those guys.
He's a really good player. All right, that's everything you need to know. 15:15 every hour here on the Brock and Salk Show.
You got any rooting interest in these playoffs? Or you just kind of enjoying the games? Is there a team that you like? A team that you kind of?
I've been kind of rooting for both Edmonton and Winnipeg.
The
I would
Canadians.
say, yeah, 2 Canadian teams. I'm not going to root for the Maple Leafs. I'm not about to do that. None of the Eastern teams really intrigue me all that much, I will say. So yeah, I mean, I've been those 2 teams probably more than anyone else.
A quick question / maybe unpopular take.
Yes.
Okay, quick question.
Quick question.
Unpopular take. I totally understand celebrating high school graduations and totally understand gifts to kind of set them on their way to get off to college. And here's $50, here's $100, here's this, here's that. Like, I totally understand graduation gifts in high school.
Okay.
Graduation gifts in college?
Why not? Almost more so, I think that would make sense.
Really?
Yeah. I mean, you talked about setting someone up for the rest of their life. For the most part, you're going off for high school kids.
They've done that with their degree. Like, God bless them. Like,
but high school kids that are going off to college, like...
You think it's appropriate, like, collegiate graduation gift to high school, or even bigger for college graduation gift? Really?
Yes.
Oh, interesting.
Because then you're actually, like, going out to start a real life.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would say bigger gift. No?
I don't know. I'm a little torn on this one. Yeah, a little torn.
I don't know, man. I feel like that's sort of the
now,
time
obviously,
for
this
the big
one's
gift.
a little complicated as we're verbally processing this because, like, a month from now, we're throwing a pretty large wedding.
And that's kind of rare.
Yes.
Right? I mean, like, that's a unique Heward situation. I don't think that's... I mean, not like you're the only one in the world, but it's more rare. I don't know. Maybe we should ask Aaron Goldsmith about this. My guess is he has an opinion. He does on virtually everything else, and he's going to join us next on Brock and Salk.
Wyman and Bob, afternoons 2 to 7.
Even the guys that, if you look at their average and go, ugh, they're not off to a good start. Look at the on base. This team has been outstanding at working the pitcher, taking walks. You look at Randy Arozarena, for instance. He's had huge hits. He's had some big moments that have been game-winning moments. But overall, he's not hitting that well. He's hitting 208, but he's got a 359 on base.
Dave Wyman and Bob Stelton, afternoons 2 to 7 on Seattle Sports, the app, YouTube, and your smart speaker.
Hey, Mike Salk here. Let's talk a little bit about Eastside Weight Loss Clinic. Such a great plan, and it really does work. I've been in that maintenance phase again. I did hop back on a couple of weeks ago before the reunion, lost a quick 18 pounds just to put me exactly where I wanted to be. It works. It's easy. It's convenient. It fits your life. And then more than anything, it's just not that hard to do. I think that's what's great about it. The food all tastes good. It's real food that you buy at the grocery store. Great recipes. You're not hungry because there's enough of it. And it just teaching you how to eat it the right times, the right ways, and with the right preparation. And once you do that, the weight falls off. It's unbelievable. No pills, no injections, nothing scary. It's just real food that you're eating the right way. I did it. Worked for me. Ryan Roland Smith's doing it. He's lost 30 pounds. Heard from people in the building, listeners, advertisers, all sorts of folks who've texted in about how this plan has worked for them. It all starts with a 15-minute phone call. You can schedule it right now at EastsideWeightLossClinic.com. Dr. Ryan Coogan, D.C. Results may vary.
Jaden Schwartz for Techline Roofing. The ice may have melted, but spring is the perfect time for a new roof. Call Techline Roofing. Take advantage of our easy financing and our spring special. That's TEKLINE roofing.com.
Hey, Brock Heward here for my friends at PCF Group, or People Come First Construction Group, and that's exactly what they did when we made the call a couple years ago. We wanted to redo our outdoor space, wanted to add a deck, an outdoor living, a television, and a kitchen, and PCF Group, wow, they more than delivered. And if you're interested in building a stunning outdoor area like we did, I cannot recommend them enough. Reach out before the good weather arrives, and their schedule, well, it's going to fill up. So whether you're looking for a complete outdoor living space or a very specific project like an underdeck ceiling, deck, patio cover, railings, PCF has you covered. Design now and pay later. In fact, get 12 months, no interest and no payments, and up to $6,000 off and a $1,000 Amazon gift card. Request a complimentary design and estimate consultation at 425-629-8476 or project ideas. Explore photos at pcfgroup.com. That's 425-629-8476.
Goodbye, winter mud. Hello, dream yard. Spring is here. Synthetic Turf Northwest has you covered. No more soggy lawns or weekend yard work. Just green, clean, and ready for backyard barbecues, wiffle ball, or kicking back. Synthetic Turf Northwest, the area leader in synthetic grass, residential and commercial installs, plus turf supplies out of our Woodinville warehouse, and soon in Fife, right off I-5. Mention Seattle Sports and save up to $1,000 off your project. Visit syntheticturfnorthwest.com today.
Discover one of the new inventions in home comfort with mini split systems from Home Comfort Alliance. Enjoy efficient heating and cooling, saving energy and reducing utility bills. Call now for a free consultation and get 18 months same as cash financing. Visit homecomfortalliance.com.
Warmer weather, more sunlight, and your new car. That's right. At Toyota of Kirkland and Toyota of Renton, summer starts here. With their combined inventory of new, used, and certified pre-owned inventory, you're in for a summer to remember. Their fantastic teams will set you up with a test drive so you can ride off into that summer sun the same day. Summer starts here at Toyota of Kirkland and Toyota of Renton. Whether you're in the north or the south, they got you covered. Visit their incredible showrooms today or online at toyotaofkirkland.com and toyotaofrenton.com.
O'Brien. We are Seattle Sports, the home of the Seahawks, Mariners, and everything Seattle sports.
Watch your favorite show live at seattlesports.com.
We've all been there. Sleepless nights, mind racing, wondering if your business's security service is really protecting what matters. At Bay Alarm, we can put your security insecurities to bed. Video security, burglar alarms, fire alarms, access control, 24/7 monitoring, and more. Our advanced technology and personalized support ensure you can rest easy, knowing we're here for you, your people, and your business. Visit bayalarm.com to talk to a local security expert. Bay Alarm, we got you.
Michael Bumpus here, and golfers, how does a golf handicap level up your game? First, it levels the playing field so you can compete with golfers of any skill level. 2, shooting par isn't realistic for many of us, so a handicap can set achievable goals on your actual skill level. Lastly, tracking your progress helps you set goals towards improvement like I have. You can get a handicap index in 3 easy steps. Sign up for a handicap ID, post your scores, and after 3 18-hole rounds, you got it. To learn more, visit wagolf.org/710.
So I formed Davis Law Group about 30 years ago, and I would get, the same questions from people about what to do in the case of an accident. Do you need a lawyer? To the point where I decided that I would at least write a book which would answer the common questions that I would receive as a lawyer. Once I wrote my first book, it proved to be hugely popular. I decided to write then a series of books in different accident cases so that we could really teach people about their rights, how to protect them, and how to decide on whether they need a lawyer and what lawyer to hire. I've found in my career that having a client that is educated and knowledgeable about their particular type of case really helps the client and also usually ends up making the case or the claim more successful. To get your free copy of any of my Washington accident books, visit WashingtonAccidentBooks.com.
From the Quantum Fiber Studio, you're listening to Brock and Salk.
Weekdays 6 to 10.
On Seattle Sports and 97.3 FM HD2.
All right, not the weekend anybody was hoping for at T-Mobile, that's for sure, as the Blue Jays came in and kind of did some damage here to this Mariner team. Aaron Goldsmith got to call all 3 of those games, and he joins us right now. Good morning, Aaron.
Hey, good morning, guys. How you doing?
Doing pretty well. I think we've got you on video. Let's see if we can get... Oh, here we go. Yes, we're going to get Aaron on video here so we can see the beautiful coif. Oh, no, it's covered, sadly.
7:30 in the morning.
I know. You've told us before. That hat takes the early hours in order to make sure the hair really pops later.
I mean, the coconut oil and avocado mask doesn't go in until 11. Give me a break.
So let me ask we'll start with the big picture and then we'll start to dig into some of the more specifics. But what did we see this weekend? Was this the popping of a balloon, or was this just a little bump in the road?
Well, I guess we should start by saying they were going to lose the series at some point, right? Nobody wanted to see it come to the hands of a sweep, especially with kind of an ugly boat race of a game in the finale like it was yesterday. I mean, to me, it was pretty simple. Like, they just didn't score much, and they gave up a ton of runs. And if you do that to any team anywhere at any point in the season, it's not going to go well. So, I mean, the Mariners scored 3, 3, and 1 run, right? And that's not normally enough, even for the Mariners. That maybe in their heyday last year, that's a series win. But you roll the dice, and most times that's not going to yield great results. So the Mariners hit 2 home runs in that 3-game series? Is that right? And they were both solo home runs. So when I look at the offense, it's like when they were cooking, which was not that long ago, right? To be fair. they were getting men on base and they were hitting tanks. That's what they did really well, better than almost any team in baseball, and they did not do it in addition to not having great pitching, particularly starting pitching. So that was a problem.
I think after tonight, Aaron, will be just about at the quarter pole, right? 40 games into after the Yankees game tonight. Just big picture before, as Salk said, even the nitty-gritty with individuals. Just big picture collectively as a team at the quarter pole. How would you characterize this start?
I think the Mariners have had great surprises in some areas that have covered up other great surprises in other areas, right? They have had surplus in areas that have covered up deficiencies in others. And I think we all know what that is, right? The starting pitching, for a variety of reasons, has not been there. And the offense has. Now, to be fair about it, the Mariners' offense was really great last year at the end of the season, right? But you weren't exactly sure how that would carry over to this year. And that was fair to question and wonder about. September offense doesn't always carry over into April offense, but it did for the Mariners, and then some even. And for the pitching, I think it's fair to say, well, listen, they've been down Kirby all year, and they've been down Gilbert for some time now. And when he was there, he wasn't the same guy, right? The swing and miss was through the roof, but it was quality and not quantity for Logan Gilbert, which led to a bigger issue for the Mariners rotation of just simply not going deep. If you look at the rotation last year for the Mariners, there was no team that pitched as many starts of 6 innings or more than the Mariners. It was the Mariners and then a huge gap, and then everybody else. Over 100 games last year for the Mariners of at least 6 innings. This year, the Mariners going into yesterday were like 19th or 20th in baseball in starts of 6 innings or more. I mean, you basically went from, call it 60% of your games having length from your rotation to like 30-some% of your games having length from your rotation. And again, there are reasons for that. You don't expect Hancock and Logan Evans to go 6 or 7 like you do Kirby and Gilbert, right? Just like when Kirby and Gilbert were rookies, you did not expect that from them either. So there are different points in their career with different skill sets, to be fair about it. But the offense has been so incredible and has mashed so many home runs, specifically so many multi-run home runs. I think that's important to kind of hang on to, that it has covered up a lot of this other stuff, which is fine. Teams change and evolve and ebb and flow over the course of the year. And who knows how much longer that can continue at that pace. Maybe it does. Maybe it dries up a little bit. That's just kind of the fun of this game, and you got to kind of wait and find out.
Well, and then, you talked about the guys that are out of the rotation right now. Of the guys that are still in the rotation, there's some question marks there as well. And Bryce Miller, obviously, an ERA over 5 is not very Bryce Miller-like. Certainly not what I think anybody would have expected this year. Kind of felt like he was going to be the next guy to kind of propel himself onto the next level of starting pitching, but it has not gone that way. And I think maybe more concerning, the velocity hasn't always been there. And after each start, he just sort of sounds uncomfortable. Here's what he said yesterday.
I don't know. It's been frustrating first 8 starts. I've had majority of the games where I haven't felt good, and I've had stuff, kind of nagging and lingering. And I think going into this week, it was more of a mentality change. Like, I felt decent, body-wise, but the mentality change was the main thing I was focusing on. And
Aaron, I'm curious what you hear. I hear a guy that isn't right physically and is trying to solve or correct it mentally. I just don't know how that works.
Yeah, it's been happening enough now, and he's enough starts into the season that for me, it is concerning because there doesn't seem to be a clear path forward. Now, I agree. I thought Bryce yesterday did look better until that final inning for him kind of fell apart with the Springer home run. He was efficient. He was getting ahead with first pitch strikes like we know that he does so well when he is right. And he was getting back to the efficiency, 13, 15, 17 pitches an inning, and then he was getting off the field. Far better than his last start and some of his previous starts before that. But you're right. The Springer home run, I think, was like 92 point something miles an hour. Mm-hmm. I think for Bryce in particular, this is true for any pitcher, But I think for Bryce in particular, because his fastball is so unique and can be so special, even though he's got a wide bag of tricks that he can throw, I think when Bryce's fastball is 95 miles an hour as a floor, that's the separator for him. And they've done all the studies, right? It's not just a Bryce Miller thing. It's any pitcher thing. Like 95 miles an hour on the fastball is kind of the separator for, whoa, okay, there's something to that. Now, not every 95 is the same, let's remember. But for Bryce, when he's at 95, plus all the other clubs that he has in his bag, it's like, okay, this is going to be a long day for the other lineup. And we haven't seen that consistently. We haven't seen the mindset or the mentality. And we simply just haven't seen the command. Now, the command has been better the last 2 times. But he was a guy last year, as you guys know, who was pitching like a frontline starter who was your number 3? Your number 4, depending on how you want to pencil it out. And this year, he's not obviously pitched like that. To his great credit, he's been able to kind of smoke and mirror some things. And the baseline numbers, the back of the baseball card numbers, specifically the ERA, until just recently, has been very acceptable despite really struggling. And all that it's cost the Mariners generally has been another inning or 2 from the bullpen. But I don't know how much longer that can continue. And yesterday was a pretty good example of that.
You know, the great Salk is a verbal processor, Aaron. We've learned that over 16 years here in this market. One thing that I have always appreciated about him, though, and it's been pretty consistent, especially over the last decade, is with teams, he holds them accountable to be who you say you want to be. If this is your mantra, if this is what you say you want to be, then go out there and draft and have transactions and acquisitions, to go play that kind of style. We know, Aaron, that this is an organization that says throw strike 1. Be who you say you want to be. Throw strike 1. Throw strike 1. It's been at the very foundation of controlling the zone and their pitching and their dominance. When you kind of look at your next level stats with both the rotation and the guys in the bullpen, are they getting that done enough? And if not, why do you think that is here in 2025?
Well, it certainly hasn't been to the level of the last year or possibly even 2. I know it's been a little bit of a beat since I last looked at it from the bullpen, but the bullpen at one point was last in baseball at first pitch strike rate.
Yeah.
They very well could have improved since I last looked at it, and it wouldn't surprise me. The bullpen also has kind of changed from a standpoint of there's been a lot of ground ball pitchers in the bullpen this year as opposed to a ton of swing and miss guys. Mm-hmm. And that's been like, okay. I think any manager would love to have specifically your back 3 be more swing and miss guys than ground ball guys. And obviously Munoz kind of is the best of both worlds. It's impossible or nearly impossible to do anything other than a punch out or a ground ball the way he's been throwing it this year. He's been maybe the best reliever in baseball so far this season. But I do think that, like the offense, that can ebb and flow a little bit. It's probably... Not probably, I would imagine it is easier to have that as your kind of foundation or bedrock because, and we know this, the pitcher controls it, right? He's the one in charge. When you're the hitter, you're not. You're reacting. So I remember talking to Danny Farquhar about this kind of stuff last year, and he had a great line that I'll never forget, and it resonated with me. I don't know. I would imagine a lot of people would agree with it. He said, pitching is science and hitting is an art form, because we know this: when you pitch, if you release the ball at this angle with this spin, with this pronation, or whatever you want to dive into, the ball will move like this. I mean, we have all the data on it. But for a hitter, if you get off your perfect A swing, like the best swing you've ever had, you might swing a miss. You might clip it and foul it back, or you might hit a rocket right at the third baseman, right? Like the Mariners did Friday night. So pitching is a science and hitting is an art form. There's a little more space to color outside the lines maybe with hitting, because when you do it exactly right, that doesn't mean that the results will follow. And that's one of the beauties and one of the great frustrations of this game as well.
It's a great point. It's interesting. The best pitchers probably bring in a little bit of art to combine it, right, with all of that science. But I love the view on hitting, and I think it's a great look at how hitting is so much more reactive. You can't just go in with an approach and say, okay, this is what's going to work right now. It's got to adjust sometimes even over the course of the at-bat. And I wonder if that's where some of the success has come for the Mariners. I mean, it's funny. You bring up the walks and the home runs. Clearly, the big things have been there for them so far this year. What kind of a role do you think the rest of it has been, the sort of two-strike battles and other things the Mariners have done besides the walks and the home runs?
I think it's definitely been a part of the formula for the Mariners this year. And you can point to or circle games on the calendar, even recently, like in Sacramento against the Athletics, where the Mariners have found a way to be pesky and to get in good counts and string together hits and battle with two strikes and use the whole field and like all the things that you would champion if you are Kevin Seitzer and Edgar Martinez. And they have been much better at that. There's no question. That being said, like, they hit home runs. Like, I mean, like, there's always a reason. There's always more than one reason why a team is good, right? And just look at it from a lineup. Like, you want a lineup that does more than just one thing. If all you had were 9 Joey Gallos, you'd have a really bad lineup. And if you had 9 Leo Rivases, that probably would not be an ideal lineup, right? But guess what? You want somebody like a Gallo with that kind of power, and you definitely want somebody like a Leo Rivas who's got a great strike zone, who gets on base, who can use the whole field, who can battle, who's just kind of annoying and will drive up a pitch count. Like, you want them both.
Oh, I thought you meant you wanted Rivas on the rotation after what you saw yesterday. I thought that was more of an arm that you were looking for.
Well, he does it all. See, and you want that for your whole team, right? And so the Mariners have, early on this year, they have found great success by getting on base and by hitting home runs. I was looking at it going into Game 2. Let's see if I can explain this well. This will be a good test for tonight. Going into Game 2 in Arlington. All right, so you're coming off of the, what was it, a 13 or 14-1 drubbing to begin the road trip against the Rangers. Remember, Cal hit the grand slam and the other home run as well. So going into Game 2, the Mariners had the second most multi-run home runs in baseball. Okay, they were tied with the Dodgers. They had more than the Yankees. Since Game 2 in Arlington, they have won. It was Rowdy Tellez's 3-run home run in Sacramento, which was a huge home run and helped spark a come-from-behind win and a series win against the Athletics. They have won in their last 8 games, and they are 3-5 in their last 8. Now, is that the only reason why they're 3-5? No. They've given up 8, 7, 6, 6, and 9 runs in their 5 losses. But the Mariners had the knockout blow a lot of nights. And you know what that did? It prevented them from facing the guys that they had to see in the first 2 games out of the Blue Jays bullpen more times than not. They didn't face the Jimmy Garcias. They didn't face the Hoffmans or the Littles, who made everybody swing and miss from the left side. Like, the Mariners never face Aroldis Chapman in Boston, right? Like, you go back, you look at these series, and you're like, man, you're facing the B side of a bullpen a lot. And what are you doing to that? You're beating them up even more, and you're extending leads. And when they haven't had that knockout punch at some point before the 7th inning, now you got to face those guys. And look at any team, and the Mariners are included. When the Mariners are rolling in their bullpen, what do the numbers say when you have to face Spire, a healthy Matt Brash, and Andres Munoz? Right. What do the numbers say?
Good luck.
The Mariners are 80-1 when those 3 guys pitch, right? Well, it's true for every other team. They all have their Spire, Brash, and Munoz. And the way you don't face them is you knock a 2 or a 3-run homer at some point before that 7th inning, and they don't see the field. That's what the Mariners did so incredibly well, and still have a chance to continue to do that. It has been a little bit of a blip of call it a week.
Who are you hanging out with tonight? It's your rotating cast of characters. So who's hanging out with you for the next 3 games?
You know, I'm going to go TBD because, poor nobody wants to work with me anymore. They've all like, I'm out. Poor Angie, man. She rolled in the other night and sounded like Ursula, and she tried to get on the air.
Okay, well, that's a non-starter.
So we had Hyphen come in the last couple of days, and so we'll see how everybody.
Okay, who's it supposed to be? Angie tonight?
I believe so.
Okay, I like that Aaron doesn't even know. He's just like, hey, whoever shows up to work with me is fine.
It's way more fun that way.
I totally
you would do the same way.
Absolutely.
You're stuck with Brock most days. That's your problem.
I know, it is very sad.
The better question is really, what are you going to do to Simsy tonight? Do we light his shoe on fire?
Yeah.
Do we rub some sardine oil on his mic? What are we doing to Simsy tonight?
Hey man, I just hope he walks into the right booth. I don't know, and the right clubhouse. You know, he might try to cozy up in my chair now.
I don't know. I think he seems pretty happy where he is. This is a kind of a dream come true for that guy. All right, Aaron, thank you. We got to run, but we appreciate it. Great to catch up with you this morning. Have fun with whoever shows up tonight and whatever Mariner team shows up tonight. We'll see. Thanks, man.
All right. Thanks, guys.
All right, there you go. Aaron Goldsmith, of course. Great job on Root Sports. And the homestand does continue this week. 3-game series against the Yankees. You got special theme nights, giveaways. Each game is a can't-miss event. Brock fans can purchase tickets for all those games during the homestand at mariners.com/tickets. Let's do some Blue 88.
This is Brock and Salk's Blue 88. Blue 88! Blue 88! We take you to the field as Brock Ewart breaks down 3 football questions as only he can.
Now here's your hosts, Brock Heward and Mike Salk.
Brock, this says, Salk, you should work with Goldie tonight. I've never been asked.
Well, I don't think you could make it. I mean, based on those 10 minutes, your neck wouldn't make it. You're nodding along the whole time.
I was nodding. I like a lot of what Aaron had to say. There was some boy howdy nodding. I wouldn't say anything on the air, just nod.
I don't know. I played my one inning. I worked with Goldie in spring training.
Right.
I thought I was pretty dang good.
You sit down.
You sit down.
All right, question number 1 for you, Brock. It's been, 2.5 weeks now since the draft. What do you need to see? What do you need?
Yeah, you know, if I could go in that war room, and I'm sure they whitewash that sucker, they spray it down, pressure wash it. I mean, you know, it's days after. They don't want anybody to know their secrets. But if I could have gone in and taken just a snapshot and seen 2 areas specifically, when they were on the clock there at pick number 50, what else was going on? How close was Tate Ratledge? How close was another lineman? How close were they to trading down, right, and getting, you know, one of those picks back that they traded to come up and get Eman Wari, right? And if so, what kind of corners maybe would have been in that late second or early third? Like, that's the one area of this draft. I don't have much doubt about where they graded Zabel and Booker and Big Jonah and those guys, nor what they thought of Eman Wari. But once you got to Arroyo, which makes him, I think, one of the more fascinating guys to watch. As you said, kind of feels a little boomer busty just because, not busty, bust, because of where he sat there and the other possibilities. The second area I would have liked to have seen, how close was Milroe to some of these other QBs? You know, I know they liked Shuck in New Orleans, who now looks like he's going to be the starter with Carr retiring. Like, where did they have Milroe graded compared to Dart and compared to Shuck and compared to Shedeur Sanders?
Yeah.
Like, that would be, to me, a pretty fascinating sight to see after the fact of exactly where he fit with those other guys in his class.
All right, question number 2. So you're reading Belichick's book, huh? You feel a little dirty about it.
I did.
All right, well, what stands out?
$35. It's going right in Jordan's pocket.
Jeez. I don't know if the whole thing is going in her pocket, but she was busy. She had the
She bought
Miss
3
Maine
houses
thing.
with his money.
She came in 3rd, unfortunately. She was the 2nd runner-up for Miss Maine.
She was 2nd runner-up for Miss Maine?
Yeah, this weekend.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, is that why Bill was watching the...
I would assume so. I mean, I don't know why Bill does what he does, but she was competing to be Miss Maine, and she came in. She was the 2nd runner-up.
Yeah, I paid $35 at the airport to buy The Art of Winning. I felt a little dirty doing it, but I am a couple chapters in, and I just can't get away from this thought. Man, Mike McDonald's got a lot of Bill Belichick when it comes to the processing. When you just read these first couple chapters, Salk, and the first one, actually, it's kind of in backwards order. It's about the big games and the big moments and the Super Bowls and the process that goes into those and how strict you have to be to that process as if it was preseason game number 1. Those things do not change. But honestly, just kind of reading, and you feel Bill's voice in this, right? I know he didn't write the thing specifically. He had his ghostwriter working with him, but you do feel Bill's voice. And a lot of Bill's voice, I hear a lot of Mike McDonald.
Yeah. There's some similarity there.
They're really, and I know you sat with Bill for a year.
Yeah.
One of your favorite years of interviews. With
Sure.
Bill.
It's really great.
Yes,
Like, do that again. Possible.
And you know how challenging it was to kind of just, can we get outside? Can you story tell? Can you? No, because that's all noise. And especially in season, I'm not dealing with the noise. Let other teams deal with all the noise and let them be one of the 25 or 32 that can't compete with the 7 who can streamline and avoid that. And man, honestly, there is a lot of Mike McDonald and Bill Belichick.
All right, question number 3. I'm curious your answer to this because most of the lists I've seen for the Seahawks, at least in terms of where the league views them, have not been great. What are the encouraging signs?
The encouraging lists are top running backs of 2026 free agent class. Oh, there's Ken Walker. Top right tackles in 2026 class. There's Abe Lucas. Top edge rushers in 2026 class. There's Boye Mafe. Top safeties in the 2026 class. Kobe Bryant cracks that list. So in just about every one of these, too early to look at 2026 free agent classes by position, you know what you see, Salk? A Seahawk, a Seahawk, a Seahawk, a Seahawk. So kind of signs that point to how in the world can this be a team at 18th or 20th when those players, those ascending players going into their contract year are viewed around the league as some of the top free agents to be? To me, that was a positive sign moving forward.
All right, there you go. That is today's Blue 88. Yeah, is that supposed to be a play on Sun Tzu? I know that Belichick's a big Art of War fan,
Right.
So does that factor into the book?
Not yet, but
Okay.
I bet.
Or is it more of an Art of the Deal ode? I don't know.
Oh,
I mean, a couple of famous books that start with art that have had.
Didn't Mike Leach teach about the Art of War?
I think
he was so
did.
enamored with that philosophy that he actually taught a class over there.
Yeah,
Was it?
well, I
Yeah.
know Belichick's big into it also. So one of the many similarities between Bill Belichick and Mike Leach. All right, coming up next, Brock, what do we make of this letter? Not a scarlet letter, but a letter sent to every season ticket holder that seems to be dividing the region. It's next on Brock and Salk.
Wyman and Bob, afternoons 2 to 7.
Even the guys that if you look at their average and go, ugh, they're not off to a good start. Look at the on base. This team has been outstanding at working the pitcher, taking walks. You look at Randy Arozarena, for instance. He's had huge hits. He's had some big moments that have been game-winning moments, but overall, he's not hitting that well. He's hitting 208, but he's got a 359 on base.
Dave Wyman and Bob Stelton, afternoons 2 to 7 on Seattle Sports, the app, YouTube, and your smart speaker.
Pacific Lamp and Supply Company has been your #1 lighting specialist in Washington from the Space Needle in Seattle all the way to the Riverwalk in Spokane. With the largest lighting inventory in Washington, Pacific Lamp's knowledgeable and experienced staff can assist with any lighting issue, including intricate lighting and control designs. Plus, they work with all utilities in Washington to get you the best available lighting rebates. Pacific Lamp and Supply Company, Washington's lighting experts since 1912. Visit pacificlamp.com.
Warmer weather, more sunlight, and your new car. That's right. At Toyota of Kirkland and Toyota of Renton, summer starts here. With their combined inventory of new, used, and certified pre-owned inventory, you're in for a summer to remember. Their fantastic teams will set you up with a test drive so you can ride off into that summer sun the same day. Summer starts here at Toyota of Kirkland and Toyota of Renton. Whether you're in the north or the south, they got you covered. Visit their incredible showrooms today or online at toyotaofkirkland.com and toyotaofrenton.com.
O'Brien.
Confidence is knowing you're ready to handle whatever comes your way. That's what it feels like to take on your workday with Cintas. They make sure your AEDs are up to date, your fire extinguishers are tested and inspected, your floor mats are cleaned and delivered, and your workwear looks good, feels good, and is freshly laundered with the Cintas Apparel Plus program. So are you ready to take on today? Visit Cintas.com.
Oh, I'm ready!
And get ready for the workday.
Lowe's knows a thriving yard starts with quality care. Right now, get Miracle-Gro 3/4 cubic foot all-purpose garden soil for just $2. Was $4.58. Plus, get a free Select Ego 56-volt trimmer or blower with the purchase of a Select Ego 56-volt mower. The best yard starts with the best deals. Lowe's, we help, you save. Valid through 5/14. Excludes Alaska and Hawaii. Selection varies by location while supplies last.
Get ready for Camping World's Red, White, and New Trade event, May 15th through the 18th. Get the highest value for your RV guaranteed during the biggest RV trade event of the year. Shop the best RV deals in America with new RVs starting as low as $92 a month. Get ready for the holiday weekend with up to 45% off grills and 25% off product installation. Plus, we'll have free hats, free propane refills, free food, and fun for the whole family. Don't miss the incredible Red, White, and New Trade event, May 15th through the 18th at your local Camping World.
See with the full details and disclaimers.
Did you know your skin is the largest organ of your body? That's why you should shower with Old Spice Super Hydration Body Wash instead of plain old bar soap.
Love your skin by super hydrating it with vitamin B3 and glorious notes of vanilla and shea. Did you know that my super hydrated skin is the second largest organ of my body? The first is my heart. Old Spice. Men have skin too. Old Spice Super Hydration Body Wash. 24/7 renewing moisture. With daily use.
Something amazing is happening in business. More companies are turning to Mac. From finance to fulfillment, CDW will seamlessly support Mac integration into your organization. With the power of Apple Silicon, best-in-class security, and compatibility across your favorite apps, your team will have the performance they need and the tools they love. Make amazing happen. Mac and CDW. Learn more at cdw.com/Apple.
Adam Schefter here for Vivid Seats, the official ticketing partner of ESPN. Are you ready for the NFL season? The schedule release is coming, and we know the best place to get your tickets this year. My friends at Vivid Seats. They're seriously legit, and you earn rewards on every purchase. That's basically free football games. When that schedule hits, don't wait around. For the best selection and all the great deals, head to vividseats.com or download the app and lock in your game days now.
Imagine finding your dream home and moving in right away. No waiting to sell your old place first. Sounds perfect, right? That's exactly what Orchard's Move First, Sell Later program lets you do. Buy your new home now and sell the old one later. Here's how it works. Orchard gives you cash so you can buy and move into your new home first on your timeline. No waiting, no showings, no double moves. Then the Orchard experts take it from there. They handle repairs on your old home for you so you attract the right buyers. Once they're done, a local Orchard agent lists and sells your home for top dollar. Orchard's Move First program gives you the freedom to buy and move into your new home first and sell your old home later. Buy before you sell and get top dollar for your home with Orchard. Ready to find out how much your home is worth? Visit Orchard.com to get your free home valuation. That's Orchard.com.
This is Seattle Sports.
Streaming through the Seattle Sports app.
KIRO AM Seattle. KIRO FM HD2 Tacoma. Home of the Seahawks, Mariners, and everything Seattle sports.
Give me a freaking auto!
From the Quantum Fiber Studio, this is Brock and Salk on Seattle Sports.
I don't read the internet, guys.
Take the bull by the hands.
And Brooke, you are. And Brooke, you are.
Now here are your hosts, Brock Eward and Mike Salk.
All right, let's see. 30 minutes from now, Brock, I've got numbers from one of your favorite people that we'll
I do
dig
too.
into.
I do
really?
too.
We're gonna swap numbers?
Yeah, yours are a little different than mine. I reached out to Lukey to see some stuff.
I just have public numbers. Public numbers.
Yeah, I got private numbers.
All right, well, I'll go with
private.
the public numbers. You can go with the private numbers, and we'll see where all of that leads. That's coming up in 30 minutes at 8:30. This story came out, Friday, I think it was? The Seahawks sent out this email or this letter to season ticket holders, giving them notice to let them know that their renewal eligibility could be impacted if they are primarily using their tickets for resale purposes. So essentially trying to crack down on anyone that is just using their season tickets to make money.
Right.
Here's what it says. I'll read it to you and then we can start to react. But it says, we're happy to provide the ability to resell your tickets through the NFL Ticket Exchange. While occasional resale is permitted, renewal eligibility may be impacted if it is determined that your tickets were primarily used for resale purposes. At the conclusion of each season, accounts that resell a majority of their season tickets will be contacted and given an opportunity to respond before any renewal eligibility decisions are made. What do you think of this?
I had no problem with it. A lot of people did. In fact, the great Grosfather. Did you see the Grosfather's response?
He said
on
something
Twitter?
like, this is what bad organizations do or something
I'm
like
sure
that.
This will not be a popular take, but I think this is bull bleep. It's what losing teams do, among other things. Now, Gras got a lot of wisdom.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, he got decades and decades and decades and decades and decades of wisdom of being in sports and sports radio and watching good organizations, Salk, and watching bad organizations and the way they handle business. And in his estimation, this is what losing organizations do. And I can kind of understand that. Yeah, I can kind of understand that. I think this comes a little bit from the other direction, though, to me. And that is we would rather, that seat be empty if it has to be, than it is from somebody that's just trying to game the market, and make money through, the buying and selling of these tickets.
Right. I wonder how many teams have now some sort of rule like this. And I probably should have done that research ahead of time.
Why didn't you do that ahead of time? I mean, you knew we were going to talk about this.
Well, I didn't think about it until right now. I'm sorry. I should have. I apologize. You didn't do it either. Let me see what I can find out, but because I am curious.
Salk, I'm the co-pilot. I don't know how many times I've
you don't
told
need
that.
to do the research. Sorry. Okay, good. Lucky me. Because I didn't bother me either.
Did it bother you at all?
No, not even a little bit. Like, okay. I was actually pretty surprised when I saw this. I saw the same thing you did from Gras. I was like, huh. I mean, I guess I get it. Like, sometimes that happens in, like, you start trying to limit who you're selling to, and you get visiting fans that take over this and that. And if that's what the Seahawks are up to, yeah, I think that does
that's what it is. I mean, Bills Mafia came in here and owned the place. The Steelers, the year before that, came in with their terrible towels and owned the place. Right? I think this is a direct reflection of that. That too many of the Packers came in here and turned it into Lambeau West. So just over the last 2 years, we have seen some of the strongest fan bases come in here. And I know that our buddy, the Hawk blogger, tried to kind of, just from his own, this is kind of private world, be like, hey, sell the tickets to me or sell it to some Seahawks fans or, to this group and let us then distribute them and get them to other Seahawks fans so they don't fall in the hands of every cheesehead and mafia member and Steeler that wants to come in here and just dominate the stadium the way they have over the last year and a half.
But I don't think that's necessarily what they're saying here. I get that may be appearing that way, but this isn't we have an issue with you selling one or two tickets. This is, to me, trying to shut down for-profit businesses, essentially, that are just using their season tickets. If you go to 6 games but sell the Bills and Packers, you're not going to show up on this.
Right.
That's not an issue. This is if you start selling 5 of your 8 games or 9 games or more, and then they're going to look at you and say, hey, you're turning this into more of a money-making venture. So, yeah, if they were looking at it and saying anybody who sells outside the demo, outside the zone or whatever it is, outside the market, I think I would be there with you.
Mm-hmm.
But this is essentially, hey, we're not going to sell tickets to people that just want to make money off the tickets. We want to sell tickets to fans.
Mm-hmm.
So I actually don't, in theory, have much of a problem with this. Now, maybe I'll learn more find out that
I think some would say, maybe even the Gras would say, well, this is how it starts. This is a little bit of the creep.
All right, maybe.
Right? This is a little bit of the creep that, hey, you can sell 1 or 2, but, and then all of a sudden they're finding success with this or what have you, or there's still Lambeau West, and it's still Mafia West, and it's still Pittsburgh West, and it's like, yeah, you don't have the right to do that.
Yeah, I agree. I think that ultimately winning solves that problem, turning it into turning it into the scene that it was 8-10 years ago.
Yeah.
You have the ability to make that change, but if all you're doing is trying to limit other people making money off your product, I don't have a problem with that. Why should somebody else make the money off the Seahawks tickets?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, like that's
how's that text toy responding? You got any people there on either side?
A little of both. Let's see, 425. How about win at home? They were embarrassing at home last year. They were far better on the road. Yes, totally. Yeah. But that's not what this is about. Salk, of course, this doesn't bother you. You're in position to get tickets to whichever Seahawks game you wish to attend. Put yourself in the shoes of a fan on the wait list to purchase season tickets to attend games, not to make supplemental income. Well, then this helps you.
That's right.
Yes, all right. I just put myself in your position. You should love this, you moron. This is for you.
Hey, easy.
This is for you. This helps you.
I'm doing this for you.
This is the people. They're trying to get rid of the people who are just making money by selling them all to help you.
That's right.
Oh, my gosh. And you're mad at me.
Was
Dear
that the
God.
509? What was that?
Of course
Who are
it
you-
was.
Oh, you're just yelling.
Of course it was. Of course it was the 509.
I tried to do a quick search to see other teams. The Lions are doing something similar where it's if you primarily sell them. The Packers will refuse to renew your tickets if you sell 100% of your seats for multiple years.
It's a chump move by the Hawks, says the 253. If I want to sell my tickets, then I can. Well, no, you can't. Actually, they're saying you can't. Are they cool with providing a way to sell tickets because they make more money off them? Yeah. They're their tickets. They don't want you to make the money. You haven't gone out and
Oh, be careful there, because I think the fan then would say they're not their tickets. I bought them. I'm their customer. They're now my tickets.
Yeah. They're your tickets, but they come with a lot
I'm
of
the
rules.
customer, right?
Comes with a lot of
I'm paying
rules.
good money. These are now mine. You sold me the product. It's now mine.
And they're saying you can absolutely sell a couple of those tickets, and if you need to make some money back, you can do that. They're not cracking down on saying nobody can sell tickets for a profit.
Right.
They're just saying you can't sell the majority of them. You can't be in the business of using our product to make money. You can supplement, you can sell some, you can do this and that, but we don't. They're trying to get rid of essentially the businesses that have driven up the prices in a lot of ways. I think this is good for everybody, to be perfectly honest. I don't really have a problem with this at all. And if you are essentially what they're doing is moving on from ticket vendors. Okay, well, if that's who you are, I don't have a tremendous amount of sympathy for that. Yeah, if you're selling 1 or 2 tickets a year to help fund the rest of your games, you're fine.
Yep.
If you're selling 3 tickets a year to help fund the other 5 or 6 games that you're going to, you're fine. But if you are selling the majority of your tickets to try to just make money off this deal and maybe only going to 1 or none of the games, then yeah, I have no problems with them saying tough noogies. You can't come to the games.
And hopefully it opens up those folks like that great 509
Absolutely.
on the waiting list who want to be there, who want to get in, who have been waiting and waiting and waiting for their opportunity
100%
to buy those seasons.
Yeah, so I think it's actually a pretty good thing. I would tend to disagree with the people upset about this one. So anyway, we'll see where this goes, and we'll find out a little bit more info on how many others have this around the league. All right, coming up next, Brock, we'll give you guys everything you need to know, and then a war on numbers after that. It's Brock and Salk, maybe with numbers, here on Seattle Sports on 710.
Wyman and Bob, afternoons 2 to 7.
Even the guys that, if you look at their average and go, they're not off to a good start, look at the on base. This team has been outstanding at working the pitcher, taking walks. You look at Randy Arozarena, for instance. He's had huge hits. He's had some big moments that have been game-winning moments, but overall, he's not hitting that well. He's hitting 208, but he's got a 359 on base.
Dave Wyman and Bob Stelton, afternoons 2 to 7 on Seattle Sports, the app, YouTube, and your smart speaker.
Beyond your wildest dreams.
Rom-coms, slasher-coms, space operas.
Free to fill your feed with impossibly chonky chonkers.
Cats, corgis, babies on demand.
Free to make your smart devices do silly things.
Bowl of chips on the Robo-Vacuum.
Free to open a world of remote work and Gametopia.
Who's the boss now?
Free to be everything you imagine. That's how it feels to have Quantum Fiber Internet. Your world unleashed. Learn more at quantumfiber.com.
Limited availability, service in select locations only.
Saving for retirement was tough enough for us.
Yes, and navigating markets can be challenging at times.
I understand. That's why at Fisher Investments, we take a disciplined approach with your investments.
Tell us more about that.
We take an active approach to money management, positioning your portfolio for opportunities we see ahead.
So all your clients get the same portfolio?
No, we tailor your portfolio to your individual goals and needs.
What about communication? We don't like being left in the dark.
We check in regularly to keep you informed on the markets and your portfolio.
Which means you'll help us stay on track.
Yes, our goal is your comfortable retirement. And as a fiduciary, we always put your interests first, because we do better when you do better. At Fisher Investments, we're clearly different. Learn more at FisherInvestments.com.
Investing in securities involves the risk of loss.
Mariners fans, it's time to bring the noise to T-Mobile Park. This lineup is loaded up and locked in. From every moonshot.
Now Raleigh obliterates this. How far? Way back there.
To every how in the world did he catch that moment?
Up play. Air Williamson reels it in.
Be here as the squad shuts the door and lights the W.
Munoz looking for the final out. Here's the stretch, and that 2-2 on the way to Young. It is strike 3 called, and the ball game is over.
This is our house.
They're going crazy here at T-Mobile Park.
Mariners baseball. Tridents up.
Be here for this week's Mariners marquee matchup. Cal Raleigh and the crew are squaring off against Aaron Judge and the New York Yankees tonight and tomorrow at 6:40 and Wednesday afternoon at 1:10. Don't miss out. Go to mariners.com/tickets to lock in your seats for this AL East showdown at T-Mobile Park.
Subscribe to the Seattle Sports YouTube page to find new and exclusive content from your favorite shows and personalities daily. Just head to YouTube, search Seattle Sports, and click subscribe.
G. Scott here with former Seahawk Doug Baldwin. Tell us about Nourishing Champions.
We know the benefits for young people in sports, but we often don't think about the barriers, and one of those barriers is having proper nutrition. So Nourishing Champions, in partnership with Champions of Change and Safeway, is an effort to address those barriers so that our student athletes have what they need to excel both on the field and in the classroom.
High schools can apply for grants up to $25,000 from Nourishing Champions. Learn more at championsofchangefoundation.org/Nourishing Champions.
Hey folks, John Curley here. One of the best home comfort inventions of recent time, mini split systems. Now you can enjoy efficient heating and cooling while saving energy and reducing utility bills with personalized room comfort. Call my friends at Home Comfort Alliance for a free consultation, and for a limited time, get 18 months same as cash financing on all qualified systems. For all your heating, cooling, plumbing, and electrical needs, call the comfort people. Home Comfort Alliance. Visit homecomfortalliance.com.
This is Matt Coker from West Coast Men's Health. Has Viagra stopped working for you? Do you hate the side effects? If you've taken Viagra for any length of time, you already know that pills are not the solution to ED. Here at West Coast Men's Health, we have a better approach to ED. Acoustic wave therapy creates blood flow circulation by safely removing the plaque in your arteries and restoring function naturally. No pills, no shots, no surgery. We can also treat Peyronie's disease. Our non-invasive treatment for ED is painless and highly effective. We have treated thousands of men just like you. Stop living with this problem and do something about it. Do yourself a favor, do your partner a favor, and call us today.
Call 206-519-6541. That's 206-519-6541. 206-519-6541. Online at westcoastmenshealth.com. HSA cards welcome and financing available.
All right, make it this Monday. This Monday, May 12th. Make it the day that you take the First Mark Challenge, like Molly and I did, like my mom did, like so many of my friends have done over the years. You've heard me talk about First Mark Insurance and why you need to take the First Mark Challenge. First, it's totally free. Number two, I know there's some confusion and stress in the financial markets and maybe in your world when it comes to insurance, and you just assume. And frankly, I know many of you are like me and Molly. I don't even want to deal with this. I just want to just get it right. Well, then please take the First Mark Challenge, because here's how they go to work for you. They fully analyze your current coverage, making sure you're not overpaying for the wrong coverage. Then, unlike you and me, they go to the market, dozens of major carriers to find you the best fit. That's it. No stress, no confusion. Think of it this way. They're your teammate, and they spent the last 30 years helping thousands of families successfully manage this complicated world of insurance. So don't wait a morning longer. Take the First Mark Challenge. It's totally free, and you might be the next First Mark Challenge victory. Just go to firstmarkinsurance.com. It's all right there. firstmarkinsurance.com. Your teammate that goes to work for you.
Need to know.
15 minutes past every hour with Brock and Salk.
Here's what you need to know. Up first.
It was not a good weekend at T-Mobile Park, obviously. The Mariners did not play the kind of baseball that we had become accustomed to, get really beat up. Pair of 6-3 losses on Friday and Saturday, and then yesterday a 9-1 laugher. They were outscored 21-7 as they are swept for the first time since losing in San Francisco.
Here's a swing, little tapper on the third base side. Over the pitcher, Fisher has it. The throw to first, and it's going to be reeled in by Guerrero in time for the final out of the ball game. And the Blue Jays win it this afternoon by a score of 9-1 and sweep the Mariners in the 3-game series.
Yeah, really, unfortunately, wasn't a lot to like. You heard from Aaron Goldsmith. They didn't hit a lot of home runs, just 2 solo shots this weekend. They gave up 4 of them, 4 home runs, accounting for 8 runs. They didn't pitch particularly well. They didn't starting pitch particularly well. They didn't hit particularly well. They didn't take enough walks. Like, you name it, it was problematic this weekend.
Obviously a tough one today, and a tough series for us, but one of those series that kind of want to turn the page and move on. Tough one today.
Yeah, after winning 9 series in a row, to your point, the last one being in San Francisco, where you also got swept, you knew that this was not going to sustain. You know it's baseball. You know there's peaks and valleys. And even the best of teams, even the Dodgers are going to win 110 games, are going to go through 3, 4, 5-game losing streaks over the course of the season. You just kind of hope to nip it in the bud a little bit. And usually starting pitching is your best recipe to do that. It certainly has been for the Mariners over the last 3, 4, 5 years. One of the best rotations in all of baseball. And that one right now, and especially the guy yesterday, is just running on some fumes.
Yeah, I think that is probably the biggest concern more than anything else. Look, the offense is going to go up and down, and hopefully it's better than it was last year and probably won't be as good as it was for the last month. But when Aaron started listing off the number of runs you've given up in each of those games in your last week or so, hard to win when you're giving up between 6 and 9 runs per game. I don't care who you are and what kind of offense you have. Bryce Miller, unfortunately, has an ERA over 5.
Yeah. I mean, you take positives from today, and like I said, I attacked hitters better than I have all year, and I was more aggressive. So just gotta make adjustments and go from there. But there's a few positives. It's I don't know, it's still frustrating, but we're getting there.
I got to tell you, Brock, the more I listen to him, the more I'm going to come back and really believe what I said earlier. This feels like a guy who's got a physical problem that he's trying to solve mentally. And
That's right.
I don't know how to do that.
Yeah, that's like me in many ways, Salk. Like, I mentally thought, I got to be a 4.7 guy. I could be a 4.7 40 guy. I know I can run. In my mind, and then I was physically just a 5.0 guy.
Yeah.
It's just what you are.
Happens.
And the difference between 92 guy and 95 mile per hour guy is a big physical difference. And as Aaron said, kind of sets a table for everything else you want to do. And right now, that velo down and those runs given up are up.
Well, we'll see what it looks like now as one of the better offensive teams in the league shows up. The Yankees are here for 3.
Here we go, Emerson.
Yeah, they just played the A's and won 30-11 aggregate over the course of those 3 games. Hancock, Wu, Castillo over these 3 games.
Here's the second thing you need to know.
Will they get reinforcements, Brock? I mean, the hope, I think, is for George Kirby to make a 3rd rehab start. He had one over the weekend. It was not great, kind of okay.
Stuff was okay, right?
He went 5 innings, threw 96, 97 miles an hour, which was great, but he did allow 3 runs, 4 hits, 2 walks. That's kind of not, that's sort of what you're getting as he's trying to get himself back into shape and back ready to start. He threw 54 pitches, but you got to get up over 75, 80. So I would think you're looking at least another week or 2 before he's back, right?
I would think so. Yeah, certainly not going to be this week. Now, the following week, when you make a road trip down to the south side of Chicago, could that be a good little landing spot? Maybe. And then it's the Astros and the Crawford boxes right after that for a big 4-game set down there. So, yeah, at least something we can now look at the calendar a little bit and know we're close.
Yeah.
Logan, we're not there. Logan's going to, start throwing a mound?
Yeah.
Hopefully this week?
Yep. Either tomorrow or Wednesday, Logan will throw off a mound for the first time, and we'll see. Now, he's not going to need as long a rehab, thankfully, because he just, he had spring training and pitched just a couple of weeks ago. So maybe once he pitches off a mound, it goes a little bit faster. But, yeah, I mean, kind of waiting on all these guys and really could use some of those reinforcements.
Here's the third thing you need to know.
And then the Kraken, Brock, still looking for a coach. Could it be Rick Tocchet?
Lockett.
Love your Migos impression. Hockey insider Frank Saravalli thinks that that's a possibility.
When it comes to Rick Tocchet, I think he's interviewed and been offered in Seattle. I think he's interviewed with the Flyers, if you even need one. I think the Pittsburgh Penguins are interested. I think the Boston Bruins are interested. I'm going to project that Rick Tocchet is on at least a 5-year deal and north of $6 million per year.
And I'm going to guess when he says if you even need one, that's just because he's sort of a Flyers and Penguins legend. Played for both teams with a tremendous amount of success. So I like him. I mean, Rick Tocchet was a super physical, like nasty, fun player who did a little of everything, could score, could hit. I think he holds the record, Brock, for Gordie Howe hat tricks, which is a goal, an assist, and a fight in one game.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I'd be interested. That's everything you need to know. I think Cecily almost took one of those this weekend.
What's that?
Well, she got another checking penalty, Brock. That's 2 in her last 3 games.
Yes.
Yeah, she also had a hooking penalty, which was not a big deal, though she said the penalty box was very warm. But yeah, we had another checking penalty.
Is she a goon?
Kind of. She ran some dude into the boards, and then some other guy kind of came up behind her and gave her a little, hey.
Mm-hmm.
Poked her in the back. She did not care for that. So we're trying to figure out kind of.
Are you okay if she's a goon?
I'm okay with her being physical, but I think I would like her to use the philosophy to a little more good rather than just taking penalties by hitting people on the boards when you're not allowed to. So I got a lot of texts on the ticket issue. Aren't all of those out of town people coming into Seattle good for our local economy? Sure. This doesn't have to stop that. You're just not allowed to sell the majority of your tickets. Flipping tickets is like flipping houses, only you don't have to have as much money to front it, and you don't need to pay a left-handed realtor. Well, not really, actually. I mean, I think that's the thing is it's not really like that.
Right.
I got a text here from a lawyer saying essentially like, yeah, that's just not it. From a legal perspective, there are 0 issues with the Seahawks limiting or even outright prohibiting transfers of tickets. A ticket is a license to entry. It's not an individual item of personal property.
It's not fee simple, okay?
It's not.
No.
By selling a ticket, the team allows entry to their venue. The seats remain forever theirs. And I think that's
there we go.
absolutely right. Agree with Salk begrudgingly. Thank you. God forbid. This is a good thing for all the fans that can't afford to pay 3x face value to fund the cost for season ticket holders who cherry pick only the best games to attend. Would love to know how many season ticket holders have more tickets than people in their household. So, yeah. Anyway,
That's good. Okay.
some of the
By the way, I did your homework too. It turns out that Wiki came to Tampa Bay in 2010. Remember, he ran Jim Mora out in 09. Our guy Lockett was in Tampa Bay 08 and 09 and 09 to 2010.
So
maybe he came in and actually moved Mr. Tocchet out of the way.
Maybe. It's certainly possible.
Yes.
But yet, apparently, he's been interviewed and offered here. So who the heck knows what it all means. All right. Brock, we got numbers. It's time to dig into them because it's fun when people like to disprove the common narrative. Is that what's happening? I don't know. We'll have to look at these numbers and see. It's next on Brock and Salk.
Wyman and Bob, afternoons 2 to 7.
Even the guys that if you look at their average and go, not off to a good start, look at the on base. This team has been outstanding at working the pitcher, at taking walks. You look at Randy Arozarena, for instance. He's had huge hits. He's had some big moments that have been game-winning moments, but overall, he's not hitting that well. He's hitting 208, but he's got a 359 on base.
Dave Wyman and Bob Stelton, afternoons 2 to 7 on Seattle Sports, the app, YouTube, and your smart speaker.
All right, let's talk about Eastside Weight Loss Clinic. Mike Salk here. This plan has been incredibly effective and important in my life. Helped me lose a ton of weight, 35 pounds in just 8 weeks, to get back to fitting into my clothes and looking the way I want to look, and honestly just feeling a whole lot more healthy. It works for a whole bunch of reasons, but I'll tell you what I like most about it. It's not that hard. You do not find yourself super hungry while you're on the program. The food all tastes really good because it's real food that you buy at the grocery store, and there's some awesome recipes so that you're cooking stuff that tastes really good. And there's no pills or injections or anything like that, which I'm just really not interested in. So I did it. It worked for me. Ryan Roland Smith's doing it. He's lost 30 plus pounds. And I know we've heard from a lot of other folks around the Northwest, thousands of people that have had this work for them as well. Why don't you just start with a 15-minute phone consult, and then you can see if it's right for you. You can schedule it right now, today, at eastsideweightlossclinic.com. Dr. Ryan Coogan, D.C. Results may vary.
We've all been there, sleepless nights, wondering if your business's security service is really protecting what matters. At Bay Alarm, we can put your security insecurities to bed. Our advanced technology and personalized support ensure you can rest easy knowing we're here for you. BayAlarm.com.
Roofing. The ice may have melted, but spring is the perfect time for a new roof. Call Techline Roofing. Take advantage of our easy financing and our spring special. That's TEKLINE roofing.com.
Heading to the ball game? Don't mess with traffic and pricey parking fees. Make it easy and ride the bus. It's affordable and convenient. No stress, no hassle. And plenty of time to grab a hot dog before first pitch. Community Transit makes riding the bus fun, easy, and affordable. You save money on parking, and kids under 18 ride for free. See where they can take you and plan your trip today. Go to Community Transit at ctgo.org/home run.
Keeping your engines healthy means protecting them in season and out. Experts trust Stable to do that. And third-party testing confirms it. Stable is the industry leader in preventing fuel-related issues, no matter if you use it in your car, boat, or outdoor power equipment. In season or out, at every fill-up or when you store, start with Stable.
Still getting around to that fix on your car? You got this. On eBay, you'll find millions of parts guaranteed to fit. Doesn't matter if it's a major engine repair or your first time swapping your windshield wipers. eBay has that part you need, ready to click perfectly into place for changes big and small. Loud or quiet, find all the parts you need at prices you'll love. Guaranteed to fit every time. But you already know that. eBay. Things, people, love. Eligible items only. Exclusions apply.
Washington is leading the way in car theft reduction. Car theft dropped by 32% from 2023 to 2024 in our state, but there's still work to be done. Help keep your car safe with these simple and important tips. Don't leave your car running unattended. Park in well-lit areas. Lock up every time. Keep valuables out of sight. Use an anti-theft device like a steering wheel lock. Prevent the theft and keep you and your vehicle safe. These tips are brought to you by the Washington Auto Theft Prevention Authority.
For Down Territory, going inside the game with Michael Bumpus.
I like this. More quarterbacks should start doing this.
Every day at 11:15 and 1:15 on Bumpin' Stacy.
I'm attorney Rob Iddens, proud Marine Corps veteran and owner of Warrior Injury Law. We help all types of injury victims like Sean, who was rear-ended in a car accident.
They're just easy to work with. They're fast. I like the fact that he had military service. I can see a lot of Marine in Rob. He's very in charge, really gets things done. But I didn't have to do anything. He offered me a settlement, had a number in my head, was nearly double that. I would refer absolutely anybody to Rob.
If you've been injured, call us at 253-WARRIOR. Warrior Injury Law. Battle tested. Eddie's!
For over 113 years, Pacific Lamp and Supply Company has been your #1 lighting specialist in Washington, from the Space Needle in Seattle all the way to the Riverwalk in Spokane. With the largest lighting inventory in Washington, Pacific Lamp's knowledgeable and experienced staff can assist with any lighting issue, including intricate lighting and control designs. Plus, they work with all utilities in Washington to get you the best available lighting rebates. Pacific Lamp and Supply Company, Washington's lighting experts since 1912. Visit pacificlamp.com.
Comcast Business is celebrating Small Business Month by giving you a $1,000 small business bonus when you switch to a qualifying gig speed package from the company with over 99.99% network reliability. Just imagine the thousands of possibilities of a $1,000 prepaid card. Like possibility number 1, company merch for staff. Styling. Or possibility number 24, the latest software, upgrade. Or possibility number 192, new equipment powered by gig speeds. Or possibility number 555, a 3D printer. Rapid prototyping, anyone? Switch to Comcast Business for over 99.99% network reliability, advanced cybersecurity, and now get started with a $1,000 small business bonus. Comcast Business, powering possibilities.
And 6/22/25. New customers only with 2-year agreement. Other restrictions apply.
From the Quantum Fiber Studio.
This is Brock and Salk.
Weekdays 6 to 10.
On Seattle Sports and 97.3 FM HD2.
I just realized my phone didn't charge last night. I feel like I'm behind the 8 ball now the rest of the day.
Cecily, you're a goon.
I know. I sent Brock the video.
What is she doing?
She took that kid down.
Gosh.
She's very physical, Brock. She's very, very
She's playing with the boys now, too?
It's a co-ed league, yeah. And she just destroyed that kid.
Wow.
That poor guy. Yeah. That's not clean. You're not allowed to do that in this league. Anyway, all right. So I enjoyed some notes from our friend Luke Arkins. I'll give him a little shout out here because I'm about to steal some of his material, but it's much appreciated. I love the work Luke does in saying, all right, here's a popular narrative. Here's something I'm hearing. Let's see if it's true. And he's fact-checked me. He's fact-checked others. I love it. I love that he spends the time doing this. Truly appreciate it. So he was reacting to people complaining about Julio and, for a couple of different reasons. But one is sort of two different narratives. One, Julio is being paid like a superstar and isn't delivering like one.
Mm-hmm.
That's hypothesis one. And to that, he says, well, he's not being paid like a superstar. He's got long-term security, certainly. I mean, he's being paid for a very long time, and he's never going to have to work again. His family should be pretty well taken care of. But, and I'm quoting here, his 2025 salary ranks 60th in baseball. The average annual value for the initial 7 years of his deal is about $17.5 million. The average annual value for the extension, which starts in 2030, is performance-based for MVP votes and awards and things like that. It's very team-friendly.
Mm-hmm.
Is Julio being truly paid like a superstar, or is he being paid like a very good player just for a really, really long time, which makes sense given the age at which he signed it?
$17.5 million for the play that you get from Julio Rodriguez. Again, we'll do a little more of this maybe after tonight's game.
Mm-hmm.
Tomorrow, Salk, we'll be at just about the quarter pole, 40 games of 162. Right, $17.5 million feels very commensurate with the production that you get from him. Right, is he the 60th best player in the league? 50th? I mean, is he kind of in that range with the defense that he provides on a nightly basis, the threat that he is on the bases? Right, some of the offense, that he does produce, the WAR numbers that I talked about last week, that he was pacing to be, a 4 to 5 WAR player. Is $17.5 million paying for that a very fair number?
Yes.
Yes. I think it's a very fair number.
It's a very fair number. I mean, now, if you really wanted to argue this, you would say, well, right now, if he wasn't, if you hadn't signed him to that deal, he'd be making like $2 million.
Correct.
Right? He'd be in year 4, his first year of arbitration. He'd make, I don't know, let's say $2.5, $3 million this year, another 6, 7, 8, 9 next year, and then probably 20 the year after that. So in that regard, he's being paid more than he otherwise would have on his rookie deal. Mm-hmm. But the fact that you've got him for 7 years at a value of 17.5 is, quite frankly, pretty reasonable for the type of player you're getting in Julio.
Okay, so go ahead.
So you get into then the second question. Who is he as a player? And it's interesting, everyone talking about Julio and his rough starts, et cetera. I mean, the numbers that he lays out here are pretty clear. Julio is off to the best start of his career. He has not been perfect by any stretch here in April and into May, but the numbers through the first 37 games, so this was done over the weekend, are better than any other first 37 games of his career. If you want to look at OPS, 734. In previous 3 seasons, 690, 654, 634.
Yep, been a super slow starter perennially over the previous 3 seasons.
734 OPS for a bad month is fine. Slugging percentage, 407, up from 364, 384, 315. On base percentage, 327, up from, 326 his rookie year, but then 270 and 318. The only number that's not above it is batting average. Who cares? But the home runs, 6, tied for his best start. Walk percentage, I love this, almost 10%, which he's never hit before, 7.6, 6.9, 5.7. And the strikeout percentage is significantly down, under 20%. In these previous 3 years, first 37 games, 31, 29, 28. So in essentially every category, Julio's been better this year. And I think that's what my eyes would tell me. He's not perfect. He's not been a superstar through the first month or so of this season. But he's been a perfectly good, valuable player, all the while playing A++ defense in center field. I don't know. I have not found myself watching these games and getting frustrated at Julio, especially because the lineup in general seems to be doing so much damage.
Mm-hmm. The question becomes, and I think if you kind of twist and turn this thing, if you could go back in time, would you do this deal again? If you knew now, right, when you did this deal, when was this deal done? Year 2? Like it was done really early, right? If you knew now, then how do I frame that? I know now, would I do the deal then, right? Knowing now what you know, and you've got now 2+ years of watching it, would you go back in time and do the deal again?
Yeah.
You would?
I think I would.
Do you have to pause?
Yeah.
Do you
Of course
pause
I got to
and think about it a
pause
little
because
bit?
it's not like he's outplayed the deal, right? It's not like I feel like, oh my God, like I signed him for peanuts and now he's just dominating. No, I don't feel that way. But I don't think it was a bad deal. I think the question for me is, what effect did the deal have on Julio? I don't know the answer to that question. I don't know whether it's changed his work habits. I've never heard anything like that. I don't know whether it's changed how he is in the clubhouse. I just don't know. Did having him locked up long-term end up helping other players? Does that lead to Cal getting signed long-term? Does it? I don't know what effect that had either. So a lot of the X factors, I don't know that we truly understand. In terms of has he lived up to the deal? Yeah, he's lived up to it, but I don't feel like I got extra value.
Lyle, knowing what we know now, would you go back and do the deal that the Mariners did with Julio 2 years ago?
Yeah, because he's still only being paid like the 60th best player in baseball right now. Like he's making less than Luis Severino. So I would still give him the deal.
Okay.
Now, who he is as a player is an entirely different conversation, but he's not being overpaid, if that's the question.
Yeah, I think all of that is totally fair. And again, this is the difference between art and science, right? I kind of like that analogy, and I know you did as well, Salk, that Aaron Goldsmith shared with us via Farquhar from last season. Like, this is the difference between art and science. The science say, hey, man, these numbers are absolutely commensurate with this, absolutely worth every single dollar, and you do that deal 100 times out of 100. The art of it says, gosh, is he having the impact? Just go back to that word of impact. Is he having the impact of that kind of player, both on this roster, on this team?
And the answer
his
right
peers?
now, if you're asking for a snapshot, no. But if you're asking for sort of the overall, you see when he's on and what he does, yes. I mean, it sort of depends when you ask this question, which is not atypical for baseball players, right? It's why you try to look at the whole thing. I guess my feeling is, yeah, the first 6 weeks of the season have been okay for Julio, but he hasn't really hit his hot streak yet. And we know that history has shown us that's happened in each of the first 3 years, where he just becomes impossible to get out for essentially a month.
Yeah.
Well, when you add that to what has been a limited valley for him, if the peak is the same, you're looking at a guy that is absolutely worth $17.5+ million.
Yeah, and I'll tell you what else just strikes me, and this has been a through line over these 4 years. And we talk about this every single year, Salk, at some point, and usually when he does go into that hot streak or around the All-Star game or the home run derby or whatever, this guy loves to play. Right? The Art of Winning, Belichick's book, it's in the first couple chapters of this, as it is every football guy, as it is everybody with a scouting background, as it is every time when you have an acquisition phase and the people you want to bring into your building. Yeah, this guy just, he loves
it.
He's got to love. He's got to love to run out to center field. He's got to love to connect with these fans. He's got to love to play this game the right way. He's got a love to get on the base pass. He's got a joy to play this game. And I think that there is great monetary value in that and non-monetary value in that you have that kind of star that loves to play the game.
Yeah, he brings people around him, right? He's got a gravitational pull.
Yep.
And, he may not be the captain of this team. That's not the personality. Maybe that's more of what Cal brings. But the energy, the excitement, the superstar-like plays that he makes, the defense, honestly, has been spectacular. I think it's the craziest thing about Julio is that the biggest concern anyone had about him when he was younger in the minors was he going to be able to play like great defense, and certainly not in center. He was going to outgrow the position and be a corner outfielder. Dude might be the best defensive center fielder in the game. He's certainly on any conversation about it. Obviously, the guy we watched this weekend, Dalton Varsho, is going to be in there, and a few others as well. But Julio's defense is spectacular in center field.
He wasn't even supposed to be a center fielder.
I know. That's what I said. He's supposed to be limited to the corners. And instead, dude, he's as good a center fielder as you're going to find. And there is value to that. There is value to having that defense up the middle, which is why his WAR numbers are pretty good every year, even if he hasn't quite lived up to the billing as an offensive player. So the other stat, Brock, that Luke brought up here that I thought, would bring us back to the conversation I had at 6 o'clock has to do with what happened this weekend? Was this a little blip, a little setback, a little, a little, bump in the road?
Mm-hmm.
Or was this the pin popping the balloon of the first 5 or 6 weeks of the season? And I think honestly, my answer to that question is it's both. It's a little of both. Yes, it's a bump in the road. Teams are going to have, a bad 3-game stretch, and that isn't going to define who they are as a team over the course of a season. But also, they probably weren't going to be able to keep up the magic of the last 9 series because it was unsustainable. And Luke has this stat here as well. Again, this was as of a day or two ago, but just looking at the OPS plus, if you remember, that takes your on base plus slugging and normalizes it to the rest of the league so that 100 is average. Anything above that is good. Anything below that is below average, right?
Mm-hmm.
He looked at the 2025 OPS plus compared to the last 3 seasons OPS plus for the players on the team. And, of course, this wasn't going to be sustainable. Polanco, 212 this year, up from 107. Yeah, he wasn't going to be a twice as good player for the rest of the year. Cal Raleigh, 174, up from 118. Dylan Moore, 151, up from 110. Randy Arozarena, 142, up from 117. JP, 137, up from 109. All of those guys significantly above their career. Now, a couple guys were below. Julio, a little bit, 119, down from 130. Luke Raley's out of it right now, so you're not going to count that one. Rowdy Tellez, essentially who he's always been. And then Mitch Garver down just a couple of ticks, but essentially what he's been for the course of his career.
Yeah.
You just have so many guys that are outdoing their norm, and not by a little, not by 15, 20 points, by dozens, if not hundreds of points above their career norms. Yeah, that wasn't going to last forever. So was this weekend the pin popping? Well, not on the whole season, but maybe on this ridiculous run of 5 or 6 guys that was not sustainable.
Yeah. And on the flip side of that, and I think the positive with that and why it's a blip is kind of like a teeter-totter. You would then expect the reinforcements on the pitching side of it, as Brian Wu talked about last week. Hey, the pitching staff's going to pick up the offense. The offense is going to pick up the pitching staff. It's kind of a relentlessness and a love to compete and win games that, we're kind of seeing out of the first 40 with this club. But the challenge then on that teeter-totter, Salk, are these private numbers I got. So you're just sharing public numbers.
Yeah, just sharing public numbers. I would never dream of sharing private.
Anybody can get those public numbers.
Okay.
But when you got a relationship built on trust that I have with old Lukey, then you get some private numbers. And I need you to dial up on your old little news boss there, some Righteous Brothers, some Luis Castillo.
No, I don't want to do that.
No, I think I need
No,
you
I don't think I need to.
I think
I don't know that we need to do that.
I think we need to see where your love is, Saul.
I don't think we need to do that right now. I don't know that we need that right now.
Are you sure you don't need?
I'm pretty sure we don't need that. No, I don't.
Are you and Luis not on the pottery wheel?
I'm not saying that. I just, I don't know whether we need that right now. That feels a little unnecessary, don't you think?
Oh, my love, my darling.
I don't think we need that.
I saw a very concerning tweet come Friday night after Luis's start, and this was starting to rumble around the social media channels a little bit, and that was, is Luis starting to feel a little bit like Felix, like late Felix, when Felix just lost some of that command, some of that velo, right? Some of that ability in him, peak Felix, Cy Young, where you were just like, you can't hit this guy. And then at the end, we know what those last few years of Felix felt like, right? It was almost a hard watch. It's like a racehorse that just did not have that gear. And it was like, oh my goodness. So I said to Lukey, I said, hey man, underlying numbers, right? Same thing. Can we change and cut out this narrative? What are we looking at with Luis when it comes to some of these underlying numbers, Salk? And I'll tell you what's concerning is the whiff rate, right? When you look at Felix at the end of that versus where he was in peak form, it's so much swing and miss. And for Luis in 2023, he was even above some of Felix's numbers. 2023, do you realize that Castillo's whiff rate for the season was 30.6%?
Yeah.
I mean, unbelievable. Just 2 years ago. Last year, that took a dip to 25. This year, it's sitting at 21. Felix's final year in 2019 was 21. The year before that was 19.8, about 20. So that whiff rate is not a sustainable whiff rate, a swing and miss rate for Luis, right? And then you look at the barrel rate. Then you look at throwing strike one. And we saw this with Felix. When he didn't have his stuff, what did Felix have to do at the end? He had to nibble, and he had to nibble, and he had to nibble because he just could not trust his stuff to be over the middle of the plate.
Yeah, so a couple things on Luis. I think those are good numbers. I mean, not positive numbers.
Private
very
numbers.
private. Thank you. Yes, nobody could have access
Thank
to
you, Luke.
those.
Appreciate that.
No, those are concerning. There's no doubt. I mean, to me, a lot of that has to do with whatever the heck has happened to his changeup. It's just not the same. Lyle, I know you've talked about it. It's pretty obvious. Like, he used to have a Pedro Martinez-like changeup, and now he doesn't. I mean, that is problem numeral uno, and I think it really affects him against left-handed batters because he just doesn't have that same outpitch to get him.
Wasn't that Felix to a degree as well? Wasn't Felix's changeup prime Felix?
Yeah, but Felix also, I think, started to really lose his fastball, and that, to me, became a much bigger issue.
Well.
And that's now the problem, unfortunately, just in the last couple of starts here for Luis. The velo wasn't there on Friday either. So, Dan was asked, is he concerned about that?
I don't think so. Rock is such a competitor, and he goes out there and he takes the ball. He did get into a long inning that first inning. He competes, and he certainly competed tonight and gave us a chance.
He does compete, but it's a lot easier to compete when you're throwing 97 as opposed to 94.
Other than just the numbers are down, I think he still competed out there, got us to a point where we felt pretty good about where our chances were at that point. Able to score some runs and get back into it, we just come back tomorrow and get them.
I think the thing about Luis, I appreciate Dan's view on competing, and that is obviously a part of it.
Mm-hmm.
If he doesn't have the velo and doesn't have the same stuff that he had, and I think I remember writing this in either spring training or right before the season, you got to learn to pitch. You got to learn to adapt. You got to learn to evolve. If and when the stuff starts to deteriorate, which it's going to do. What is he, 32?
Yeah, and I was going to say his fastball velo's dropped a little bit every year since 2020, and now you're really seeing it the last couple of years.
Yeah, I mean, that's not abnormal for guys in their 30s to not have the same level of velo and maybe to lose some of the stuff. Okay, what are you going to do about it? Because just saying I'm going to compete or he's going to compete through it, I appreciate that, and I do think Luis is a great competitor. I appreciate that sentiment. But you've got to use your mind if you don't still have your stuff. You've got to beat them with command. You got to beat them with control. You got to beat them with changing speeds and doing things that, you weren't doing necessarily earlier in order to still have a level of success. And that, to me, that's what changes pitchers in their 30s. The ones who can figure out how to adapt go on to really long careers, and the other guys fizzle out because they were just too reliant on stuff.
Mm-hmm. Be interesting to watch this generation of pitcher. Can you do that?
Mm-hmm.
Because those pitchers, Salk, in those days, what were the velo dips that you were looking at? What were guys used to seeing? The guys of today, oh my gosh, how thrilled as a hitter are you to see 92? I get to see 92 today.
Sure.
30 years ago, I'm I got to see 92 today, or 94 today. Oh, what death to me. Give me the mid-80s guy, all right? Give me these. I just wonder what that looks like today that, man, if you can't top 95 plus, 96, 97, if you don't have that weapon in your arsenal, can you pitch around that well enough?
But a guy like Luis should be able to. Honestly, I believe that. Between his slider and especially his two-seamer, he should be able to generate ground balls with the two-seamer.
Because of the amount of movement those pitchers still create?
Absolutely. I mean, if he becomes a two-seamer sinker slider kind of a guy, there should still be success in that for him. It's just a matter of figuring out what that looks like and understanding that it might not be the same as it was when he was in his prime. That's okay, but you gotta figure it out. You got to determine what that's going to look like, set up a game plan, and then obviously execute it. And so far, we haven't seen that.
I don't know. I'm hearing some real hesitancy out of Lyle on a Monday morning. I know he's just getting cranked up for the week, and I know that he had a busy weekend. I know that the Yankees are in town. You'll be at the park an awful lot. But I feel, and I felt this, Lyle, from you from kind of the jump this year with Luis. The concern meter there for him with you, pretty real.
Well, it's just he was such a four-seam changeup guy for so much of his career, and it just feels like both of those pitches are. they're not what they used to be. He's throwing his changeup essentially less than ever. It's, since he's gotten to Seattle, really, he hasn't thrown that changeup the way he used to. And part of that was the success of his four-seam fastball, which is fine. But now he doesn't have the four-seam fastball. And what I'm about to say is just wishful thinking because it's too late to do something like this in season. But I really wish Luis had something like a cutter, like something to use to lefties that was a little bit more effective, because if he's not using the changeup as much,
I mean, it should be the two-seamer, right? I mean, that is the pitch that he should be able to use with lefties, and try to get them to roll over it or whatever, but hit him off the edge of the end of the bat. It just unfortunately, hasn't necessarily gone that way this year. So I don't, Brock, these are all really, more questions than answers right now. And unfortunately, we've now today had a, 10-minute conversation about Bryce, a 10-minute conversation about Luis. That's 2 of your 3 healthy starters, right? And then you're kind of on to Brian Wu, Logan Evans and Hancock. So yeah, I mean, I think that's why this thing has always felt a little tenuous this year, right? You're happy about what the offense is doing, but you know that a lot of guys are way out over their skis. You're worried about the pitching a little bit and waiting for some guys to get healthy, but there's some underlying concern about somewhere between 1 and 4 of the guys in your rotation, and they've thrown a lot of innings. That's sort of the balance of a baseball season, right?
Thank goodness you've banked a lot of these wins, and thank goodness you have found ways, to overcome, and Bryce has in some of those starts. Thank goodness these guys, and Polanco has carried the team for a stretch, and JP has carried the team for a stretch, and you find yourself 22-17, still in first place in this division with everything in front of you, and the big bad Yankees coming to town tonight.
All right, coming up next, a couple of ex-Panthers discussing the Seahawks. It's next on Brock and Salk.
Wyman and Bob, afternoons 2 to 7.
Even the guys that if you look at their average and go, they're not off to a good start, look at the on base. This team has been outstanding at working the pitcher, at taking walks. You look at Randy Arozarena, for instance. He's had huge hits. He's had some big moments that have been game-winning moments, but overall, he's not hitting that well. He's hitting 208, but he's got a 359 on base.
Dave Wyman and Bob Stelton, afternoons 2 to 7 on Seattle Sports, the app, YouTube, and your smart speaker.
Confidence is knowing you're ready to handle whatever comes your way. That's what it feels like to take on your workday with Cintas. They make sure your AEDs are up to date, your fire extinguishers are tested and inspected, your floor mats are cleaned and delivered, and your workwear looks good, feels good, and is freshly laundered with the Cintas Apparel Plus program. So are you ready to take on today? Visit Cintas.com.
Oh, I'm ready!
And get ready for the workday.
This is the story of the one. As a lineman, he does whatever it takes to keep the power on in his community. And he wants a partner like Grainger who does the same. Grainger offers the professional-grade products he needs, from voltage detectors to harnesses to hard hats, plus fast, dependable delivery, so he can rise to every challenge. Call 1-800-GRAINGER, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
Workdays can be unpredictable, but your workwear shouldn't be. With the Cintas Apparel Plus program, you'll have freshly laundered garments for everyone on your team delivered every week. Cintas has workwear for just about any job imaginable, with high-performance fabrics and an uncompromising fit that stretches and moves with you. Don't leave looking and feeling good to chance. Visit Cintas.com.
Oh, I'm ready!
And get ready for the workday.
Get ready for Camping World's Red, White, and New Trade event, May 15th through the 18th. Get the highest value for your RV guaranteed during the biggest RV trade event of the year. Shop the best RV deals in America with new RVs starting as low as $92 a month. Get ready for the holiday weekend with up to 45% off grills and 25% off product installation. Plus, we'll have free hats, free propane refills, free food, and fun for the whole family. Don't miss the incredible Red, White, and New Trade event, May 15th through the 18th at your local Camping World.
See for full details and disclaimers.
Upgrade to an efficient heat pump AC now before the summer heat. And Home Comfort Alliance will save you up to $6,000 limited time savings. And you can take 18 months to pay with zero interest. Call for a free quote. HomeComfortAlliance.com.
Hey friends, it's Stacy with a little bit of inside info. I know there are a lot of local business owners listening right now. This message is for you. Wayscar Ford is running great pricing on all of their commercial vehicles. Trucks, Super Duties, Isuzu FTRs, box trucks. The bigger, the better, and they have a ton of them. New and used models and a ton of 2025 models. I'm on their website right now. Here's one, $11,000 off. Another for $19,000 off. Wayscar Ford just expanded their heavy truck shop, and there are a ton of opportunities. They're looking for mechanics if anyone listening has heavy truck experience. Join a wonderful company at a dealership that's been in Auburn for 103 years. Take advantage of the amazing inventory and deals they have right now. Commercial sales and service for both Ford and Isuzu. A great option for people, a great option for families, and now business owners. I'm a proud customer. I know you will be too. Wayscar Ford, Isuzu in Auburn. WayscarFord.com. That's WayscarFord.com.
Can you take the power of your home internet almost anywhere? Well, with Xfinity, you can. Do more of what you love in the places you go the most with internet and mobile together. Xfinity built a network that's 99.99% reliable. Plus, Xfinity Mobile, well, they have Wi-Fi Power Boost, giving you ultra-fast Wi-Fi at home and out on the go. So get the same reliable network in the places you need it the most. Maybe the coffee shop, the grocery store, or at the game. Whatever you're into, you'll love how fast you can do it with Xfinity Internet and mobile. And now through April 21st, get 300 megabit Xfinity Internet and one unlimited mobile line together for $25 a month for a year with no contract. And save $1,000 in your first year over Verizon and AT&T Plus. Ask how to get a free premium 5G phone. Visit Xfinity.com, call 1-800-XFINITY, or visit a store today. Requires paperless billing and auto pay with stored bank account. Restrictions apply. Equipment, taxes, and fees extra after promo. Regular rates apply. Actual speeds vary. Savings compared to Verizon 5G, Internet Plus One, unlimited welcome line, and AT&T Internet 300 Plus One, unlimited starter SL line. Xfinity Internet required. Reduced speeds after 30 gigabits of usage per line. Data thresholds and actual savings vary.
The Mariners are back in action at T-Mobile Park, and you could be there for big moments all summer long with a Flex membership. Flex plans are perfect for fans who want the freedom to choose their games and seats as they go, while still enjoying all the perks of being a member, like saving 10% or more on tickets with no fees, unlocking access to exclusive pre-sales and year-round discounts, and so much more. Join the squad today at mariners.com/flex.
Cal Raleigh wins it in the 10th inning for the Mariners.
New Harley-Davidson Street Glides under $265 a month at Jet City Harley. Ride out for under $265 a month on a new Street Glide at Jet City Harley-Davidson.
Payments based on Street Glide model and base color with 30% down, 96-month term, 6.99% APR with approved credit. Doesn't include freight, setup, tax, title, and license fees. See dealer for details.
Let's go! This is Seattle Sports.
Streaming through the Seattle Sports app.
KIRO AM Seattle. KIRO FM HD2 Tacoma. Home of the Seahawks, Mariners, and everything Seattle sports.
Give me a freaking auto!
From the Quantum Fiber Studio, this is Brock and Salk on Seattle Sports.
Brock Eward and Matt Marcus. Sorry about just Mike Eward. Not exactly Joe Cap there in the pocket.
Now here are your hosts, Brock Eward and Mike Salk.
Oh, man. Let's see. It's not as early as Salk keeps saying. They're 25% of the way through the season. Do I keep saying it's early?
No, you don't.
I don't think I've said that. I've just been it is early-ish. We're not in June yet, but, the season is underway. You're kind of doing your thing.
What do you give Solana? 10 more games?
Huh?
10 more games for Solana?
I think that you're probably about a week left here on the Solana watch before you're just like, hey, man, you just got other options. Yeah. Like, I think especially the way the roster's constructed now with all of the flexibility you have with Dylan Moore and Rivas and Williamson and Masterboni.
Yeah.
You don't, and the fact that Polanco's not playing third anymore, I think you just don't need him.
Yeah.
Right. Part of the value of Solano was first base and third base.
Yep.
If he's not going to play third anymore, you don't need him to do that. And he's not hitting at all. And Tyler Locklear is. And oh, by the way, Cole Young's starting to really heat up as a potential. I mean, like, they're just, he's just kind of not relevant, unfortunately, anymore. So, yeah, I would think another week would be about my max on that particular experiment. Brock, Steve Smith, one of my favorite receivers, by the way, has a podcast, the 89 podcast? Of course it is. Mm-hmm. And he had as his guest his former teammate, I think, Greg Olson, right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
They were together in Carolina for however many years. And they had a conversation that ended up being all about, well, it was about tight ends and stuff, but it ended up really digging into the Seahawks and not just their tight end stuff, but like what was going to work here in Seattle with this new offense and kind of digging into Clint Kubiak. And Steve Smith says, yeah, DK Metcalf and Tyler Lockett just weren't good fits.
DK Metcalf is an outstanding wide receiver for the Pittsburgh Steelers. He does not fit what Clint Kubiak wants to do out of an X or a Z wide receiver. The ability to get upfield, break down. They have different routes that they want you to completely stop and give a head fake going this way and going that way. And so DK is more of a straight line, a deep over, a Dino, a post, a go, a hitch. Being able to run some of the patterns that Clint Kubiak's offense requires makes things a little bit more complicated. And then when you have a Tyler Lockett who's a slot guy who's inside, he's a little thin compared to how Clint wants him because he wants them to help chip and be part of the run game, which is generally why they run a lot of 12 personnel and tight end.
Interesting. Part of me really liked that, like when I read that from our Soundhound. And by the way, kudos to Soundhound finding this. How did you find the 89 podcast? I don't know.
Who knows?
Because
Did you even know Steve Smith had a podcast? Raise your hand if you knew Steve Smith had a podcast.
I did not. But
I
when the
did,
Mariners,
but I'm the Soundhound.
The Soundhound is like, oh, yeah, no, of course.
when the Mariners game gets out of hand yesterday, what does the Soundhound sniff around for? Let me go find some podcast sound for
I'm
Brock
sitting there
Assault.
staring at my computer like, what the heck are we going to talk about tomorrow? Morris like, don't worry, Soundhound on it.
Part of me really likes that, and I agree with the latter half of that a whole lot more than I do the former half of that.
Okay.
The first part of that. The Tyler, being physical in the slot, coming down, chipping, helping in the run, like all the things that you think of this system, and you really do think of Cooper Kupp with the Rams. He is the prototype for that.
Mm-hmm.
That was not Tyler at this age and stage of his career. Even the twitch and the burst and the option routes and all the other stuff in the slot, that was not at this age and stage. It's kind of like pitchers that lose their fastball, right? You know, that Tyler at this age and stage has just lost some of that horsepower. And so I would agree with that. DK, I'm a little more with Greg Olson's rebuttal. With DK, no, there's enough stuff there that you can also work your system around his strengths a little bit.
My only counter that I would say is, and this is just like my general view on NFL offenses, if you ask me what my system is, my first question is, who's my quarterback and what does my personnel look like? Mm-hmm. I don't believe in coming in and saying, I do this. Sorry, DK Metcalf. Sorry, Steve Smith. Sorry, Johnny Jones. You don't fit. I'm just not a huge believer in replacing really good players until you know who I'm replacing them with.
But teams do
it. They do it all the time.
They
do it all the time. I'm just saying, personally, that would not be my approach. I think the best play callers, the best offensive minds, say, who do I have? Where are my strengths? I'm going to lean heavy. Where are my weaknesses? I'm going to hedge and protect there. And then I'm going to build my system to the talent that I have and protect my weaknesses. Like,
so can I give an asterisk to that? Because I think what Greg Olson says there makes sense in large part.
Mm-hmm.
Unless it conflicts with your philosophy. Unless it conflicts with what you want to be.
Yeah.
Right? Like, we tell the story all the time, and it's, to me, still one of the great credits in Darrell Bevell's career that when he showed up here, he got Russell Wilson and was like, man, I've never done any read option before, but obviously we need to. Let's learn read option and start doing it.
Mm-hmm.
But that didn't go against his core philosophy, right? I mean, they did want to run the ball. That was a big part of it. It was just a different way to run the ball.
Mm-hmm.
I think the thing about DK Tyler was more, to me, not about whether or not they fit the scheme, but about whether or not they fit the style and the investment level of what the team wanted. And that's before you get into, whatever else was going on behind the scenes. And
that's right. Like if this was year 2 of DK, year 3 of DK Metcalf,
probably figure it out.
You'd figure it out.
Of course.
You'd run the goes, you'd run the posts, you'd run the dinos, you'd run the stuff that is, it's in the system, and you're going to play to his power route running strength.
And I'm sure Clint Kubiak could have done that. But DK Metcalf, who's about to want to get paid in a major way, there's a lot of history
30 than
now.
He is 20, and he's going to make $34 million.
That has had issues with his last quarterback, and we don't know exactly how well he got along with the coaching staff, and everything else that kind of popped up. At some point, you just say, we're moving on.
That's right.
Like, yes, we could revolve our offense around this guy, but why? Let's move on. We're saving the money, and let's commit to our philosophy. And then, now that we're starting fresh, let's start to bring in players that we think make it easier for Clint Kubiak to fit his system. So,
yes,
are those guys gone because of Kubiak's system? No. Is it a happy accident, though? Yeah, I think it probably is.
Yeah, I would say Tyler probably is. Yeah, I would say Tyler. But again, you can't differentiate or separate the age and the speed and the rest of the wear and tear.
Anymore.
Correct. You know what's going to be really fun in these conversations, Salk? You know what happens tonight for me, yours truly, tonight? You know what I have? I have my first coaches meeting.
Oh, wow.
Yes. So we have our first coaches meeting for an hour, and then we have our first offensive staff meeting for 90 minutes. And you know what? I anticipate going in, and I don't know for sure, but I anticipate going in a lot of this conversation. What are we going to hang our hat on? We've had a month and a half to look at the guys. Some of the coaches that are being retained that have been around the program know our personnel pretty well. I'm looking at our personnel, and our left tackle is a USC commit. Our center has got the SEC and the Big Ten all over him. Our left guard's just got an offer from Syracuse. Our right tackle is 6'4", 300 pounds.
Sounds like you got a line.
I'm looking at this group thinking, I think we build this thing around them.
So that's a great point, Brock. I love that. And in high school, I'm sure, some of it, I know there's more recruiting now than there used to be, but some of your high school experience has to be about who happens to be in your school that year, right?
100%.
We happen to have some success here. Let's adapt to it. The NFL's, and you're going to have your philosophy of ultimately kind of how you want to lead them. But I could see a high school team making changes year to year, depending on whether you got great receivers or great offensive linemen or just whatever you happen to have. In the NFL, you can go out and choose who you have.
That's right.
Right?
That's right.
So, you've got to find ways to bring out the best in them, but also you got to choose guys that fit what you want to do.
100%. And, that came into play in this draft, right? It came into play with Gray Zabel and Booker. It had been really fascinating, Salk, if both of those guys would have been on the board at 18. Right, obviously Booker goes where, 10 to Dallas? What are you chuckling at?
You got a text saying, will Molly be at your coach's meeting to pull a Jordan Hudson and say Brock's not going to talk about that?
No.
Okay,
Molly.
just checking.
No high-heeled boots or none of that stuff either. Nope. But honestly, it would have been kind of fascinating to see if both Booker and Zabel would have been there. Do you want the power? Do you want that strength? Do you want the athleticism and the nimble nature of a Zabel? I think they honestly would have leaned into, even after the fact, the Zabel. But yes, you do get a chance to pick the groceries a little bit more at the NFL level.
Andrew and Elma just weighing in. Prayers up for all of the other coaches at that meeting. Yeah, I think I'm with you. I'm with them. I would like to be a fly on the wall, Brock. Do you think you could record some of that? Give us a sense as to...
Actually, no.
Actually, no. That's too bad. All right, let's come back. We'll give you guys everything you need to know. We're going to go around the NFL. Plus, I got to hear about graduation, Brock.
Sure.
We haven't heard yet about graduation, so we'll make sure we get to that as well. It's Brock and Salk, Seattle Sports on 710 and seattlesports.com.
Wyman and Bob, afternoons 2 to 7.
Even the guys that, if you look at their average and go, they're not off to a good start, look at the on base. This team has been outstanding at working the pitcher, at taking walks. You look at Randy Arozarena, for instance. He's had huge hits. He's had some big moments that have been game-winning moments, but overall, he's not hitting that well. He's hitting 208, but he's got a 359 on base.
Dave Wyman and Bob Stelton, afternoons 2 to 7 on Seattle Sports, the app, YouTube, and your smart speaker.
If you've been in a wreck or a fender bender,
you have the right to take your vehicle to any repair facility, not just where your insurance company tells you to go. Accurate Auto Body has been family owned and operated since 1994, and they work for you, not your insurance company. With over 25 years of auto repair work, they'll exceed your expectations.
we meet by accident, fixing every last dent. Accurate Auto Body.
At Accurate Auto Body, all their work is performed by certified technicians, only using OEM parts to guarantee the safety of you and your family. For the best in auto body collision repair and customer service, give them a call at 425-883-2450 or AccurateAutoBodyWA.com. Your insurance company may not love them, but you will, because
we meet by accident, fixing every last dent. Accurate Auto Body.
Baseball's back. It's time your yard stepped up to the plate. Synthetic Turf Northwest is Seattle's go-to for pro-quality turf. Perfect for backyard batting cages, putting greens, or just a mud-free play zone for the whole family. We install the best, we supply the best. And we're local based in Woodinville with a new Fife location coming soon next to Sportco. Mention Seattle Sports and save up to $1,000 off your project. Visit syntheticturfnorthwest.com, where the grass is always greener.
The future is here, so why is your internet stuck in the past? With Quantum Fiber Internet, you can get next-level multi-gig speed on a reliable fiber network. Fair and honest pricing with no annual contracts or bundling required. And whole home 360 Wi-Fi to make sure your devices are ready to take you where you want to go. So you can stream, post, game, surf, like, and love to your heart's content. You do you. Let Quantum Fiber Internet take care of the rest. Learn more at quantumfiber.com. Limited availability, service, and speed in select locations only.
My wife and I have been married for over 15 years, and I've never had any complaints about my performance in the bedroom. But after I turned 40, things started feeling different. I was gaining weight, losing muscle, and I just wasn't interested in sex anymore. My wife told me her friend's husband went through the same thing, and it turns out he had low testosterone. So we booked a free T-check at Revive Health, and that's when I learned that my testosterone levels were low too. We worked with a provider to create a custom treatment plan, and today, my wife and I are having more fun than we did on our honeymoon. My only regret is not reaching out sooner.
If you're ready to book your free T-check, visit ReviveMen'sHealth.com or call 206-529-1111. Again, that's 206-529-1111.
Eric Johnson here. I covered a lot of accidents over the past 30 years or so, but I never got to say much about what to do after a crash. Be honest, do you know what evidence to collect, what pictures to take, what documents to request, or what you shouldn't say to your insurance company? The Washington Accident Book Series is a must-have for drivers who want to be prepared for whatever the roads throw at them. Know your rights and how to avoid common mistakes after an accident by getting your free copy at WashingtonAccidentBooks.com.
We are Seattle Sports, the home of the Seahawks, Mariners, and everything Seattle sports.
Watch your favorite show live at seattlesports.com.
When you have really good leaders, it makes it easy.
Gia arrived at Lee Johnson after 10 years at another dealership.
You know your job, but then you have people who you can rely on to help you with the big stuff that you need that support from. And I've gotten that every day with my service manager, with our assistant service manager, with even like our GM and our GSM. The way that, we're now on the showroom together, we are so close-knit just as a department. My service manager here, he's always open to teach you whatever you want to know. He just wants everybody to do good around him, and if somebody wants to learn something, I'm here to do it. And I've never had a service manager like that before. They're really good at promoting from within. That's one thing that I've learned from working here. I see people start out as a lot porter, and people work their way all the way up to being a general manager.
The LJ way is the Lee Johnson Auto family.
From whiplash to herniated discs, there are a few car accident injuries we've all heard of. JP Pendergast with Pendergast Law explains that even the most common injuries differ from one another.
Pre-existing conditions, health history, beginning of treatment. There are hundreds of factors that make every person and every injury unique. While these variables aid medical treatment, the strongest case recoveries must also take them into account.
Can you explain a little bit more?
Our team at Pendergast Law is obsessed with turning over every stone to differentiate each case. This requires thorough investigation, diligent listening, and relentless research. We never pursue cases with a one-size-fits-all approach. We built our success by treating every injury and every case with the individualized attention our clients need and deserve.
Pendergast Law's individualized approach to even the most common injuries makes the difference in case outcomes. It's another reason why I can't recommend them enough.
If you or a loved one has been injured in a car accident, call Pendergast Law. We can help.
Need to know.
15 minutes past every hour with Brock and Salk.
Here's what you need to know. Up first.
Rough weekend for the Mariners, Brock. It was certainly not what they were hoping for coming back to T-Mobile and, in front of the crowds, 30,000 plus, and just unfortunately not what they needed.
I mean, it's frustrating. I think we
we've played so well, and wanted to show the home fans that we were excited to be back home. But it was a tough series, and again, we got a lot more baseball ahead of us, and we got another series starting tomorrow, and we'll be ready to go.
Yeah, it was, again, didn't pitch particularly well, didn't hit particularly well, 21-7 aggregate over the course of the 3 games. And, yesterday, again, Bryce Miller starts off okay, but by the 5th inning, the velocity lags, the command's not there, and a guy like George Springer going to make you pay.
The look in by Miller, and now the 1-1. To Springer, swinging a well-hit ball deep to left field. Rosarena going back, stops, looks up, and goodbye baseball into the upper deck in left field. George Springer with his 5th home run of the season, a 3-run shot with 2 on and 2 outs, and the Blue Jays now lead 5-1.
Yeah, and again, the losing becomes sort of the biggest story, but the biggest underlying story is Bryce Miller, who again now has an ERA over 5. Just hasn't been himself.
Yeah, this is 8 starts too, right? This is 1 or 2 or 3 or 4, and he's just physically not felt great. And I think you make the astute point that he's trying to almost mentally get physically right, and that's very difficult to do.
Especially with a back injury.
Especially when your velo's down. Like
Right.
your calling card, Lyle said this about Luis Castillo, your calling card is that 4-seamer, right? And we saw when he even came up a couple years ago and he only had a couple pitches, he could just almost live on that and eat guys up. And yeah, right now that velo is down. I think some of the confidence is probably shaken a little bit when I hear him. Naturally so, as a young player going through a valley here professionally that he's not really faced yet in his career.
Yeah, totally agree with all of that. So, yeah, rough weekend.
So now what?
Now what? Now I think Leo Rivas is going to start in his place. Brock, he's throwing 39 miles an hour.
Would you even call that an
Little moon ball.
ephus? Would you even call that an ephus?
I thought
pitch?
he was just lobbing it in. Amazingly, he doesn't give up a run in an inning. How does that even happen?
Do you think he has any fear going through his body like I used to when I pitched to Damon in wiffle ball? That ball is going to come right back at me about 1,000,000 miles an hour?
I think he does.
Do you think he wanted the net? Can I get the L net out here?
Like the way the high-pitched softball guys, they throw and then retreat.
Yes.
Yeah, I think that's why he was throwing it so high and so softly to give himself time to get to a reasonable depth. Anyway, Yankees in town for 3. They have been red hot, Brock. Best run differential in the American League.
Good. I like that they just mashed.
I think actually best run differential in the league, period. And just beat the A's 30-11. I think so. Go check me on that. But I looked at it last night. I think I have that right. They've been kind of better than the rest of the American League other than the Tigers.
Here's the second thing you need to know.
Well, and you could really you talk all through there, Brock, about Bryce Miller. You could use reinforcements. It'd be really nice if some of your injured guys were able to make their way back, especially in the starting rotation. We'll see. We did get a start over the weekend from George Kirby. Before that start, Justin Hollander gave an update.
George, he will start tomorrow for Tacoma. He will need probably one more, not for pure pitch count reasons, just he didn't have a spring training. So the idea of going out there and not having experienced a lot of things that you would experience over a typical spring training and building up not just the ability to go throw 75 or 90 pitches in an outing, but then how that makes you feel and being able to repeat it the next time 5 days later is important. So the plan would be pitch tomorrow and then pitch one more time, and assuming everything goes well, then we would assess for it. But I do think it's making sure we do the right thing for George and getting him ready to go.
All right, so was he successful? He pitched. He threw 54 pitches, which was all good. But, allowed 3 runs in just 3 innings, gave up a couple hits, couple walks. There is still some work to be done for a guy that didn't have a spring training.
Well, that would mean a Thursday start. You just got to do the math. If he started Saturday, that would mean a Thursday start. If he can ramp that up to 75, 80 pitches and feel good coming out of that, could we see him in the Windy City in South Chicago the following Wednesday, making a little bit start? That would be best case. And once again, what everybody loves to hear, Salk was right. Salk was right. Plus 75 run differential, not just the best in the American League, the best in all of baseball.
Yeah, and actually Tigers are second with 72. And oddly, the Dodgers at 58, Padres at 48. Now, again, those teams have to play each other, and I'm sure that is a factor in all of that. But, yeah, Yankees right now at plus 75. Best run differential in baseball.
Here's the third thing you need to know.
Brady Henderson's story this weekend about Nick Eamon-Warry, I kind of liked it. The obvious Seattle comp with Cam Chancellor, and told the story of Chancellor texting him after night one. Eamon-Warry has told this publicly.
Cam Chancellor, actually, before I even got drafted that first night, he had texted me. He had sent me a message, like, out the blue. It was like, hey, man, you know, wherever you end up, go ground hard. Just a little heartfelt message. And that was one of my, favorite safeties, again, growing up. So I was showing my brothers, and like, oh, Cam Chancellor just woo-woo. So when I got drafted by Seattle, I thought him texting me was like, maybe he had an inside, like, okay, I'm going to Seattle. But after I got drafted, he told me, he was like, look at God, man, what a coincidence. So just Cam Chancellor, he a great dude, man. I'm going to be reaching out to him for advice, and how he made his way through here, try to make my own way.
What did he say there? A little ooh-woo?
Little woo-woo.
A little ooh-woo?
He said it twice.
I think you got to incorporate that in your game. So
I don't know whether that would feel right.
Ooh-woo.
I don't know if that would feel right. I think that would probably be frowned upon for multiple reasons. Along those lines, and trying to figure out how he's going to be used, I did see this note from our friend Brian Nemhauser, Hawk blogger. The Seahawks defense faced the toughest schedule of offenses last year, period. They are projected to face the third easiest schedule of offenses this year.
Mm-hmm.
How big a difference do you think that makes?
Real big.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think quarterbacks make a real big difference. I think playing that, where are they going to play the AFC South this year?
Mm-hmm.
And the NFC South?
I think that's right.
Right. So you got some youngins in those divisions, and I think that will help. I was looking, by the way, at just some possible Seahawks schedules, and the schedule comes out when? This week, right?
Yeah, I mean, Wednesday the whole schedule will be
Wednesday
out.
the whole
little,
thing, and there's already little leaks
and stuff.
Yeah, here and there. It looks like the Seahawks probably will not have an international game.
Doesn't look like it,
based on some of those leaks, and I don't mind that at all. But yeah, I was looking at some people kind of guessing the layout of it, and I was like, oh, there are going to be a lot of young quarterbacks, right? There is the Colts and the Saints, and those two divisions are not what they faced last year in the NFC North and the AFC North. So, yep, a bunch of youngins, and that should help.
All right, there you go. That is everything you need to know. Quarter past every hour here on the Brock and Salk Show. Just a little woo-woo. Yeah,
I think I can incorporate.
I don't think you could. I don't think I would recommend that. I don't think that would work for you.
I'm going to say something to Andrew and Elma. You might be surprised. I'm going to go into those meetings tonight, and I know what I don't know.
Okay.
So, honestly, in this situation, and I've told you this a bunch of times, I've told a lot of other people, I am super excited to be on this side of it, because I've been on the other side, analyzing it, broadcasting it, probably talking too much. I think actually on this other side, walking in as a coach, one mouth, two ears, haven't been there like this coach has for 20 years doing it. I think I got.
I know, but how many of the other guys there played in the NFL? I mean, you have a unique experience, skill set that not everyone.
Say Todd Weiner did, Travis Kirschke did. This stuff.
Oh, and they're all on the coaching staff.
And Hamilton did.
All of these guys are on your coaching staff.
Yes, Salky.
You have a coaching staff for a high school with 4 former NFL players.
Sure do.
What in the world, dude? That's absurd. No wonder these parents are freaking out.
Like Bill Belichick, just give him back, okay? We're all trying to get back.
I know we're trying to bring manufacturing back to America, but you're literally working at a football factory?
Are you a hater?
No, I'm not a hater.
Are you throwing Haterade on it right now?
No, but that feels like a bit
just
much.
all volunteering, just give him back. None of us getting paid.
That must be so nice to have 4 random NFL players living in your town to just give back like that. Wow. All right, coming up next, we will go around the NFL, the current NFL, not the ex-NFL of all of Brock's fellow coaches. That's next on Brock and Salk.
May is Military Appreciation Month, and I know how much I appreciate the military. I married into a military family. I hear from so many members of the military, and Navy Federal Credit Union wants us to celebrate those who go above and beyond for us every day. If you're active duty, a veteran, or part of a military family, you're eligible to join. At Navy Federal Credit Union, the members are the mission. Learn more at NavyFederal.org/celebrate. Navy Federal is insured by NCUA.
This message comes from Viking, committed to exploring the world in comfort. Journey through the heart of Europe on an elegant Viking longship with thoughtful service, destination-focused dining, and cultural enrichment on board and on shore. With small ships that bring travelers closer to the destination, there's more time to explore. And every Viking voyage is all-inclusive, with no children and no casinos. Discover more at Viking.com.
Hey, Mike Salk here for Riverside Roofing, and they're offering a great deal. $1,000 off. $1,000 off a new roof replacement. That's a pretty good incentive, right? If you're a homeowner who is ready to do a roof replacement right now, why not take $1,000 off the price? It's a really good time to do it. The days are long, post 8 o'clock sunsets. Heck, it was still kind of light out at like 9:30 last night. So the crews can get your roof done super quick. Now, here's what you got to do. To claim your $1,000 off from Riverside Roofing, book a free estimate. That's easy. You just go to riversideroofingllc.com, and then Brandon will come out. He's Don's son, and tell him where you heard about it. Tell him you heard about it here on the station, on the show, and you'll get $1,000 back in your pocket and a brand new roof over your head. And while you're talking to Brandon, you can ask him about 35 years of local experience, about being GAF Master Elite certified, and definitely ask about the catch-all system, because that makes sure that your yard and driveway is totally free of debris like nails or shingles or anything like that. You can do all this. It starts at riversideroofingllc.com, and they are the roofing company you can trust.
Workdays can be unpredictable, but your workwear shouldn't be. With the Cintas Apparel Plus program, you'll have freshly laundered garments for everyone on your team delivered every week. Cintas has workwear for just about any job imaginable, with high-performance fabrics and an uncompromising fit that stretches and moves with you. Don't leave looking and feeling good to chance. Visit Cintas.com.
Oh, I'm ready!
And get ready for the workday.
This is the story of the one. As a safety manager at a manufacturing plant, he does everything he can to keep his coworkers safe. From finding ways to reduce risks to keeping safety supplies in stock. And for that, he relies on Grainger. Grainger offers a broad range of quality products and next-day delivery, so he can always play it safe. Call 1-800-GRAINGER, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
Are you still using allergy pills and sprays to treat your allergy attacks? I'm Dr. Ryan Stern with the Stern Sinus Center. Nasal congestion, sneezing, runny nose, snoring, facial pain are just a few of the sinus symptoms we can help you out with. From allergy workups and treatments to modern nasal breathing procedures to advanced outpatient balloon sinuplasty, we can diagnose and treat your problems. Let us help you get relief, easily, quickly, and permanently. Find us in Federal Way or Auburn or at sternsinus.com. That's sternsinus.com.
Subscribe to the Seattle Sports YouTube page to find new and exclusive content from your favorite shows and personalities daily. Just head to YouTube, search Seattle Sports, and click subscribe.
We've all been there. Sleepless nights, mind racing, wondering if your business's security service is really protecting what matters. At Bay Alarm, we can put your security insecurities to bed. Video security, burglar alarms, fire alarms, access control, 24/7 monitoring, and more. Our advanced technology and personalized support ensure you can rest easy, knowing we're here for you, your people, and your business. Visit bayalarm.com to talk to a local security expert. Bay Alarm, we got you. Hey!
I like my teacher because she helps me with my problems at school.
No matter how old you get, you always remember that one great teacher. Hi, this is Rick Riz, inviting you to join WSECU in celebrating Teacher of the Week. This year, we're going to honor 24 great teachers with grants of $500, sponsored by WSECU, the credit union for Washington. Nominate an exceptional teacher now at mynorthwest.com/teacher.
And this week's First Mark Challenge victory goes to Lonnie. Lonnie, why did you call First Mark Insurance?
We've been with the same insurance company for over 32 years. And my husband said, come on, let's at least try it. And that was the smartest thing we ever did because we saved thousands, literally thousands a year on our insurance. They improved it. It cost me less, and it was a higher value. You know, I can't say enough good things about Scott because everything that he said he'd do, he did.
What do you tell your friends they can expect when they make the call to First Mark?
An easy, profitable, and actually pleasant call. They genuinely are trying to help you, and you can't beat that. We were silly to wait so long. A couple other friends that had called, too. They said, why didn't you tell us about this sooner?
You see, Lonnie did it. My family did it. You got to do it, and it's totally free. Go take the First Mark Challenge today. See how much they can save you and how much better your coverage will get. Maybe you will be our next First Mark Challenge victory. Go to firstmarkinsurance.com.
From the Quantum Fiber Studio.
This is Brock and Salk.
Weekdays 6 to 10.
On Seattle Sports and 97.3 FM HD2.
Man, I keep reading more and more text, Brock, about this season ticket holder thing.
I told you.
You were right. I didn't disagree with you.
No, you didn't. That this is just kind of one of those little hot button little conversations.
So here's one from the 509. Season ticket holder since 09. Live in Yakima. Made it to at least one, sometimes 2 games a year. Do you know how expensive it is to travel for a game? Gas, parking, hotel if we stay, food, drinks, not to mention driving over Snoqualmie during the end of the season. I'm not trying to get rich off resale, but sometimes just not willing to risk the drive and afford the weekend.
Yep.
Yeah, and I think what the Seahawks would say to that is, yeah. And then at the end of the season, we'll call you if you sold 6 of your games and ask you about it. And if that's what you say, you'll probably keep your seats. But if your answer is, oh, I'm a scalper and I've been selling 7 tickets, then you're probably not going to keep your seats. They're not saying it's automatic. They're saying that it's going to trigger like an audit process.
Yep.
And if you then, they do a little research on it and they don't like what they hear, then they could pull the tickets from you. And I think that's kind of fair. Like, I just don't have a problem with that.
Kind of both sides have their rights still. You have your right as a ticket holder and season ticket holder if that's what you want to do. But ultimately, if you're selling half or more of them, then ultimately, as that lawyer said, like, hey, man, you're renting these seats. These are our seats in our building, and we're licensing them to you. Then that owner has a chance to say, well, right, you know what, let's find somebody that's not going to sell 2/3
Or,
of the
as
games.
206 writes back, well, then don't be a season ticket holder. Buy 2 weekends worth of games and open up that season ticket for somebody who does want to go to 8 or 9 games a year. And maybe that's, the best way to handle something like that.
And then Seahawks just, get to the playoffs, win playoff games, make Lumen Field the most special place in all the NFL as it was in the 2010s, and you probably won't have many of these conversations.
Let's go around the NFL. All right, I'm actually taking you around the NFL today.
What do you mean?
Well, Maura already took us around the weekend, and she's refusing just on union principles.
She's out of gas?
She's only signed up to do one around
like
the
Raphael
per day.
Devers over here. Like, I do around the weekend at 6:30. That's my thing. You can't ask me to now switch and do around the NFL at 9:30.
That's a good line. I like that. Yeah, so Maura won't do this. She's categorically refusing, Brock.
The Soundhound is sniffing around for other sound
I
for
know,
tomorrow.
yeah. So I've got to step up and probably screw this up. Maura's so good at it, but I'll do the best I can. You mentioned, we'll start here, and that's just the schedule, Brock. It's starting to trickle out. We're going to get little bits and pieces today, tomorrow, throughout the day,
Seahawks have
Wednesday.
how many primetime games this year?
Well, by the way, the first primetime game has been announced. Opening game will be Philly and Dallas. Go figure. Philly obviously gets the opening game as the Super Bowl winner. Dallas gets it because, it's Dallas. Obnoxious. How many primetime games? Well, you're guaranteed one.
I don't think we know till the schedule.
No, I know. We're trying to
right?
guess. You're guaranteed a Thursday night game, right?
Yep.
So that's one.
Seeing Fran or LA, more than likely. Yep.
Monday, Sunday. I'm going to say...
Over under 4.
I'm going to go over. I think they get 5.
Think they get 5?
Yeah. If you go 4.5, I'll take the over. How's that? You?
Yeah, I think the number is 4. Yeah, I think it's 4. I think the safe bet would be 4. And again, some of this is a little different because things now on Monday nights can be flexed, Sunday nights can be flexed. So, you play well, you can get flexed into some of those things. Maybe on paper it's 4, and by the end of the year we'll be 5. I think we're kind of sniffing right around the same thing, 4 or 5.
I'm saying 5.
Okay.
That's my gut. My gut tells me 5. But obviously I have no freaking idea. I'll tell you who's probably not going to get an awful lot of primetime games, Brock, are either of these next 2 teams.
Okay.
Starting in New Orleans, where the big news over the weekend was that Derek Carr announced his retirement. Here's Jeremy Fowler of ESPN with more.
I'm not surprised that he's not playing for the Saints this year, I'll say. I was getting indications of that, and something was maybe going to come to a head. I did not expect retirement, but the explanation of the shoulder injury adds up. Late March, he just to try to start throwing and realized that it's a serious injury, and the Saints vetted that. So that all makes sense, and you knew he was hurt. I just thought it'd be more like he set out the year and then got out of his contract and tried to get on elsewhere. But I think now he's come to the realization that he was probably done, and his days as a starter were over, especially with the fact that he's been a very good quarterback, so couldn't get teams over the hump. And then now you're like a shoulder injury for a quarterback can be a little bit of a death sentence, as we're seeing here.
You surprised that Derek Carr just retired?
Yeah, I am. And I don't know if the terms are different in the current CBA, Salk, than the one that I was under. Because when you retire, you do that voluntarily as a player.
Mm-hmm.
Then you know what can happen is the teams can then claw back for your prorated signing bonuses for the further years of that contract, right? So say you got a 5-year, $60 million contract, just to make this simple.
Right.
You know, we know with proration that each year they say, okay, there's 12, 12, 12, 12, 12.
Right.
So if you were to retire with a year or two, they could come back and say, hey, man, you voluntarily retired, and we're going to claw back for 24 of that $60 million.
I wonder if they work some of that out, though. I wonder if they're, when you're retiring, if there's a way to work through some of that
I think
so that you're not fighting about it afterwards.
There probably is.
So it says he's agreeing to forfeit his $30 million fully guaranteed salary in 2025. He gets to keep the $10 million roster bonus he got in March, and the Saints won't try to recoup any of the prorated amount of the $28.5 million.
I'm sure they work through all of that.
So you do right by
together.
both, right? He does right and says, okay, you know what? I'm not going to... I'm not going to continue to take from you. I'm not going to.
You're not going to be on the injured list all year taking a salary.
$30 million. Yep. Now you just make. Don't come.
Yeah. So I'm sure that stuff.
Paid.
Reasonable people can work through that.
Mm-hmm.
Two other questions on this. One, do you think the league is going to miss Derek Carr at all? Because I don't. I won't miss Derek Carr even a little bit. And that's not a shot. I'm not saying he's a bad quarterback or anything like that. Did you ever think to yourself, oh, I can't wait to watch a Derek Carr game? Like, he's totally uninteresting in every way. So the fact that he won't be in the league, I just could care less.
When he was healthy, man, his arm was fun.
Totally boring.
Okay.
Boring player.
All right.
Other than the guy liner, there's not a lot to really think about with Derek Carr.
What about the year in 2016 where he was like going to win the MVP till he got hurt?
Uninteresting.
Okay.
He's just not interesting. I'm not saying he wasn't good. He had some good years. He's a decent quarterback. Not exactly got to tune in to see Derek Carr. Now, second question. Of the three guys battling to replace him, who you got? You got Tyler Shuck, Spencer Rattler, or Jake Haener? That is a who's who of nobody.
And the Seahawks get to play the Saints.
When? Early, I hope.
Don't know.
All right, well, we won't find out till
Saints knew
Wednesday.
they could be in this boat, or they knew he might not be able to play this year.
That's why they took Shuck in the second round. I think they really liked him. I think other NFL teams, more honestly, really liked Tyler Shuck. Some of them
Louis Riddick loved him.
Oh, he did. Had him higher on their board than they did Jackson Dart.
Let me ask you this. Third question, then. Would you feel better?
Who's older, Jake Haener, Spencer Rattler, or Tyler Shuck?
Probably Spencer Rattler, right? He's like 100.
No, Shuck is 25.
But didn't Rattler come out at 25 a few years ago?
Rattler's 24.
I was going to say, I think he's the youngest.
Oh, I thought he was super old, too.
No.
Oh, okay, my bad.
He's Lyle's Tempe guy. They were taking shots.
How old is Jake Haener?
Haener's up there in age because he was an old college player, right?
Haener's 26. So Tyler Shuck is 25.
Okay.
Spencer Rattler's the youngest.
Okay. Wow. Would you feel better if you were the Saints and you had Shedeur Sanders? Because I would. Like, you could say whatever you want about the Dion problems and everything else that Shedeur did or didn't do in his interviews. You can't tell me the Saints wouldn't be better off right now if Shedeur Sanders was on their team instead of some of these other guys.
It'd be a lot more entertaining.
They should have him. Like, they made a mistake. They allowed themselves to get caught up in whatever garbage was going on, and the Saints made a mistake. They would be better off right now with Shedeur Sanders.
Well, they
on
may
their
be
team.
able to get him in late August, Salk, when he's cut by the Browns.
Well, that is the next part here as we continue to go around the NFL. Who do you think comes out of the bizarre five-man Cleveland quarterback competition? Here's their head coach, Kevin Stefanski.
I like these guys, them in particular, but all these guys are taking coaching. I think that's such a big part of this. We talked about it a little bit. The last few weeks is no one's a finished product, so we're trying to do everything in our power to develop these young men and into players. But it's a process. It takes time. So I like the attitude of these rookies, where they understand there's work to be put in. I know everybody kind of slept pretty well last night, which is good, and then we'll get another good day tomorrow. But they're really they're taking coaching, which I appreciate.
Joe Flacco, Kenny Pickett, Deshaun Watson, Shedeur Sanders, Dylan Gabriel are all currently on the same roster. Now, is Deshaun hurt?
Yes.
So
Remember,
he's not.
He retore his Achilles.
Right. So
tendon.
he's not even like a possibility to start this year.
Not to start the year.
Who do you think starts week 1 for the Cleveland Browns?
Flacco led him to the playoffs a couple years ago.
Right.
Traded for Kenny Pickett. Those guys are going to get the bulk of the reps. That's going to be the challenge for both Dylan and Shedeur. And we know this in the NFL, Salk. We know it trying to watch a Drew Lock versus Geno Smith kind of competition. There was just not that many reps, so
you can't go into training camp with those 4 guys on the roster, right? Don't you have to move on from one before training camp?
No, I don't think so. You drafted him in the 6th and the 3rd round. No, I don't think so.
Well, I
No,
mean,
you go
either
to
Kenny
training
Pickett or
camp.
Joe Flacco. There's no reason to have both Pickett and Flacco on your
You
team.
traded for and you paid Joe a little bit. No, they're both going to be there.
That's insane.
Yeah.
So who starts week 1?
My money?
Yeah.
Would be on Unibrow.
What a terrible
and
idea.
If you had a challenge watching
what an
Derek Carr.
awful idea.
So if you had a challenge watching Derek Carr.
Yeah, Joe Flacco.
Tell me about the personality, the charisma of one Joe Flacco.
It's just slightly above that of Kenny Pickett. I mean, neither one of those guys would be on my team. But, Brock, if I'm starting the year, it's with Kenny Pickett. I know what Joe Flacco can do, and it's nothing. So I would go with Kenny Pickett to at least start the year while I'm waiting for either Shedeur or Gabriel.
And see if Kenny Two Gloves can give you anything.
Yeah, I mean, that guy was drafted in the first round a couple years ago. Joe Flacco's 150 years old.
Did you see last week someone was circulating a side-by-side of them with the close-up
Flacco's
of the
hands
hands.
and Pickett's hands? Yeah.
Does Flacco have giant hands?
Oh, giant hands.
Really?
Like Carson Palmer hands.
Oh,
Yes.
really?
And Pickett's got like salt.
I know
hands.
about
Little
Pickett. Hey, I don't have small hands. What are you talking about?
Also, did you see the thing this weekend at Browns camp about how the reporter asked Stefanski about why didn't Shedeur Sanders get the first snaps over Gabriel or whatever it was? Did you guys see this?
No.
Oh, and Stefanski, he just kind of brushed it aside saying, everybody's getting reps. We're getting all our guys some time. The reporter follows up. It's like, yeah, but why wasn't it Shedeur? There was a quote tweet of this with like 5 million views.
Okay.
And it just said this. This is why nobody drafted him.
But why wasn't it Shedeur?
Gabriel was drafted 2 rounds higher.
3rd round pick.
There you go. That's all you got to say.
Yes.
I'm just saying, like
Because we think the other guy's better.
This whole circus is playing a part into
But that
it.
wouldn't have happened if Shedeur was drafted by the Saints.
So good.
If
And
he
then
was
Dylan
drafted
Gabriel-
in the 2nd or 3rd round,
And
you
kudos-
wouldn't be getting those questions.
By the way,
He'd
kudos
just
to-
be out there getting the top reps.
Kudos to Dylan, because he was asked and he was
Oh.
pestered about it, and he was like, questions like this divide a locker room.
Right.
I mean, he just handled it like a total freaking pro.
And
too.
I'm sure there was a lot of work done with him ahead of time, helping him figure out how to answer those questions. Third one, last story I wanted to get to here is the trade. Was this over the weekend or was it late last week? I forget. We haven't really
was
talked
last
about it. And that is Pickens being traded. George Pickens, not Kenny Pickens. That's
Or
Kenny
Carl
Pickett.
Pickens.
Carl
That guy
Pickens.
could run a go-around now.
Dude, Carl
And Jeff
Pickens
Blake
is
could
good.
Throw that moonball.
Yeah.
Woo!
Give me some Carl
Before
Pickens.
you were born, Lyle, you don't even know those.
You ever heard of
man.
Carl Pickens?
Nope.
You ever heard of
Bengals
Jeff
wide receiver?
Blake?
Nope.
Nope.
Where'd Carl Pickens go to school?
Carl Pickens, I believe, was a Tennessee volunteer.
That sounds right.
Gosh, I'm on it.
That feels right anyway. I don't know if it is right, but it definitely feels right. Anyway, why did the Steelers trade him? Jerry Dulac of the Pittsburgh Post-Gazette has more.
It wouldn't surprise me if they added a decent veteran receiver. The problem with this trade is it looks as though they're right back to where they were before the Metcalf trade, which is one quality receiver, and then after that, okay, who do you have? That's the only drawback right now to that trade. But again, I think it points up how intolerable the Steelers became of Pickens' behavior. They just didn't want to deal with it anymore, both on the field and off.
He was intolerable.
Intolerable.
He was intolerable. You couldn't have him around anymore.
But man, did that talent flash in 2023 in
Yeah.
CenturyLink Field. Holy smokes.
I mean, he's an unbelievable player, but he's so annoying to be around. They had to trade him, and now Dan Orlovsky thinks the Cowboys are going to be good because of it. Let's hold our horses.
If George Pickens plays to the way that he has played over the past couple seasons, this would be a top 8 offense in the NFL.
I've talked about it. I think this offensive line is going to be one of the better ones in the NFL by the end of the season. We all know CeeDee Lamb is a superstar. Now you're adding George Pickens in, who averaged 16 yards a catch with the revolving door at quarterback. This has got a chance to be a pretty darn good offense when it comes to what happens in Dallas.
You can be a top 8 offense in Dallas?
No.
Probably not, right? That would be surprising. Are they still letting Zeke run the ball?
Rico Dowdle now.
Oh, right. But didn't they bring Zeke back last year?
Yeah.
But he was just a role player.
Okay.
That was last year. So.
I was just going to say, what happens to receivers when they go to Pittsburgh? Like, you had Antonio Brown, Juju Smith-Schuster started out good and then became a problem. Chase Claypool.
Yeah, I mean, I think I would say they're all they started off that way. It's just that it takes almost all wide receivers end up that way if they have success.
Throw Deontay Johnson in there too. Yeah, there's
Deontay Johnson. Yeah, they've had so many.
You know what I would like? I would like to.
I think DK's going to stay totally normal during his time there.
I would like to.
I'd like to buy stock in that not happening.
I'd like to be on South Lake Union on one of those little pedal boats that you and I were on years ago in the Great Chase with DK, and just on Lake Union with him. Like, how's it going in Pittsburgh? Yeah, is the grass greener? Like, how you liking? How you liking just the culture and the
right? George Pickens is gone. You don't have a quarterback.
How you liking things out there in Pittsburgh?
They're begging for Aaron Rodgers, who doesn't seem to want to come. I mean, what a mess.
But he got a membership, Salk, at a very exclusive golf club.
Oh, he did?
In Pittsburgh. He did.
Which
Over the
one?
weekend, that news was out. I don't know. It wasn't Oakmont. It was another one. But really, DK, is the grass truly greener in Pittsburgh right now?
Good question. Anyway, that's a little trip around the NFL. Brock, you were up in Montana this weekend?
I was in Missoula. I've been to Montana a few times here this month. Kalispell a couple weeks ago. Missoula for Haley and Dylan's graduation. And we were leaving the little graduation party. And Molly said something very astute, Salk. We were walking in the car. And she said, you know what? As it turns out, your college career or whatever, you'd have been much better suited to a Pullman or a Missoula. Like
you're not a city guy.
I'm just not a city guy.
No, you're not. And to be in one of the city schools.
Now, granted, the University of Washington in the 90s is an urban school, is not the University of Washington of 2025.
Fair. Okay.
I mean, it is so filled in. U Village was still a pasture when I was in school, and there was no indoor facility, and we practiced in goose poop. So yeah, there was no Amazon, there was no Google, there was no population density quite like today. But man, just some of the salt of the earth. So I met this guy named Hank, what a name. Hank's going to be a linesman up in Kalispell, because why wouldn't he be? He's going to go to school for four months and go hang electrical wires up in his hometown. And it turns out a few of the other guys, and this was a little later in the evening with some Busch Light. Do you know that you can get apple-flavored Busch Lights? Do you know that's a thing?
I don't think I did know that, and I don't know that I wanted to know that.
Do you know that when one of the veteran D linemen who I met 4 years ago?
It doesn't strike me that the average Busch Light drinker would also want to flavor their beer.
The same.
That feels like a strange mix, like a small Venn diagram of people.
If you were at the picnic table very clearly, when this gentleman walked in a little later in the evening with his own cooler and Busch Light already spilled on his T-shirt.
Wow.
And he immediately looks at me and is like, "What's up, Pops? How you doing, Pops?" Like he's one of the ushers for the wedding.
Oh, whoa. He's already calling you Pops.
Yes, he is.
Yeah.
This is no amateur Busch Light drinker.
Did anybody get uninvited to the wedding based on their performance at graduation this weekend?
No, absolutely not.
Okay,
no.
good.
If anything, it's going to show that this reception that you're going to be at and you're going to be prominently front and center at.
What do you mean prominently front and center?
I'm the father of the bride.
Well, what does that mean, though, prominently front and center?
I may ask people to come out and do a dance.
Well, don't ask me. I can't dance. Why would you ask me that?
Oh, yes, you can.
Now, as I said before, if you want me to ask you questions during your father of the bride speech to keep, kind of kickstart it, that I can do. I'm very comfortable asking you 3 questions about Haley. But I am not interested in dancing in any way.
Very warm, Salk, that I've been privy to in my life.
So it depends what time.
Sounds like Brock might be a father of the groom or bridezilla.
Yeah, exactly.
Father of the bridezilla.
Brock,
I'm the father of the bride. I can do what I want.
That's exactly right. And Salk, I know you very
Depends
well.
on what time during the wedding.
Oh, I won't
if you ask me early in the wedding, there's no chance.
0.0. I would never do that to you.
No chance.
Warm, Salk, about 9:30?
Yeah, it could happen.
9:45?
That could happen.
Yeah.
Do we have to drive back to the hotel after the wedding? Is there a bus?
There might be. Well, we're working on some of those final details.
All right, if there's a bus, because that will greatly change the amount
Sure.
of warmth
Yep.
that you can expect. I mean,
Heather
if I've
can
got
drive.
but
Heather can drive, yeah.
You know, Heather's had some rough nights at weddings too, right? You remember we were in the Bahamas and Heather was after the wedding telling the DJ it was great, but there just wasn't enough Lady Gaga. So I mean, like, yeah, both Salks can let
Okay.
loose at a wedding.
So two things jumped out to me. Two very clear things jumped out. This was like a precursor to the wedding because it was so cool. I got a chance to meet all Kellen and Hank and all these guys, all of Dylan's buddies, and they were awesome. I mean, life of the party. And back to Hank, you know what Hank did a couple years ago? Hank sacked 2 sacks off Gray Zabel. So that was a good half hour, no, not half hour, 10-minute conversation. And he was like, well, let's be clear. Like one of them was kind of a junk sack. And 2 years later, the dude was like the best I'd ever seen. He humiliated me. So I got some good Gray Zabel. Like, yeah, you better get Gray early in his career because late in his career, he was the best thing going, not even close. Secondly, this is going to be a big people wedding. I am now convinced that this barn has never seen a wedding of the size of body mass index of the humans that are going to be at this one. So
Who's going to be the biggest person at the wedding?
Oh.
Who will be the heaviest person at the wedding?
Oh, I don't know. See, a lot of them are football players have kind of finished, right?
Right.
And a lot of them that I met have gone kind of the slender route.
Right.
So, but we're looking at the wedding. Dylan's a good 6'3", right? Best man 6'7". Titus is 6'6". The other D lineman's 6'4". Like we're looking at
You're 6'5". Damon is 6'4".
6'3". Luke's 6'5". Gabe's 6'6". Josh is 6'4".
Jeez.
You know, and let alone Carmen, the basketball side of it with Haley.
Right.
Haley's 6 foot. Macy's 6'2". Carmen's 6'1". Like we're looking.
So
at
you're
the
saying
body-
that I should buy inserts for my shoes before showing up at this
I'm
wedding?
saying get on the phone with Ron DeSantis
Right.
and the boots that he wears or whatever he wears.
Trump's got those too. He's got that forward lean from
Yes.
whatever's going on in the
Give
back of the
yourself
boots.
A little lift.
All
but
right.
It's going to be from a BMI.
Okay.
It's going to be a very
I am curious
very, very large
who
wedding.
is going to be the heaviest person at the wedding?
Yeah, I don't know. That's a good question. That's
All
a good
these
question.
linemen.
There's some big linemen. There's some big boys. Yeah, and I told the caterer very clearly, if there's any idea, like a shoe, like Nike runs a little small, or
Right.
just a little big, run big.
Run big.
Servings, run big.
Make sure there's enough food because
Yep.
that helps soak up some of what's being drunk.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right.
By the way, the consensus on the text line is that Bush and Peach
Yeah.
apple apple and peach Bush aren't bad.
Huh.
Yep.
I mean, I'm willing to try anything. Will those be available as a?
I'm gonna
signature-
guess-
Will those be a signature drink at the wedding?
I'm going to guess the gentleman that brought his own cooler and called me Pops
Yeah.
as he walked in.
Will he bring his own cooler to the wedding?
He very well might.
You're expecting people to BYOB
No,
at the wedding?
no. But it does make me rethink that maybe one of the beer choices should be Busch Light.
It does seem like it's popular in
It
Montana.
kind of feels like a Gray Zabel kind of wedding.
All right, good stuff. Thanks, Brock.
You're welcome, buddy.
Tomorrow, Jeff Passan. And I think, I don't know, I've gotten in trouble
don't
teasing
even
this stuff before.
Salk, don't even
We're
say it.
hoping to have, we're hoping to
Salk.
get Eric Young, Mariners first base coach, base
Remember,
running coach.
Always better to over-deliver.
I'm just
than
saying,
under-promise.
dude, you know what? I don't care. We've been on the air for 16 years. If it happens, it happens. If it doesn't, it doesn't. What are you going to do? Stop listening because EY blows us off? Like, come on. If that's the final straw for you, I don't want you anyway. Like, I don't know what to tell you. EY should be here. We'll see at 9:30. Bump and Stacy, I know are going to be up next. I can see at least one of them
With Dave
right
Sims.
now.
With
You
Dave
have Dave
Sims.
Sims?
They got Sims.
They do. So we got to hear how things are going in New York, et cetera. All right. Stick around for them. We'll catch you guys tomorrow morning, 6 a.m. Until then, the Hay Barn. See you, everybody.
Get to the chopper!
LeeJohnson.com is a dynamic research tool.
We want to give the customer enough information to where they don't have to go anywhere else to research any of the questions they have. And if they want more information, we'd love to be there to help. We don't want them to feel like they're dependent on emailing us or texting us or calling us just to get the information they need. So we put it all out there. We call them digital retailing tools, big fancy calculators where you can get in there and change the terms and change the payments and change the cash down. And it'll give you a disclosure of, hey, when you do this, this means here. And a consumer can get on there and do a lot of this themselves. And then if they choose to get us involved, we can actually get involved on the backside of it and help them along the way. We want to give the consumer the same tools that we have and let them understand what we understand.
Yup, that's pretty much what you'd expect. The LJ Way is the Lee Johnson Auto family.
Summer is on everyone's mind, and many of us ladies, well, you men too, would like to get rid of that extra stubborn fat and address those areas of loose skin like around the waistline, chin, and upper arms. Maybe you've tried the lasers, fat-freezing methods, even those new pills, but without getting the results you were hoping for. Introducing ProSculpt, the new one-day instant permanent fat removal and skin tightening treatment. ProSculpt is minimally invasive, performed while you're fully awake, and it's gentle yet powerful. Designed to target the waistline, chin, neck, arms, and thighs, ProSculpt uses FDA-cleared plasma technology to deliver immediate and permanent fat-reducing and skin-tightening results, all in just one visit. Go to ProSculpt.com today to schedule your free consultation, and for a limited time, get $250 off. Feel confident this summer with instant, permanent fat reduction and skin tightening that works for women and men too. ProSculpt.com.
Workdays can be unpredictable, but your workwear shouldn't be. With the Cintas Apparel Plus program, you'll have freshly laundered garments for everyone on your team delivered every week. Cintas has workwear for just about any job imaginable, with high-performance fabrics and an uncompromising fit that stretches and moves with you. Don't leave looking and feeling good to chance. Visit Cintas.com.
Oh, I'm ready!
And get ready for the workday.
When you switch to Progressive, you could save bundling your home and auto. Then you could put that money towards some of the surprisingly more expensive things in life.
Attention passengers, we've reached 10,000 feet and internet is now available for purchase.
I just paid hundreds for this flight, and you can't even throw in internet? I'll just take the free pretzels.
Sorry, but I do have snack boxes for sale.
I'm just gonna sleep.
In that case, we are selling pillows and blankets as well.
I'll just breathe. That's free, right?
Life costs a lot, so bundle and you could save with Progressive. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company, affiliates, and other insurers. Not available in all states.
Get ready for Camping World's Red, White, and New Trade event, May 15th through the 18th. Get the highest value for your RV guaranteed during the biggest RV trade event of the year. Shop the best RV deals in America with new RVs starting as low as $92 a month. Get ready for the holiday weekend with up to 45% off grills and 25% off product installation. Plus, we'll have free hats, free propane refills, free food, and fun for the whole family. Don't miss the incredible Red, White, and New Trade event, May 15th through the 18th at your local Camping World.
See dealer for full details and disclaimers.
This is the story of the one. As a lineman, he does whatever it takes to keep the power on in his community. And he wants a partner like Grainger who does the same. Grainger offers the professional-grade products he needs, from voltage detectors to harnesses to hard hats, plus fast, dependable delivery, so he can rise to every challenge. Call 1-800-GRAINGER, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
Let's go! This is Seattle Sports.
Streaming through the Seattle Sports app.
KIRO AM Seattle. KIRO FM HD2 Tacoma. Home of the Seahawks, Mariners, and everything Seattle sports. Seattle Sports Snapshot.
The Mariners were swept by the Blue Jays over the weekend, but get a chance to reset. Unfortunately, that's going to have to happen against Aaron Judge and the Yankees. Seattle opening that series against New York today. 6:40 p.m. is your time for the first pitch. Pre-game show starts at 5:30 right here on Seattle Sports.
Snapshot brought to you by Miller Lite. When it's game time, it's Miller time. From the Quantum Fiber Studio.
This is